Right, so we are live on the CDC platform. It is World Cup fever. I know the main tournament hasn't really begun in terms of the main ones, but look, India versus Australia, the warm up is what we're going to be talking about for the next 3.5 hours right here, right now on the cricket.com YouTube live. I had to give you guys an introduction and them as well. It's almost a breakfast show, the first of I think it's kind in CDC history. With me, Avnish Hegde, I have the Agarwal bros. They're not really bros, but if you know, you know. Somesh and Shobh.
Breakfast with losers.
Breakfast and losers, honestly. Taking the pace. Most welcome to, of course, banter us in the comments below and get active. Subscribe if you're watching us for the first time. Boys, how are we feeling? Monday morning blues, pun intended?
Purples.
Purples.
I like that camera angle when Rohit and Kelo are walking.
Yeah,
They're like
yeah.
behind them. It's like video game feel. Proper pitches.
And with that proper Brisbane building in the background as well. Shubh, you feeling excited? World Cup fever starting?
Excited, yes, but not for this warm-up game at least, because I would love to take these warm-up games a lot more seriously. But the fact that all 15 guys are going to play in the same match, they are all going to bat or bowl. There are not going to be any tactics or stuff. So it is. I mean, even while playing gully cricket, we had more rules and regulations. So it is really tough to take this thing seriously. But yeah, it is fun to watch.
Yeah, on the flip side, Som, the fact that we have 15 players, we can really see how many kind of take part in this. Hopefully, it's all of them. Will that give us a clear indication before that mammoth Pakistan game of who really starts, or do we already know?
I think Rohit already mentioned the toss now that in his head he's clear
Key.
with the combination, because the bowling combination is the only thing which is a talking point.
So
Rest
Shami fires and he walks back in, which is ridiculous.
Don't know. The only thing is, I mean, India are not playing a game in Brisbane,
Yeah.
because even the semis and the final are not at Brisbane. So I mean, in terms of venue, this doesn't give India any advantage
At all. At the Gabba. Now, before we move along forward, there's going to be lots of experts joining us, which we should tell you, not just for the warm-ups, but throughout the course of the World Cup. We've got some special people, so subscribe and hit the bell icon for all of you know. Right now, India, of course, are batting first in this warm-up game. It's the first ball, KL Rahul on strike, and Mitchell Stark with the cherry in hand. I don't know what's happening on the screen, but look, we're doing a tech dry run as well with new systems and whatnot.
Warm up for us as well. Yeah.
It's a warm up for us as well. Before we get Statsman Ani on right now, you mentioned the venues. We're playing Melbourne next week. Generally, Australia have bigger grounds. Will that suit this India team, boys?
This will definitely suit the bowling attack, I feel, because India lack space in their pace bowling attack except Shami.
Yeah.
So I think that will give Harshal Patel and Bhuvneshwar Kumar some leeway. Actually, that even when the batter has missed it, so there is a chance for the batter to be caught at the boundary. So yeah, only that I feel. Otherwise, I think. In terms of Indian batting, all of them possess enough power to clear any venue, especially Rohit Sharma,
Yeah.
or if you talk about Surya Kumar Yadav as well. So yeah, I think some leeway for the Indian pacers, but apart from that, it's going to be fine, because it is going to be same for every team that is going to play. So
yeah. That is true. Now, so I want to ask you about Australia really quickly here. They've obviously lost the last two games to England. They didn't have good form going into last year's World Cup. Does form really even matter going into tournaments like this? Fickle-minded sport that T20 is.
Actually, they have the best team on paper, all aspects covered. I wouldn't read too much into the England series.
Yeah.
Because I think they played their best team in the second game.
Correct.
And there were a lot of things that they were trying. I think in one of the games, Stark did not even ball with a new ball.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's.
And Maxwell ended up bowling, I think, the final over and the last over. So I don't know what the thing is.
So I mean, let's not read those who potentially Australia were playing them as warm-up games as well. So
yeah.
But having said that, I mean, they have a very good side.
Everyone talks about the best 11s in this tournament. Dare I say, do they have the best 13 or 14? The guys who can come in off the bench and also do a job. You're talking about Ashton Agar, Kane Richardson's always been a good exploit.
And even in the reserves, they have Nathan Ellis, who can basically replace any of the three pacers. And Cameron Green, who can come in for Mitchell Marsh or Marcus Stoinis if there is a injury concern. So I mean, I think apart from Maxwell, there is every player, or maybe to an extent Warner, there is every player that they can potentially replace from those on the bench or in the reserves.
So do you say that they have the perfect side and the near perfect side?
Near perfect.
Near
side.
perfect
No
side.
team
There's
has
no
no
perfect
team.
side.
So would you
yeah.
give them a 9 and 10 in terms of rating?
Yeah.
So where would you put India in that state? Well, what a shot that is, by the way. KL Rahul opening
India
his account, not
eight
really,
on
but
10 probably.
getting his first boundary. 8 and 10?
Yeah.
I'll give them.
Are there any more 9s
7.5.
and 10s in this tournament? South Africa,
England?
Pakistan, England?
South
England
Africa
eight.
are not
England
9
are
on 10 because they lack all-rounders. I feel
If they
like.
had Pretorius, would they be a 9 and 10?
Yeah, I feel so.
So if the India had
That
Bumrah,
case.
even they would have been 9 on 10.
Yeah.
I mean, if condition laga ke
No,
to
I
koi
mean, if
sense
India
nahi
had
hota.
Bumrah and Jadeja, we could have been in
No, not
kind of
really.
fine
Not
and
really. I
ten,
would have
no?
preferred Akshar over Jadeja anyway. So
Guys, let us know what you think in the comments below. Of course, get interactive in the watch-alongs. If you guys haven't seen our watch-alongs before, what have you guys been doing? Because we got tremendous success doing it during the Asia Cup, where we took all your questions, spoke about everything cricket, life, and obviously everything in between as well. So we're going to have plenty of fun jokes along the way, and we're going to be privy to certain guests on the show, like I said. But let's get some numbers and data out of the way by getting Anirudh Statsman with us, if he can join us right now and tell us a little bit more about the venues. I know Brisbane is a venue, like Som said, India not going to be playing much, but I just want to dive deep here a little bit. And Ani, thank you so much for joining us right now
Hello.
in your very own segment. We're going to see this much more often from you. Quick burst of stats in and out. Talk to me about numbers on this Monday morning, my friend.
Like this is not a this is not a official match. So like even if we go by, let's assume that we'll go by head on, head to head or anything like that. So
Yeah.
apart from Zampa, nobody has troubled Indian batters as of now in T20s. Like Virat Kohli has 3 dismissals against him, KL Rahul has 3 dismissals against him, and Rohit has 2 dismissals, and he averages 7.5 against Zampa in 5 innings. So all these are the thing, and the other thing mainly to watch out is how Kohli is gonna play this World Cup, because uh, he has been like tremendous in Australia and in World Cups. Like in Australia, he averages 64 in 10 innings at a strike rate of 145. And in World Cup, he has scored around 800 plus runs at an average of 76 with 1050 plus scores in 19 innings. So like his contribution is going to be very big over here. And obviously, like even if Rohit Sharma is going to play his own role, and coming back to Melbourne, so Melbourne, in one of my pieces I had written, like Melbourne is a ground where you need a bit of agility, like a player like Virat Kohli who can chip in those, you can, players who can convert those ones into twos. So that is very much required in
spoken
Melbourne.
like a true Gavaskar fan.
Spoken like an
I
absolute
mean,
Gavaskar fan. But no, you make a good point. I think we put out that illustration as well. I think on one of our social media creatives, where the amount of percentage in terms of ones, twos, and threes and
Yeah.
fours is quite ridiculous in Australia.
And something which he mentioned is telling, right? I mean, we often wonder Stark is the X factor when India play Australia, but it turns out to be Zampa.
Yeah,
That might also be the case because the 3 paces are so good.
correct.
They see Zampa and they see like, oh, here come the runs.
Yeah,
So maybe that's the case. I mean,
yeah.
I might be
that's
wrong.
I mean, that's a
Zampa
fair
is a
point
decent
because
bowler.
they often want to target the spinner.
I remember this used to happen with Brad Hawk back in the day in 2003
Yeah.
when the first 3 were Lee, Magra and Gillespie
Yeah.
or Andy Bickle in some cases, and then everyone saw Brad Hawk, ab to run banayenge.
Yeah.
And then
And Zappa has
And
been
the one-
absolutely brilliant, right?
And one more thing is like Stark doesn't play a lot of franchise cricket or T20s. Even in T20Is, he's rested for most of the series. Like I don't remember him playing a lot of matches against India. Even when they toured in 2016, he wasn't there. 2016, 2020 also, because he wasn't there
Yeah, I mean,
for
Stark doesn't
maybe
even
2
play
matches.
BBL. That applies for a lot
Yeah.
of Australian cricketers. I mean, I think Warner has played 3 BBL games in 8 years.
But a lot of them actually play in other
Other
franchise
franchises,
games,
but yeah, Stark
has
is like
absolutely
doesn't feature
experience
anywhere.
So
of
Stark
franchising
starts
cricket.
purely because of the left arm tax that Dan
Left
Weston
arm,
says.
plus the
And
Yorkers
experience.
that he can hit, plus
Yeah.
the curve that he gets with the new ball. So you see there is potential.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
what a
and,
shot
and
that is.
maybe
just
Anirudh,
run
I
through
mean,
a side.
if you don't have them right now, you can ping us later. I really want to see Stark's number at the death since the start of the last World Cup. I vividly remember that he's not been that great at the death recently in the last 12 months.
Okay. Yeah, I
Anyway,
can
so
second
Anirudh,
that.
thank you so much for joining us right now. We'll leave you to your, of course, number picking, and we'll digest all the data on the app. Fantastic app, cricket.com is. Check it out. Statsman Ani coming in and coming up. Brilliant stuff from him, and more of him in the second innings as well when the match runs on. Now, India, by the way, 15 for none, 1.5. Rohit has not got off the mark as yet, but KL Rahul has played two sumptuous drives. He's faced the early ball, like Chup said. What are you looking forward to this World Cup in terms of India right now? Because everyone's not really building it up saying, well, we're going to win it easily because obviously no Bumrah. But does that work in our advantage in many ways?
Give me one way.
I mean,
Give me one way.
I mean, I can't even think of a way in which we can put it.
Because look at all the other winners of the competition. It's always been underdogs. So,
I mean,
no favorites have really won it, have they?
So who? I mean,
and what is with this camera angle? It feels like
warm-up game, so they are not taking it seriously too, as I said.
It just gives you a much more longer vantage point. If you guys know, you know. But yeah, just coming back to that chat, guys. Like, I mean, in the minds of the opposition, people are like, they don't have Bumrah, it's fine.
Yeah, but I mean,
but like you said, that should stir our batsmen up to go intent.
ऐसे underdog बनाना है तो फिर तो सब teams को ऐसा एक एक player rest कर देना चाहिए.
Right, we have the first comment of the day, Monday morning, chaps. Hope you guys are doing well, watching this from work, on the way to work, or waking up and taking an absolute dump. Wherever you guys are, we appreciate it. Subho Chauhan saying, very happy that Shami's not playing. Is it an indication that our bowling combination, Harshal Bhuvi for the game for Pakistan? He might actually,
he
might play.
Shami might well bowl.
We can't say this until India bowls.
It's a warm-up game, Subho, so everyone could play. You could see, honestly, Ashwin have a bat.
You might see Pant batting at number 9.
Yeah.
So, I mean, kuch bhi ho sakta hai. So this game is really not a good indication. It's just about giving players a good look in, a good feel of what is going to come.
So, do you agree with Adam Finch at the toss, where Sanket Singhbal says, quite a puzzling call from Finch to bowl first in a warm-up game? Finchy, has he done the right thingy?
Why I think he has done that?
And he's a busy man on a Monday morning, so Mish, don't mind us.
Yeah, so I will Finch opted to bowl because he's really keen to chase down a target. He, given that how Australia actually, they were unable to chase down targets in each of the 3 games full match. This is what makes KL Rahul and Rohit Sharma a special combination owing to the Australian conditions, because both of them are very good batsmen of pull shot. So they can really,
the back foot in general.
Yeah,
right?
So if they are in top form, if they do justice to their potential, I think they can give India a really good start consistently throughout the tournament. But then it all boils down to KL Rahul's intent. I have no doubt that Rohit Sharma will actually be going for his big shots.
Yeah.
But saying the same thing for KL Rahul, I mean, you cannot be certain about it. So
yeah. No, I get that. And already 3 overs and 3 different bowlers. So obviously a warm-up's coming to the fore right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad strategy anyway. Prashant, I mean, it's live on Star.
Yeah, it's live on Star. I mean, we're not plugging in anything here, but if you guys, of course, have a certain app, you guys can check it out there.
One thing that is now very clear, Rohit is okay to go from ball 3, if not ball 1. But KL Rahul has decided he'll take at least 5-6 balls before playing his shot, no matter what.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's okay as long as he capitalizes later.
Correct.
See, one thing that I feel can be slightly tricky is what we've seen in tests as well, where when if the squarer boundaries are slightly longer, like they will be at MCG and maybe in Perth as well when India play South Africa. I mean, teams can target Rohit with that, bowling him short so that he pulls and gets out.
Yeah.
So maybe,
and
if they're not playing at the center wicket, then definitely one side might be shorter.
Yeah.
And that is where he can target the overs where he actually, but he won't do it. He's made that clear that it's a run scoring shot for him, so he won't take a step back.
But what Rohit would you prefer? Because I know you're a big Rohit Sharma fan, and I think we asked Sridhar one of these questions as well in the Player in Focus, that do you like a Rohit who by this time and goes on to get an 80-90, or do you like a quick fire Rohit who's a 15 of 35?
See, I would any day want Rohit Sharma to play all 20 overs, because once there's a reason he has 264 in ODIs, because once he's settled, he can swat the balls for sixes as we
and how
saw
many
in that
T20
game.
international unders does he have? 3, 4, 5?
Internationals, I think 3.
Okay, 3. Maybe
Yeah,
I'm
maybe.
wrong. Maybe Anirudh can bring us.
Just confirm that, Rohit Sharma.
T20I hundreds for Rohit.
So it's super important for Rohit to get runs here.
No, but the thing is, in terms of the team that India plays, where we have players like KL and Kohli, alongside him, I think it's better that he scores out 15 ball 40 because we know that KL and Rohit are going to take their time.
Yeah.
They cannot play how
KL and Kohli. Yeah.
KL and Kohli.
Yeah.
They cannot play how Rohit is trying to play.
So you're saying out of those three, he has to really kind of take the initiative.
Basically, he's chosen to do it. He has basically decided, oh, you guys, you take your time. I'll basically be in the firing line here.
Do you agree with that thought? And do you think
That is
sometimes they should swap it around where KL says, "Listen, I'll go for it, boss."
See, both of them can actually go for it, but the thing is that if one guy is really he has taken the onus to do that, he should continue to doing it because cricket is a lot about familiarity as well. Because if you have once you have get into a zone, into a mindset, you better continue with it. Why change it? And by the way, Rohit has 4 T20I hundreds as I check on our cricket.com app.
Cricket.com
Everything
app.
is available there. So yeah,
Everything is
28 50s
available.
and 400s.
Yeah, I mean, Rohit undoubtedly is a supreme batter. Let's see how these three who come to the fore, because if those three honestly have a party in Australia for the next 1 month.
If those three are having a party, then think about the rest coming up because Surya, Hardik, DK. I mean, I don't think that Kohli and Rohit are even the MVP of our batting card right now.
Yeah,
the MVPs are actually Hardik and Surya Kumar Yadav. So yeah, if
any other team gives India a run for their money in terms of the best batting lineup, who is it? Do we have the best batting lineup?
No.
I think so. I mean,
or England.
Either us or England.
England bat 11. If they play Willie instead of Topley, that's ridiculous.
With England, see, I think England are yet to win a T20. These are the first T20 games they won on Australian soil.
Yeah.
So their batters are good, but apart from Hales, I don't remember.
Oh, he's hit that to Melbourne. No.
See, big grounds. In Chinnaswamy, it would have been in Cubbon Park.
That would have gone.
Ravi Shastri would be saying the ball has landed in the Cubbon Park.
All the talk with Rohit taking the intent, it's clear that Rahul has. Rohit's just probably got 2 balls.
2 balls.
मैंने बोला था रोहित तीसरी बॉल से मारता तीसरी बॉल तो खेलने दो.
So Stoinis, another new bowler for Australia. So obviously they're trying out all their seam options, and it's one of those kind of games where you just literally experiment. Now, Prashant Sampath going on to say, do India need Ashwin over Akshar against Pakistan to counter lefties such as Fakhar, Shan and Nawaz, who will all come at 2 down potentially? Rohit failed countering Nawaz in the Asia Cup and he feasted on Chahal. Good point there, Prashant. And matchups is invariably the word which comes to mind. And these boys love talking about him. If you haven't heard about them or follow them on Twitter, is that a good point that he makes? Because they potentially have 3. Kushtil as well is there. I don't think he's mentioned Kushtil.
I wouldn't go Ashwin for Akshar. If at all Ashwin plays, he should play for Chahal, which again I don't agree with. India should play both Akshar and Chahal.
Yeah.
See, Akshar because you need a lefty.
Akshar and Chahal.
India should go with Akshar and Chahal in my opinion.
Okay.
And if at all they want to play Ashwin, they should swap him for Chahal against West Indies or South Africa maybe, or even Sri Lanka for that matter. But I think Akshar should be in the 11 all the time because India need a lefty.
ये होता है intent वाला shot हट के.
Has that gone the way?
Yeah,
surely that's gone the way.
I mean,
that is purely intent.
Stoinis is treated the way he should be treated.
I mean, there are times where Stoinis has probably bowled balls and balls to KL Rahul in the nets of Punjab, of Lucknow.
Not Punjab, Lucknow.
Oh, they didn't play together, Punjab?
No, I think KL joined Punjab in 2018, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as Mike Hassan came in, he doesn't like Stoinis. No?
Yeah, Stoinis got out of that team. So yeah, Stoinis went to RCB in 2018, if you remember.
Yeah, beautiful shot. Just coming back to that cup. I do.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I would not drop Akshar for any of the games because India need a lefty
and
he's a good bowler. I mean, he gets natural bounce on these tracks. That'll be.
I generally think they're both very smart in terms of Akshar and Ashwin. And speaking of Akshar and Ashwin, we have a Delhi Capitals fan in the house, Shobh, who's of course seen Akshar and Ashwin do well, especially when that 2020 season when Delhi went nearly all the way and didn't
21 as well.
And 21 as well. Do you think they are in many ways India's 2 best spinners? I know leg spinner merits a call in T20s, but would you be brave and stick your neck out and be like, okay, we'll play Akshar and Ashwin against Pakistan?
I see it very differently. I think Akshar is a locked-in guy. He should play all the games for the reasons that Somesh suggested. Ashwin, now between Ashwin and Chahal, that is going to be a dicey pick for our specialist spinners role. I feel since Bumrah is not playing, it is very important that the pressure doesn't come to India in the death overs bowling phase, and for that it is very important that India keep picking wickets in the first 15 overs at least. Hence, you need an attacking spinner.
So Akshar comes
That is
in.
why
Akshar
is there.
Chahal,
So that is
sorry.
where Chahal comes in. But against Pakistan, I feel Pakistan are not a great side when it comes to it comes to the last 5 overs of batting. They have only Asif Ali right now. So I feel that against Pakistan, at least Ashwin can play, because Pakistan will be playing Nawaz and Fakhar, I feel, is ahead of Shan Masood in top 5. So there will be 2 lefties. So that is where I feel against Pakistan, Ashwin can play. But when it will come to South Africa, again, I would, even South Africa have lefties, but South Africa can really attack us at the death. So picking wickets against South Africa will be important. So I will pick Chahal against South Africa and Ashwin against Pakistan.
Yeah, good choices there. Thanks for that question, Prashant. Really
But I
appreciate
think
it.
even if India play Chahal, they can use him differently.
They can.
So-
So out of all those spinners, who can bowl in the power play, if any? Ashwin, right?
Ashwin and Akshar.
Akshar can also bowl in
Akshar
the
as
power
well.
play.
He did so well against Australia at home in the recent
So defensive
series.
spinners actually can bowl
Wow,
in the
20
power
runs
play
of this
this.
Stoinis
Yeah.
over. Exactly.
Literally,
All
it's
scored.
motored
So,
on.
43 for Rahul. And for
Basically,
Rohit
it's
Sharma.
nearly a 50-run stand between the openers.
Reminds
And
me of
Rohit
my college
is
project.
basically,
एक बंदा सारा काम करता है जिसमें.
Vasant Narayan, good morning to you, wherever you're watching from. Nice to, of course, hear from you, the friend of the channel that you are. We should take this match with a pinch of salt, with Park
And
being
sugar and
predicted.
with some tequila.
Yeah, with Park being predicted
Coffee
wash
chicken.
out, which is shambolic, by the way. If you've seen the Melbourne forecast, we should prepare for the South Africa match and runners up.
Acha, if India Pakistan turn out to be a 5-over bowl out,
Oh my God!
who has an edge? Pakistan have the bowlers.
Bro, they had the bowlers in the 2007 World Cup as well, and they
7?
lost. Yeah, for that bowl out.
I'm 5 overs bowl out, not bowl out.
Oh,
5
like,
overs inside.
okay,
Yeah.
I guess.
There was no batsman there.
That'll be interesting. I think we'll still start favorites.
See, in
No.
these games, it is about who has a better bowling attack, because batters will just keep on whacking.
That is
So
true.
if Pakistan doesn't open with Babar and Rizwan even in that game, so then I think Pakistan will have the edge, because they have a better bowling attack.
Yeah, one
India
second.
bowling
Let's
attack
just
is
clap for
not
Rohit Sharma because he's got off the mark. Third ball.
Third ball, 1 run.
He's
But
got off the mark. 48 for none,
not
by the way.
sarcastic claps actually, because he's just faced the third
This
ball.
actually reminds me of that partnership between Jayasurya and
Kalu
Ramesh Kalu.
Veterana.
But yeah, sorry, Shub. You were saying?
What
What a
was
ship
I
piece of
saying?
captaincy by Finch. Sam Hazlett, good morning. Or good afternoon, should I say, because I know you're an Aussie fan.
This Sam Hazlett, that
Sam, let us know where you're joining
Brisbane
us
Heat.
from. Brisbane?
Brisbane Heat cricketer, because there is Sam Hazlett who plays for
Yeah.
Brisbane Heat.
Yeah, there's another Sam Hazlett cricketer. So, yeah. If you're watching, great, Sam. Nice to of course, interact with you.
Sam is, I think Finch is just trying.
Oh, he's
So,
having a
Finch
drive.
wanted to bowl because he was trying to chase down a total against England, and they were not able to chase down in any of the
But I think
3
Sam's
games.
comment is more of Stoinis being given a bowl in the power play.
Yeah.
They tried him at the death in the England game, and now I think they've given him in the power play. So they're figuring out where to use Stoinis.
So essentially, for them, who their power play bowlers? Australia, Stark, Cummins.
All the 3 paces are.
And
Adam
bowlers.
Zampa can also bowl in the power. He has bowled in the power
No, but
play
will
for
Kane
them.
Richardson start?
Even Maxwell can.
But will Kane
if there is
Richardson?
a
Yeah,
left
Maxwell can. But
But
will,
lefty aata hai tabhi.
I mean, against when they play who's in New Zealand? Conway. I mean, not
Conway
needed.
against, yeah.
England again, not needed
No.
unless and until they lose early
Afghanistan,
wickets.
No, David
Gurbaaz.
Malan will come in at
Yeah, I
Afghanistan?
mean that's why. I mean,
Ek
if they
wicket
lose,
girta hai
yeah,
to.
Afghanistan with Gurbaaz.
yeah, Gurbaaz and Zazai, but
And
They're
if Sri
like
Lanka,
probably
if Sri
West
Lanka
Indies.
now after Namibia,
Probably West Indies.
no,
as
Sri
well,
Lanka
so-
will be in India's group.
oh my God.
So West
What a
Indies
game
ke
that
against
was, by
aayega.
the way.
Yeah,
What a game that
And
was.
especially from the way where Namibia were going, it felt like they will end up around 130. They made it 160, and then uske baad to bhai ab baat hi kya karna.
JJ Smith and Frillink honestly were just like gold dust in terms of runs, but they honestly caught really well, and that's going to be something
Caught
which
really well, yeah.
Oh,
Bhai,
have a
ye
look at
par
that!
nahi,
Is
ye
that
par
one
nahi,
bounce?
ye par ho
No,
gayi.
it's
Bhai, to
six.
lambi par ho gayi.
Yeah, this is insane. KL Rahul's having fun out there, and we're probably seeing the old version of KL. I'd say the old version, the 2018 version, because we love to see KL honestly explode like this. 24 balls of 49. I know it's a warm up, so maybe the shackles in his mind is slightly freer, but he's taking the piss out of Cummins, honestly, who's the only bowler who's actually bowled a second over in the power play. So interesting thinking from Finch there. All you guys watching, thanks so much. Oh, he's been hit in the head, KL Rahul. Definitely there'll be a concussion check for that. But India is a little bit of the bat. No, it's completely.
So one
off
thing
there.
about KL, whenever he's facing the first ball,
Yeah,
and the camera pans on him, his expressions actually tell you that what is going to that what his mood is today. And
Yeah.
today I noticed he seemed a bit more confident. He was not that worried, and you can see the result. I mean, 25 of
it's actually
49
Vasant. I
of
was just
25.
checking the scores, and really, they're like 49 for no loss and 4.5 was Scotland. That is.
Yeah, but Scotland, I think, honestly, like Gurkirat mentioned, I think in the Twitter space that we were doing yesterday, that he's looking forward to Scotland. And they've always been one of those teams who actually have the potential to maybe cause an upset. We saw with Namibia yesterday. Who knows if Scotland beat the mighty West
Not only
Indies, the
Scotland,
two-time
their whole-
champions?
their
I mean,
whole
yeah,
group is-
any team can beat anyone in this round.
No,
I mean,
but even like the UAE Netherlands game,
yeah,
UAE never like.
exactly.
They took it down to the
that's the
wire.
point. I mean, so
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna get people definitely on as well. Hold your horses, and we'll come back to, of course, more things which are pleasant. We're gonna be joined in by some online folks as well, so don't worry about it. Right now, though,
Getting replaced.
we'll make a double substitution here. It is Mikel Arteta and, of course, Xavi coming on to join Eric Ten Hag, who has hair clearly. But boys, welcome to the Watchalong World Cup vibes. The two Agarwal has been replaced by two fantastic South Indians, South Indian all panel here. So big up over there. How are you guys, first and foremost, on a Monday morning? Is it Monday morning blues like I asked the boys?
I mean, it's
KL Rahul, you
feels-
guys?
No, it's Monday morning. We can't believe this is happening.
We're all rubbing our eyes. But-
feels so dead. The atmosphere and everything.
Wow.
I mean, obviously it's a warm-up match. I just feel that there is too much hype for this warm-up match, including this watch-along.
There
You
is,
know,
there is.
it is.
The Scotland West Indies game, though, is happening.
Yeah, I saw the Scotland have been killing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the other
And are you
day.
confident
Can
about
we- can we
more
switch-
upsets? We
Can
will
you switch channels,
We
guys,
will.
please?
Honestly, we should keep like my
Tabs.
Hotstar
Oh.
open here,
Oh.
and we should probably do two
It's not
games,
a-
which will be fun.
I just hope it's not a plugin.
It's not a plug-in. It's not a plug-in. Sam Hayes, they're going to say Stark
Is
should have bowled
is it
2 overs
the
and 2
Brisbane Heat
overs.
cricketer?
Yeah.
No,
Shub said the same thing, honestly. What's with the camera angle, boys? Why is it like blared out like Cricket 22?
I mean, this
Yeah.
At least
they're
the
not using the
broadcast one.
actual broadcast
Yeah.
cameras.
I
are
think
they?
even
They're
they are
lent-
warming up.
in their
I
warming
think
They
up.
lent
yeah.
1 or 2 cameras. Guys, please use this. It's a fixed camera, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a fixed camera or just going over. So, have you guys been surprised about KL Rahul's intent?
Yeah,
or,
very
or-
surprised.
or do you think he just thrives in these kind of conditions?
What? Okay, if you mean he thrives in dead rubbers, then yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
In terms of
No
pace and
wonder.
bounce
but
and his back foot play.
No, but pace and bounce, I don't think we have seen enough because India have not played in those kind of conditions with him.
Hmm.
They played with Rohit. We know Rohit thrives in, but he's struggling
I
here.
mean, it's
one
been
of
very
five.
weird.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Maxwell also can bowl in the power play, and he's going to be bowling right now. So, by the way, that's Akash, and this is Anirudh. So don't get confused with all the names going off. Give us a subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram,
So,
of course,
Is that
and let us know
play?
anything in the comments below. Now, there was some interesting football chat which I want to get to as well. Look, we do all kinds
Talking
of things
about cricket.
on the CDC watch along, the El Clasico,
Talking about
uh,
cricket.
and United
Sorry.
not getting the penalty. Arsenal going, of course, another win under their kitty. So boys happier, distraught
Yeah,
and frustrated. So football wise, we're not in the best moods. But
talking about
uh,
cricket.
why can't they kind of get venues where we're playing in? We're playing in Brisbane, not
Yeah.
against Australia, but against New Zealand again
Mm.
in the warm ups. Will that be
It's
good or
fine.
bad for a warm up?
If you see, you
It
must
doesn't
be
matter, I think.
yeah, you
Doesn't
must
matter.
be grateful that they're playing a warm-up match in Brisbane because they've put all the main matches in Geelong.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's kind of disrespectful in that way.
KL Rahul, 27 balls,
Wow.
50.
Guys, please rub your eyes. We can only see this once in I think 14 innings.
And now he can
You
probably
know-
retire, right? And then come back later, no?
He
It's a warm up
Yes,
game.
no, I think once he retires, he can't come back later.
Just a reminder.
Oh,
he's
Rohit, does he
gone.
miss time that one?
Maxi's gonna
Gone.
strike.
There
Is
is
he?
long gone. Oh, there is a long gone.
He struggled against off spin.
And it was Stevie Smith running back there.
Wow. That's
Ooh.
not
No,
the
we are
word.
still in a power play.
That's
right?
not the word I
forgot.
would associate with Smith, but yeah.
Stevie Smith.
Stevie.
It's like
Okay.
Stevie Wonder.
No, I heard it as
Stevie. Oh, God. Rohit not timing that. But look, the positive's certainly been KL Rahul from an Indian perspective so far. And Finch calling it wrong at the
But-
toss. We had a comment. Oh, this
Oh, that's
time it's
six.
middle
That's
that.
six, is
That's
it?
six.
Oh,
That's six.
just
Six.
these boundaries are fucking
You know,
long.
I
Not boundaries. I think the camera is very pretty confusing. You don't
Yeah.
know if it's a 6 or a.
didn't DK score a century in one of the warm-up matches
Yes.
in before an
Yeah,
ICC event?
Yeah,
Was it
against
2019 World Cup.
2017 or
Champions Trophy.
2017 also he
what-
did.
Yeah.
I think every World
But what a 100 that was. The
yeah
2013
2013 also he did.
was absolutely top class.
So just
That actually makes for a good question. Shaunak, if you can put it up in the polls, which is the best
Shot.
warm-up game knock you've seen? I know it might be far and few, but it's a good shot that he's mentioned. A good warm-up game that you really remember from the back of your head. Put it in the comments, Shaunak, and make it as a poll on YouTube, and maybe we can get a percentage of sorts.
we'll go first. What is the best?
That was a really good shout, Dinesh Karthik, because it was like a 140. It was a big daddy 100, not
Yeah.
just like a one-off. I think
Excuse me.
MS
Yeah.
Dhoni played a really good 100 in the warm-up game of.
I mean, you can take
think-
all World Cups, not
I
just
think Dhoni and DK only
Yeah.
in that game, if I'm not wrong.
There was one more where before the 2011 World Cup, I think we played Australia. Was it in the warm-ups? And I think someone had a really good outing then. So, let us know in the comments below. We're just literally trying
Yeah.
to figure it out in our heads as we go
There
along.
was this warm-up match before the 2019 World Cup. I think it was between West Indies and New Zealand, where some teams scored 400 plus. I think was it West Indies or New Zealand?
It
It's
must
kind
be
of-
it
It
must
could
be
have
New
been
Zealand
both.
only.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it'll be West Indies because they struggled throughout the.
I
True.
think but New Zealand. Yeah, I think it was New Zealand who scored 400. I'm not sure. I think maybe someone who has a laptop in front of them can help us with.
Yeah,
this,
help
but-
us out and let us know.
Ask a phone a friend.
Phone a friend if you can.
But
Now, fix up
And-
Ashton Agar. So basically, everyone's going to be bowling, and we've known that before the game started as well. How important will he be? We spoke about best 11s, but Australia potentially have the best 12s, 13s in case there's an injury and you need players to come in.
Yeah, but
yeah, for sure. I think.
Yeah, the only thing with Agar, I think he'll agree with it, is that his batting ability is rated more than it is.
Mhm.
So the people feel he can. I mean, off that 99, I think people are like.
So would
he
you
can
rather
score-
would you rather have an Agar on your team or an Mohammad Nawaz?
Nawaz.
definitely
Purely because of the batting power.
no, even bowling part, he's proven to be better. The thing with Agar is he'll give you like economical overs. So that's the positive.
So is he Australia's equivalent of an Akshar,
If he improves his batting,
but
maybe.
with hair
No,
and
I
a
know,
G in
he's-
his name and not an X in
If
his
you
name?
look at it statistically, okay, just before I get the stat we are looking for is there was a warm-up match between the 2000 before the 2019 World Cup where I think it was
West
between
Indies.
West Indies and New Zealand or someone where a team scored 400. We are just looking
for that
which
game.
team scored that
Yeah.
400. That's what we want.
Yeah, Anirudh Statsman, not this one, the Kasar Gold.
So-
If you can give us that, that'll be great.
Coming back to Agar, I think there was a point where he was genuinely they were a proper duo, Zampa and Agar,
Yeah.
and it just went south just before the last year's World Cup, where they figured that Australia figured the balance they need is they'd rather play with the extra batter that is Mitchell Marsh at number
Yeah.
3, and before that Mitchell Marsh was not a part of the starting 11 like
Yes.
properly. So what they were doing is batting Agar at 7, Cummins at 7, like they were doing that.
But even in the World Cup last year, did he play?
No,
he
played
played
only
against
one game.
England and
Only
he
one
got
game, yeah.
absolutely belted. So
Yeah.
and
But he batted well in that game.
you remember, I think it was Finch or Cummins who said in an interview recently that was the game that made Australia realize that yes, we have to go with the extra batter.
Hmm.
And to be honest, Maxwell can do a job on his own as
Oh,
a
yeah.
specialist finger spinner,
Hmm.
and we have seen it in the 2015 World Cup. We have seen it last year as well. So why do they need Agar? That question.
Yeah,
rose.
I mean, that's the same thing. South Africa sometimes asks themselves that, right? Why do we need Maharaj? Because we have Markram who does something similar to what Maxwell does for Australia. And then obviously they have their frontline spinners in Shamsi and Zampa respectively. So it makes for an interesting chat that. All you guys watching, thanks so much on this Monday morning, wherever you're watching, at work or driving to work. Subscribe and tell a friend, cricket.com, because we're doing plenty more watch-alongs throughout the course of the World Cup. Not just the India games, but other marquee fixtures. We'll put a list of it so you guys know the dates and you can pencil them into your schedule. And all are 1:30 games. So join us when you're eating lunch or when you're taking a break from work. We will be here answering all your questions. Dinesh Karthik against Sri Lanka in 2013 is what Vasantharan says, completely echoing the thoughts of Anirudh here. We're still waiting for that New Zealand West Indies game, like he said. Soam's at the back of his camera, the camera.
Back of his camera.
Any particular warm-up game that you think? of ODI T20 World Cup, and then I'll probably substitute myself for you.
Main match नहीं देखता warm up
But coming back to Agar about his batting, I think it's just not reached the levels people thought it would,
Yeah.
especially in white ball cricket. I mean, he can
In-
still do fine
in ODIs,
as
I
a
think. Yeah.
you know, if you want him to face 50 balls, he can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But can he score at
A
125,
60 or
130,
Yeah.
140 strike rate in those balls? I
Yeah.
don't think he's. And you remember the Sri Lanka series where they experimented with Agar opening the batting with
Yeah.
Finch, and it was such a disaster that
Yeah.
it just didn't click at all. So
But the funny thing is, on his test debut, he scored a strike rate of 120, 130.
I think that's the best. That's the most explosive knock he's played
Yeah.
in his career.
Right. So basically, India 76 for none. They could really go gung ho and get 220, 230
But
because
will they?
all the batsmen can bat. But will they is the question. I will take a small little coffee breather and get Somesh to have a substitute here. We can make, of course, many substitutions, unlike the Premier League. But guys, quick prediction: 10 over mark. What are we reckoning? 100?
105.
Will we see Kohli bat before the time I'm back?
I think KL Rahul will retire and
he should have retired already, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I mean, he's playing. He's like that proper. Street cricketer where like it's my bat. I'll play. I'll
No,
only.
just think about it. Rahul already scored
no,
a
it
75
makes-
in the Western Australia match. He's already scored a 50.
He has
Should have
enough
retired
bat,
already.
yeah,
There's no
yeah.
point in Rahul playing. Might as well give the others a chance.
Oh, it's pulled
Gone.
away and he's
Oh,
gone.
he's heard you.
On him.
Oh my
He
God.
put the markers on him.
It's fine, Avnish. It's
Wow.
fine. It's fine. It's a
Yeah.
warm-up game.
It's a warm-up.
Save it for the main.
No,
Save
but
it for Kohli. At
No,
least.
but did you realize when Stoinis is bowling to Rahul, the 2x RCB,
Yeah.
and that's why that over is pretty bad.
There
Did
are
you realize that a wicket was lost when basically I just got off the Watchalong, which is sad.
Yeah.
wait.
Guys, I'll be back. Don't worry, watching the King right
There's
now.
another ex-RCB guy, which is Kane Richardson. There is a,
Yeah, there's a
current
current
RCB guy.
guy.
Zappa's still not bowled it.
Zampa's not playing.
Oh,
Yeah, he's rested.
look at that.
Oh, so that's good news for a lot of Indian batters. And it was
Yeah.
mentioning these stats, no?
I mean, Kohli also has massively struggled against Zampa. So
But I think the whole point, Australia last year's World Cup, they were considering it as a bonus, like we'll just go and see what we can do. And now that they ended up winning it, they're not that motivated for this World Cup. Maybe they're just like screw it.
I don't think this applies for Australia.
No, I don't think it's not about motivation. I think it's like they didn't realize that they've won a tournament.
These guys are already
it's like-
champions.
Yeah, who's keeping?
English.
English.
See, this is what we're talking about, Maxwell. He can do this. Why do you want
Yeah.
Agar on the side? He'll probably do this by conceding 4 runs fewer at best, 4 or 5 runs fewer.
You mean
And
more?
even if they play Agar, who does he replace? That's the
Yeah,
bigger
exactly.
question.
Yeah, that's the problem.
In Australia, why would you need 3 spinning options? That's
Can Agar potentially replace Stoinis? Maybe.
No.
But
No.
If pitches slightly slow down, I mean they won't slow down
no,
considerably.
then also
but
I
still.
don't think like Stoinis' batting potential is like
He's
way
been
way.
great.
So
He's
who
been
all
great.
who all are right hand dominated sides apart from India?
Wait.
But with Agar, I mean, if Anirudh
Glenn
can
also
pull up his
can't.
numbers against left-handers, it will be useful because I do think Agar has a decent record against lefties.
I think more than decent against lefties than righties.
Not sure, but if you
I
can
think
have that
that's
split, it
sort
will
of
be
his
actually
numbers.
very helpful. But yeah, I don't think there will be a
Right-handers.
need to play Agar in the World Cup unless and until Zampa either gets injured or has a horrible start, which you never know because Zampa got dropped midway through the 2019 World Cup, got replaced by Nathan Lyon. But obviously,
Yeah,
Zampa.
even
Nathan-
2020 they
No.
dropped,
He played.
No.
They didn't.
2021 World Cup. I think
No, he played all the games.
No, Zampa played every.
Yeah, he is.
Zampa he just had one bad game against
Oh,
England.
really?
Everyone had a bad
Yeah.
game in that match. So,
okay, we're talking about Zampa.
Yeah.
I thought we were talking about Agar.
No.
no.
Agar played only one game.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was an interview where he said, I didn't expect that to come. Till I think the eve of the start of the tournament, he was the favorite to play all the games. And then suddenly, like, you're not playing, mate.
And Agar also, if you remember, did well in the warm-up match against India.
Yeah.
That India just trashed Australia in that warm-up match, and everyone was like, "Oh, this."
Yeah, where
we are
Ashwin
looking
also
at the
picked like 3
champions.
wickets, I think.
When was the last time India did not do
Okay,
well in
I think
warm-up
it's
games?
gone, right?
Gone.
Gone.
Easy. So would you call it a struggle comes to an end for Rohit? Because
It's
I
a
don't think he's
warm-up
timed
match,
it.
come on.
No, but like this innings, I'm saying.
Yeah,
Still a struggle for him.
this is okay. This is the Sky number one because he's never played in Australia before.
Yeah.
That I'll have to say. I think the whole bowling attack probably.
Yeah.
Harshdeep, Harshal. The whole justification behind picking Harshal has been that
He's
he'll
a
make
wicket-
use of the longer
longer
boundaries. So
boundaries,
we'll
yeah.
actually get a chance to see whether he's efficiently making use of these longer boundaries, whether his bowling is effective on these kind of wickets.
Yeah.
And Harshdeep, because again he's also not
Oh.
played anywhere outside. Okay, he's
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
England and West
He's
Indies, right?
playing
So
England,
he's
West
not
Indies,
played in
yeah.
Australia. So these three and
I think some player
That's
like
it, I guess.
I
Who
think
else?
Pant or somebody, if they get to bat, right, it's their only chance to show.
But yeah, Pant.
So we have a question, sir. अर्शदीप का क्या रोल रहेगा वर्ल्ड कप में? क्या 11 प्लेइंग 11 में खेल सकते हैं? अर्शदीप ओने कैच छोड़ा था, बहुत बवाल हुआ. Yes, we agree with that.
See, Hunter Bajwa, Arshdeep is going to have a very crucial role for India. I mean,
Yeah.
I see him as the only proven all-phase bowler in the side at the moment.
So
Plus his left-arm angle and the variations that he can bowl. Forget about the drop catch. I'm okay if Arshdeep doesn't bowl a no ball because he has been susceptible to bowling a few no balls. Catch किसी से भी छूट सकता है. I mean, I don't think there is ever a fielder in the world who's not dropped a catch.
Yeah.
Even Gibbs has dropped. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the famous.
Yeah.
The all-phase thing is very true. Right now, India are looking at Shami is only good in the power play. Bhuvi can be good at the death, but he's always only reliable in the power play.
And Harshal is good only in the middle overs.
Cannot even bowl in the power play.
Yeah, exactly. In the middle overs is the only. Yeah.
And they don't have any other pacer in the reserves, do they? No, that.
Oh, Tim David off spin.
Oh my God. Here comes the X factor.
So they're basically
Mumbai's
throwing
Pollard.
all spin they can against.
So is this the first sign that Maxwell is dispensable? Tim David is starting to bowl.
No, but I mean, coming back to your question, of right-handed, like Australia are pretty. If you look at it, they don't have a left-hander till Wade.
Warner.
Yeah, but I mean.
No, I'm saying after Warner. But Maxwell effectively is a left-hander.
Yeah, but they can't play Agar against themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
Achha, okay. Yes. This is the question. Okay. So Ashton Agar in T20 versus RHB, his average 21 point, economy 6 against left-hand bat. Strike rate is still decent, but economy is slightly higher.
But still very good.
It's still very good.
If you look at someone like Jadeja and all, it's close to 8.5 or something. So yeah, but to be honest, Agar has not played like all these main big matches. If you can say, he's more slotted in mostly in the bilaterals here and there. So, and he's also played a lot in favorable conditions as well.
Yeah,
I think that's why they use him.
They pick him only when the conditions are
but still fair play.
Favorable.
If you're going to, wasn't he the number 2 or number 3 bowler in the world for a while?
Yeah.
So
he was.
Again,
I think after that South Africa game where he picked, I think 6-4.
Oh, that phase was that was a crazy phase.
That's when he was like indispensable. But after that
was when Australia were the best T20 side in the world.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic happened. They came back and they were the worst T20 side in the world
because they lost to Bangladesh.
Then the World Cup happened. Then they suddenly won the World Cup.
So now they are again the
best team in the world. And now they're favorites. And
So actually, that reputation sort of built on because they were too keen to just play Smith all the time,
Mm.
and then Cummins did not really lit up the IPL.
gone.
Is it gone? Is that? Oh,
Oi.
nice try.
Oh, that's
Nice
a very
try.
good
Yeah.
effort. This is 6 in indoor, isn't it?
No, not really. This gone in Indore.
This is 6 in, I think, Hagley Oval. Any of New Zealand venues, this is
Basin
6.
Reserve.
Yeah. It's pretty tight bowling. Oh, is it? Oh.
These are all wickets in India, but
Yeah.
again, this is a calculated chip, you can say, from
Yeah.
the
No,
batters.
it would have been funny if David got Kohli. Then David and Brevis, both of them would have got Kohli.
Okay, lads.
first
So
over.
105 was what we predicted. These guys have fallen 16 runs short.
And there is a substitution
Yes.
rating on the wings here. It's Cristiano Ronaldo who's going to be coming on.
So it's
warming
a
up the benches.
scoreless section.
Hello. Is it me you're looking for? I
And
can see it in your eyes.
I think there are a couple of people who are waiting as well. So I
see
just,
it in your smile.
Sean, if you can add them.
Yes, Gurkirat is waiting in the wings. By the way, Tim David's having a bowl. Is that just a play on Kohli's ego? Or is
No.
it just like, you know,
David bowls quite a lot. He bowled a lot in the Blast. He bowled.
didn't see it in the IPL, didn't see it in the PSL. Oh, here he is. Good morning, sir. How are we today? Looking sharp in the polo whites, even though it's a colored clothing affair.
Yeah, I mean, I was so worried about waking up early in the morning, like relatively early. It's not so early for me.
भाई
that-
तुमको उठ के घर पे ही रहना था. हमको तो उठ के रेडी होके ऑफिस भी आना था.
Traffic beat karna tha, bhai. Bangalore ka traffic.
And you
that's
had to
worse,
account
no
for Bangalore's
matchups in
traffic. No, but funnily enough, I woke up far more earlier than what I used to. Out of I don't know what, and then
No,
now
but
I was just
I was
getting ready.
actually telling my friends, like, I've never worked a 9 to 6 job because I've always had late start, late finish. But now, because of Australia time zones, it's honestly that. By the way, we have Sanket also joining us. Let's get Sanket on, who's a new friend, but should we say a long friend, hopefully, in terms of the World Cup. So, Sanket, if you are ready, join us and have fun with us in this watch along. And all of you guys, of course, get involved in the comments below. Sam, Introspect, I know all you guys are commenting, so we will take your comments one by one. And here we are. Here is Sanket, the man that we've all heard of, but now we're seeing for the first time. Bald and beautiful, like, of course, our beloved Somesh here. How are we this morning? Sorry for the banter, but that's just the theme of the show, Sanket.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think I was just listening to the conversation about Agar, and I think the thing that I would like to add is that I think Agar has to play against India. I think we have seen over the last few matches, or the last few months rather, how Indian batsmen have consistently struggled against slow left-arm spin bowling. They've got an entirely right-handed batting lineup, and once again, Agar is the one who's actually pulled this game back. Like, it was at one point, it appeared to be like India was set for a target of maybe 250, but I think now they're less than 9 runs and over. So I think Agar has once pulled it back, and he's been a very consistent performer for Australia for a long time in T20 cricket. And the only reason he was left out of the side was because of the team balance and not because of his own performances. So particularly against
Agar, he's coming into bowl here. I mean, he's such an important tool, right? Left arm spinners. Generally, we spoke about Nawaz, Akshar.
But who do you drop?
He's taking Kohli on, is he? Yeah, there's no chance. It's gone out of the ground, chappers.
Proper Xavier Doherty.
Virat Kohli is literally treating him like
Xavier Doherty. I mean, yesterday was the anniversary of that game when he finished Doherty's career. If I can say.
No. But I actually think that he played Doherty better in Nagpur, in the later on in the series when India had to chase 350 in Nagpur, and that was a much difficult pitch where the ball was.
This game I'm talking about was in Jaipur, right?
Yeah, the one you're talking about in Jaipur.
Yeah.
It was the anniversary of that game yesterday.
Yeah,
honestly, one of his better knocks.
But I think Sanket does have a point. So there is merit to what he says. I think the teams would be observing this, that it's good to play a left arm spinner against India, because at least the top 4 is identified.
Short.
And top 4 are sort of susceptible. All of them are not. I mean, if not really susceptible, are slightly slower on the slow left arm orthodox variety.
But Sanket, who would you drop?
I would leave out one.
If Agar is coming.
I would drop Stark. Personally, I would drop Stark.
Oh, that's a big call.
Fair enough. Fair call. Actually.
Yeah, but it's a fair call.
Yeah.
fair call. Yeah.
I mean, I think
Dan Weston said the same. I guess.
yeah, I think Anirudh. I
His
mean,
record against
since,
India is
since
particularly
since the start of last World Cup, if we can have Stark's numbers at the death specifically, because I think he's done well in the new ball.
Yeah, that's a shout out to our stats man Anirudh. So if
And he's
you're
only
listening,
pulling one over with
Yeah.
new ball these
And
days.
Sanket, apologies if you can just fix your camera. Your face is slightly getting cut.
yeah, for the aesthetics, my friend, just tilt the camera down and then we'll be sorting you out. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, that's a 4.
Perfect.
Right, so India, of course, motoring on. Two new batsmen, both in 13 of 9, funnily enough, Kohli and Suryakumar. And Aga, like Sanket has said, not having the best of overs, despite having a good first couple of overs. What else do we want to see in this warm-up? Gurkirat, I know you mentioned Shami, and if he leaves an impression in Rohit Sharma's mind, even though Rohit admitted that they pretty much have the 11 in their head against Pakistan, will Shami kind of be the cat amongst the pigeons?
Very difficult to say because I was just saying this on our space yesterday that
Yeah.
it's one thing to not play T20 format for 4 months, and it's completely another to not play any competitive cricket for 3 months. And Shami hasn't played any competitive cricket in the last 3 months, so we really don't know what we are going to get from him. So I think a lot will depend upon how Harshal goes today and in the next warm-up game. If Harshal doesn't improve, I think India's plan would be to try and take as many wickets with the new ball as possible, and then try and limit the damage at the death in the last 4 overs. So again, a lot would also depend upon how Shami is doing today.
So Harshal's pretty much that similar role, right? Where he just comes in 10th over and then he fins out from the middle to the death. Or do you think there will be separate plans because it's a warm-up and they want to experiment more?
See, I mean, it's no point predicting
Is he
what they're
mistimed
going to do in the
this?
warm-up
I
game.
think one bounce. Oh, yes.
So-
Thank God. Vasant Narayan going on to say, sorry, hi, as Gurkirat said, batting first is a nice option in Australia. Will we see the change in trend? We should. We want to see cricket which is unpredictable.
Yeah, see, and I think especially during the double headers, I think the games are at the same venue and the same pitch as well.
Yeah.
So I think and India play most of their game on the at the 1:30 p.m. IST slot.
Yeah.
So I think in those games we might see teams opting to bat.
But there
first.
won't be that 3-letter word, right? Due. I mean, not the 3-letter word. You guys just stop for a second. There won't be due, right? Sanket, Gurkirat?
Yeah, but there is a 4-letter word in West Indies Scotland game. Rain has stopped play.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
Just when we thought Scotland, and Gurkirat called Scotland correctly yesterday in the Twitter space as well, like one of the teams that he wants to see, and they've come to the fore so far. We've saw Namibia beat Sri Lanka, so hopefully more upsets. Good to see that lots of people are watching, so subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, the red button, and lots more watch-alongs. Not just the India games, but some key marquee fixtures. Me and Somesh have carefully penciled out, so hopefully
we
there's
will
more to
also
come.
release a watch-along schedule for everyone.
Oh, that is true. So 1 second.
So, Gurkirat, let me ask you
Yeah.
this. I mean, the table toppers of the group which has West Indies in it will be in India's group. So, yeah. So, which team would you think will be more challenging? West
Scotland.
Indies, Scotland, Zimbabwe, or Ireland?
That's actually a group of death, That's actually a group of death. Gurkirat, I think you're mute or we can't hear you.
Yeah.
I think a lot would depend upon which opponent India face where. So I think on venues if the West Indies qualifier group was not happening in Hobart, I would have actually been worried for West Indies because the kind of batting approach that they tend to follow is go big or go home in many ways, right? And at a venue like Hobart where boundaries are relatively smaller than say as compared to a Gabba or an MCG or maybe even Sydney, that can work with the square boundaries. So their batting might just bail them out over there. But overall, I think when they move to bigger venues, they'll really have issues because in Australian venues you just can't.
Sorry. It was just like another improvisation from Suryakumar which took my breath away. Go on.
Yeah, but in Australian venues you just can't look to hit sixes because it's as the last day told us, wherein the venue at Geelong, that the boundary dimensions play a huge role. And sometimes even if you connect it well, but if it's a 75 or an 80 meter boundary, it may not necessarily end up going to the boundary, and you could
Yeah.
end up getting caught.
So, Gurkeet, India are gonna play the toppers from that group at Melbourne.
Yeah, then I think then I think India should actually fancy themselves in Melbourne against West Indies, because barring someone like Alzari Joseph, who has pace and who's actually been bowling well, and Ubaid McCoy, I don't think there's a lot in that West Indies bowling that can challenge
No, but
India.
is there any other team apart from West Indies who would be a better bet
I don't think
against India?
because India smashed Scotland last year, and, whenever they
No,
played in the group Super 12s.
No, but India have been a really good minnow bashers recently, right? If you think about it,
You have Rahul in the team. What do you expect?
I mean, honestly, jokes apart though, but let's take one from cricket and numbers. Has there been a clear difference in impact of pure pace bowlers and medium pacers amongst all the talks of pace bowlers having an advantage in bouncy Aussie pitches? Now, you guys have done many pieces. You start the conversation off before we get Sanket and Gurkira, who eats his cereal politely.
So impact of pure pace bowlers and medium pace bowlers.
What's the trend? I mean,
like
you
I said,
watched a lot of Big Bash League.
yeah,
as
like I
well,
said the
right?
other day, if you watch the Big Bash League, it's not like I mean, the
But some
guys
like-
who are 150 plus, they have the ones who dominated have been genuinely good, like
Yeah.
Jai Richardson. Again, Jai Richardson not 150 plus. He bowls.
But some
late.
like Ellis.
Ellis again.
So
I'll come
actually,
to
see,
that.
so I think there is a difference.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
this question buckets two type of pacers. One is pure pace bowlers, and one is medium pacers.
Yeah.
What I feel is medium pacers to chhodi do. Medium pacers are like Stoinis maybe,
Okay.
but pure pace bowlers who have variations. So basically, who can confuse the batters that he might come up with a slower ball with a back of hand slow ball, or even a proper 140, 145 plus Yorker.
So in those kind of pacers, is in like maybe Harshal and Hardik.
Yeah, and even
Or
that is
short
the reason
Virat.
Ellis has done so well, because
Yeah.
I mean he can ball literally everything, whereas proper medium pacers is like Stoinis
But I
and
don't
Bhuvi
think they're
without swing.
asking about those kind of medium pace. It's probably the question I've interpreted as, what do you think the impact of a guy bowling 132, 134 versus a guy
Yeah,
who
but
bowls 140
so-
plus?
Let's put an example to this question.
Kane Richardson versus Andrew Tye, for example.
No, Mark Wood, who's obviously no variation but pure pace, and there's no
Versus
substitute for
like a
pace.
Mohammad Bhuvneshwar Kumar.
Yeah.
Gone.
Oh, gone. Virat's gone, and he's just literally perished to stark someone that Sanket was calling for. But look, we see these things happen in the warm-ups.
6 in India.
3 down, India
Not
122 for 3.
6 in India. I
We'll
think.
get back to cricket numbers in this question. In fact, we'll make a quick substitution because I absolutely have to take this right now. Akash will come in, and I'll be back shortly. Not just because Kohli's gone, but
Yeah,
because we know the reason.
So I think the question here is someone like a Mark Wood, who's a raw pace bowler, versus someone like a Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and let's say if the ball is not moving. But Bhuvneshwar Kumar with all his variations.
You need to be skilled. I mean, if you look at the BBL, the trend has been most of the guys, even if they are slow, the left armers have done really well. Berendorf, Ben Dwarshuis, Hayden Care last year,
Daniel Sams.
Daniel
Sams
Sams
picked
also.
what 40 wickets in a season.
And none of
Yeah.
these guys bowl more than 135
Yeah.
at max. So
I think Berendorf bowls 140, 140.
not after his injuries.
Yeah.
Maybe
But I think,
pre-injury.
this is the stat I think we put out yesterday as well, and Gurkirat, you might also be aware of this stat that I think at every venue, the left armers have done really well. I think there's only one venue in Australia
MCG.
where their
MCG.
balls per wicket is
MCG.
No,
more
average.
than
Average is I think the average. The strike rate in MCG is MCG is the only venue where the strike rate for left arm pacers is more than 20. At every other venue, it's below 18.5.
But MCG is a dead wicket for bowlers. There's nothing on MCG. It's
I
just
mean,
a
is there a team? Is there a top team with no left arm pacer? I mean, I can't think of any. I think apart from Sri Lanka, maybe, but they are not
No,
top,
they also
especially
had,
after.
no, they also had that guy, but
He's injured.
Zishan Madhushanka basically, so he got
I
injured.
think every
so-
team has at least one.
No, they replaced him with Binura Fernando, who's also a left arm, but he's not as quick as him. That's it.
The I don't know if there's been a conversation on this or not, but there are no reserve days for the qualifier round. So if the match between Scotland and West Indies gets rained out, it's
Yeah.
just 1 point each, and it's quite shocking if you ask me that there's no reserve day for the qualifying round, because anyway the margins are very minimal for these teams.
Very minimal.
They
So
don't have
There are
have a
all
lot
the
of.
qualifiers are at Geelong, right? Both groups.
No,
No,
Geelong and
Hobart.
Hobart.
Hobart and
Oh, so then
Melbourne.
they
Melbourne.
could have managed it, right? They could have easily had a reserve day because there is an off day at every venue.
I think
Yeah,
it's like
it should have been. I don't know why they haven't kept it. And that's what I'm saying. If West Indies were probably playing in Geelong, I would have been worried about them as well because of the way they bat. But Hobart boundary dimensions are such that their big hits might just help them.
No, but now it's changed. They have Brandon King and Shamar Brooks, and
who
also
can
I
play
think
spin
it's
well. Yeah.
Brandon
they're
King's
not no
bad
longer like
three.
what they were last year. Kind of they've changed the whole structure of the side, so
Yeah.
it's kind of changed.
Yeah, so Srinivasan has a point. He says MCG big ground spinners have a role. I think throughout this World Cup, we'll see spinners having a role. This is my opinion. We have this notion that Australia spinners won't be a big factor, but I think they will be a very big factor, especially if they are quality spinners. If you go back to the game yesterday, Sri Lankan pacers combined, I think all of them went for 9 and above, and both of the Sri Lankan spinners were, I think, less than 6.5, if I'm not wrong,
6.5,
somewhere
yeah.
close to it. So if the spinners have quality, no matter what ground
There-
it is, what
There's
conditions they have.
also something that our statsman Anirudh had dug up, that Gabba, which is supposed to be the best venue for pacers, spinners have the best average in Gabba, if I'm not wrong,
Yeah.
from the beginning of 2021.
And
So yeah,
finger
I mean,
spin particularly well.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, although we can't read a lot into all of this, but even today, I mean, hitting pace has been slightly easy than hitting spin. Even Tim David, I mean, it was difficult to get him, score boundaries against him. But coming back to Sanket, being an Australia fan, there is a general consensus that Australia are favorite for this tournament. But what are the red flags that you see?
Actually, I think one of the red flags that I think we had actually discussed when I think you had your preview show and I was there and I was watching it live. And I think you had dug up that stat about numbers against raw pace, and Australia's numbers were actually surprisingly poor, surprising to a lot of people, but not that surprising to me, because I have been watching this team over the last couple of years. Like, I mean, I've been watching this team for a number of years, but particularly over the last couple of years, I think there is, and this is an aging squad. You have to remember that. So David Warner is easily the best batsman in this squad and one of the best in the world. But even he has had his struggles against raw pace in recent times. Steve Smith is a great player of raw pace in Test match cricket, but he's not a T20 player. Then you've got Maxwell, who's probably again on pure pedigree is the second best T20 batsman, irrespective of his form. He's another guy who's got known issues against the hard lengths and short pitch delivery. Aaron Finch is obviously in decline. So yeah, I mean, there are a number of players in this lineup who are probably getting on a bit, and they have issues with their reflexes, perhaps against raw pace. I'm not saying it's entirely due to reflexes. There are technical reasons as well, but in general, I think the perception that Australia are great players of pace bowling, I don't think that necessarily holds true for this particular lineup. And the numbers clearly show that. So I think that is probably a bit of a concern. Like if they were to encounter someone like a South Africa, where you got some serious pace there, and South Africa, on the flip side, actually have the best numbers against raw pace among all the teams. So they would be easily in a position to neutralize the Australian quicks, who are all like 140 plus. So I think in that is a matchup that Australia would have to be particularly wary of, if Australia were to face them in a knockout situation. And even India for that matter. India don't have the bowlers, but their batsmen actually match up really well to the Australian quicks. Like all the three Australian quicks have pretty ordinary T20I records against India. That is one of the reasons why I said I would have Agar against India, irrespective of the pitch, because I just think that having two spinners is a better option than having three one-dimensional, 140 plus quicks. Because I think this Indian side plays pace really well.
Yep, I think I'll come back from one Aussie fan to the other, but here soft dismissal for Hardik and DK walks in. So that's a clear indication that Pant is not in the starting 11.
Yeah,
because I mean it's a 14th over mark.
Pant, Shami, Chahal, and Hooda are anyway marked 12 to 15 in the lineup that BCCI released today. Also, adding on to something what Sanket was saying.
But Gurgeet, does it really matter? I mean, I think it's a warm-up game. If they want Shami to bowl, he can bowl, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying it was in probably in terms of the batting order. So they already know. Maybe they know that what is their batting order anyway. So
Yeah.
just adding to what Sanket was saying, there's also a good possibility that if you go by how the seedings are, that India and Australia might meet each other in the semis, and that too in Sydney. So if you are anyway going to play at Sydney, then playing someone like Agar also adds make.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we cannot discount. I mean, it's a longish tournament. Even in the group stage, teams are gonna play 5 games, so there will be intra-tournament injuries. I think was it Jason Roy who was ruled out for England in the
last year, right? Yes.
last year,
James
and
Wins.
Injured while
Yeah,
batting against Africa.
yeah, and I
think
think that just completely changed the dynamics because they had to move things around
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that. I mean, I think Bairstow moved from the middle order to the top, and
Top
then
and James Wins was number 3.
and yeah, because Bairstow is someone who's flexible, playing top and middle, but they had to move that around, and it sort of hurt their plan. So again, I think the team will with better reserves are anyway better
true.
suited, and I think that is where one more thing. I mean, a squad of 15 is almost nothing.
Yeah.
At least in a tournament in a format like T20 and even ODIs. I mean, teams should be given a leeway to at least have one reserve player in the substitutes for every department.
But do you think there's no COVID protocols for this as strict as last year, right? So you think some team like India who have the power could have sent some players to play in some local leagues or grade cricket, and then whenever if in case they need a player, they could have just call them up immediately, right? Instead of just sending.
Yeah, but knowing how the BCCI operates, they hardly do that.
No, they hardly do that. I'm saying that's a pretty good option that they missed out on.
It is for sure.
Because I mean, they didn't include Iyer and Bishnoi.
Generally, if the BCCI let their players play all the overseas leagues, imagine how far ahead India would have been in terms of a cricket.
No, but that's not a guarantee.
Yeah,
I mean, they're
One
still
more
by
thing.
far.
Yeah, go on, Sanket.
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add to the earlier discussion about the type of pace bowlers that succeed in Australia. I think a lot of it depends on the venue, and I think Alagappan Vijay Kumar. I think a lot of you must be knowing him on Twitter. He's been doing some analysis regarding the venues in Australia. So I think how it goes is that at venues with bigger square boundaries, that is where the out and out quicks have a better chance because they can then use their strengths and bowl back of a length and then utilize those long boundaries. And at a place like MCG where the ball doesn't come onto the bat as quick as say a Perth or a Brisbane, even the medium paces have a chance because they can take the pace off the ball and the ball doesn't quite come onto the bat, and then you've got long boundaries to protect in the deep as well. So that is probably the one venue where I think someone like a Harshal Patel may have a chance because he bowls his slow deliveries into the pitch. However, if the square boundary is short, like in a venue at Sydney, I think that is when I think you need a bit of pace because you need to be able to bowl fuller.
Even Adelaide.
No, but having said that, we saw that in Optus, the first game between England and Australia. England were bowling those slower balls. Australia were also bowling those slow balls, and they're getting wickets. So it's not a guarantee that. A venue where there is high pace, that means only pacers will get wickets.
Sydney, there is generally assistance with the new ball as well. So that is a venue where someone like Bhuvneshwar Kumar may enjoy, for example.
Yeah. I think the 3 venues that should be in focus are anyway Sydney, Adelaide, and MCG because that's where the 2 semis and the final is.
6.
Yeah.
India
and
not
I think
playing
India
at Brisbane.
pretty much all them those 2 venues. Apart from I think the Perth match against South Africa, I think they're playing all their matches over there.
I mean, by now India know all the venues of at least Australian venues by.
Yeah, I think all except Optus because I don't think India have ever played a test there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
No,
they played in
India
2018. They played in 2018.
But I think that was at
Waka.
No, that was at Perth.
That was at Waka, I think.
No, that was at Optus. That was at
Optus.
Yeah, that was at Optus. Very nice to hear the discussion. I hardly get to hear commentary full on garbage.
What a 100 by
full on
Kohli in that game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
a top 100. It was really a tough.
That was the celebration with this, right?
Yeah, I think it like in that year, Kohli had Edgbaston 149, Centurion 153, and Perth 123. And I personally think that his 100 at Perth was much better than the other 200s.
Yeah, definitely. I
think he walked out also when it was 2 for 8 or something.
Something like that. I mean, and Hazelwood, Cummins, they were like bowling like machines.
Yeah.
No, they always bowl like machines.
That was ridiculous. By the way, so we're going to see Pant, right? I know like Rohit might have thinking right now, just
No, I
get
think-
Karthik some more time in the middle.
That's
But-
what he said. No, they've already finalized saying that this is the
Actually,
level.
I
They
would
can still change it.
instead of Pant, I would rather send Akshar now. I mean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
he will be
I would
useful,
have
and
actually
he's-
sent Akshar in place of DK at this point of time.
I mean, yeah, potentially, or even Sky can retire after this over, maybe, because he's already had a decent knock against Western Australia, and there's one more warm-up game to go. Because I think Akshar is someone who's going to play all the games,
yeah,
and India will need his batting at some point of time.
100%, man. And that too in key games, you don't want Akshar to be kind of not that well oiled with the bat in hand. So let's see if he gets his role as well. 5 overs left, guys. 138 for 4. And Surya Kumar Yadav doing Surya Kumar things, honestly. It was a shit ball and it deserved 4. And Stoinis now conceding, 24 for 7 balls that he's bowled. Vasan Narayan saying, we see in the Namibia versus Sri Lanka where slow deliveries change the pace, got wickets. I think in general, Harsh should type to do well, to be smart, to take it. I mean, yeah, completely agree. Something that Sanket was mentioning. But then it comes down to catching, right? Because yesterday, Namibia was superb. Even Sri Lanka, I think if that Kusal Mendes catch comes to mind, but their outfielding in general. I think Shanaka just dropped 1, but still.
But I think the UAE skipper Rizwan, I think
he dropped
the
a catch.
sitter, and they were. I mean,
they would have won the game, I think.
It's sort of they sort of assumed that this is going to be the turning point of the game, and later on also, I mean, I listened to him speaking to the comms. He was really sad, and it was a moment. I mean, it really matters to these teams, and that's good to see.
That is great to see, honestly.
But what games yesterday? I mean, they set up the World Cup brilliantly.
Do you think that's the pattern we're going to see in the tournament? 160, 150 kind of scores.
Yeah, I would actually love that. And that would actually.
I don't think it's going to be 150. I think that's way too low. I think
150 is too
low,
but 160, 170,
yeah.
and
no, but on
teams defending that.
I think 170.
No, on games where on days where there are 2 games in the same venue, we could possibly even see 160.
Yeah.
So
we're literally playing Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne.
Yeah. So Melbourne is one ground we should know pretty well.
And final as well at MCG.
And I think
I'm actually excited about Harshal in Melbourne because when Harshal delivered for RCB, he didn't bowl in the Chittiswam. He bowled at Chepauk where it was larger grounds. And every time it was like a Hebo, Cow's Corner, and then he was getting wickets. So like Sanket said, like if he can really execute the variations that he has.
So India are going to play potentially Sri Lanka at Sydney and maybe West Indies at Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is going to be very.
Pakistan is probably going to play Sri Lanka at Perth. That's a venue that will suit Pakistan a lot more.
By the way, guys, a quick update score on the Scotland-West Indies game. 52 for none, and then rain intervened. But now rain is stopped, so play will resume in another 4 minutes. Watch out for that because Scotland are going absolutely mad at the top. And we expect more things from Scotland. They showed what they were made of in previous years.
Padded up there?
Oh, that would be funny. That would
don't
actually be funny.
I think Akshar was.
But even Harshal should be padded up.
Should be,
in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think he was. Left-hander.
Oh, it's ridiculous. By the way, follow us on social media because at the end of the day, we're putting out all the mini clips of the watch-along stats and all the other things that you guys want to know.
And Avnish sometimes uses at the end of the day as a filler, but today he literally means it.
Yeah, literally. Because like I mentioned before, all the timings are earlier compared to the normal 7 p.m. starts that we've had in the last 1 year. Honestly, I was just getting sick of those shows, which was IPL and then the World Cup last year.
It's not just us who are used to this India timing. I was speaking to Dan yesterday, and he also somehow assumed that games are going to start at 7 p.m. India time. I told him, no. It's 1:30 p.m. India time. This is in Australia.
Overdose of.
But there's a good possibility that for the next 3 weeks, Avnish will have to miss out on a lot of his late night parties.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, it'll probably be like more hectic drinking towards the day, but drinking responsibly. My Nimbu panis and my coffees and my hot chocolates. Iced Americanos. None of the boozy elements for sure. But good to see 23 people watching right now. And there's more people, of course, hitting us on Twitter. Feel free to, of course, ping us so we can feature you all in the tweet box. Sid Malhotra going on to say, Sky kidhar ki bhi. Go on, so.
Sky kidhar ki bhi ball.
Kidhar maar deta hai. Sky is the limit. Of course. I mean,
So out of all the Sky shots that he has, guys, here's a question for the panel: which is his best?
The inside out shot that goes over square leg.
No, that's Rudolph and not.
No, but
that's
that's but I don't feel that goes
Yeah,
over third man.
I think the one shot that stuck in my mind is the pickup that he hit of Shaheen Afridi last year when he was going through the Indian top order, and then he just came out and counter-attacked. It was a brief innings, but there were some really good shots in that.
Was that the one where he kind of got nearly taken at the boundary?
No. It's in the power play where he, I think, cleared.
But I think, see,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sky set the tone on the very first ball that he faced in T20, and that six of Jofra Archer was really
Yeah.
swagat nahi karoge hamara bhai.
No, but I think like I was mentioning this, the 100 that he hit in England this year. There were two shots that he played to Jordan, or I think one of them was to Jordan and the other was to.
Are you talking about one that went over point?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so the one went over point and the other one went over cover. So I was just talking about this to someone. I think what makes also Sky very good is that he has incredibly fast hands. Like his hands are as fast as Butler's. Because if you see sometime Butler playing through the offside, he doesn't move his feet. His back leg is almost stuck on the crease, but he just uses his hands and manages to clear the infield. So I think that is one aspect of T20I batting, which I think batters going forward will have to develop that, because if you want to premeditate a lot, you really can't get your footwork correct at all times. So you probably need to have incredibly fast hands and very good reach. So I don't think Sky can do much about his reach given his height, but I think with his fast hands he actually compensates a lot for it.
Yeah, and I think having fast hands generally help a lot in life. So it's always good to have those.
I think it also boils down to having a steady head.
Yeah, steady head and fast hands.
Yeah.
What a combo!
Yeah, because
So I
Butler's go-to is that, right? His head is very stable, so he can access all part of. That's with all hitters, I think. Even Tim David has a very steady base.
Even Sehwag.
Yeah.
Oh, shot, DK. Cow corner. Oh, but there's a man
This
there.
would have
Why
been
am I
six.
so soon?
Talking about
Oh
cows.
my God.
This was
This would have been
every
six at
Indian.
most venues in the world, let alone India.
Yeah.
How big is his boundary in Gabba? It's ridiculous.
I'm just glad that India are not playing in Brisbane, and I mean just one game. I think no, 2 games doing the
Two
group
warm-up.
stage.
So who's going to come in right now? Pant, Akshar, Harshal. Quickly, guys.
Akshar. I think
I'd
Akshar
like
was-
to see Akshar.
Yep.
Akshar it is.
Yeah, and I think he'll probably face a couple of overs of Stark and Cummins.
Yeah, it is Akshar, I think. Yeah.
That will be good
You're right,
practice.
Oh wow! Have you seen Rohit dive like this?
Yeah, don't just fly Emirates.
So Shubh and I
If
were
you know, you know.
Shubh and I were discussing now. Whenever Rohit gets run out next, and there was a chance he would have been saved if had he dived. People are going to use this.
Yeah.
Had he flown rather.
साले ad में dive मारते हो actual
They've
match
already
में
used that movie, this thing, no, for injury. So
That's also
I don't understand the point of Richardson bowling these overs when he's not in the starting 11. It should be Stark and Cummins who should be getting practice, getting better at the depth, which they've been quite poor at for a long time.
Yeah.
and it is Akshar Patel. So definitely India want to go with the
And
top
since you've
7.
observed it, it actually tells us that you are a proper Aussie fan. Here we are wondering Aksar ki batting आएगी, Harshal ki batting आएगी, and
I mean, I actually think that
that's the good part of being an Indian fan. No, you're always second guessing.
Yeah.
You know that management won't be with you. Like, oh,
no, but I
who's
think
gonna
Rohit
be-
Sharma said that at the toss that they were pretty certain what their starting 11 is. So
yeah.
I think we'll probably have an idea of it by the end of this game, depending on how they use their bowlers.
But Rohit is a good bluffer, so you can't really believe him.
everyone
What is
in
what-
everyone in India management is a good blubber. It comes from it's top down.
Top down.
But I think the only situation in which there could possibly be changes if Harshal Patel gets hammered in both these games, because he's been struggling for a long time, right? So it's not like just one game or 2 games. He's been struggling.
And the dip from his slower ones has gone out of the window. Like we actually did a show on this. Not only his Yorker percentage has gone down, he's attempting the same number of Yorkers, but he's nailing far fewer Yorkers. In the IPL, he was nailing 40% of his Yorkers. Around 25% of his all deliveries were either Yorkers or full tosses. And he was,
I saw a stat. So basically, in the IPL this year, while bowling at the death, the economy rates of Mohammad Shami was 9.64 and Harshal Patel was 9.57. So Shami is seen as someone who's a power play specialist who cannot bowl at the death, and Harshal is seen as someone who's exclusively a backloaded bowler, and they have similar economy rates. Now I think there is a slight catch here because Shami has nearly bowled half the overs of Harshal, so he was only generally being used for
Yeah,
one.
and I think Harshal's
Big
wicket
wickets
taking
also, yeah.
ability is what basically helps at the other end. See, this is
Yeah.
something that the data will never be able to tell if someone's performance actually helps the bowler at the other end. Because even if he's going at nines and over and is literally picking a wicket every over, it will help Bhuvi or Arshdeep who is bowling at the
That's
other
where
end.
Arshdeep, I think, comes in a picture, right?
Yeah.
Like you said, like he
And I think, yeah,
helps
see,
the other person.
so
with
this
the-
is, I just want to elaborate on the point that Gurkirat made. So there's a misconception that dip basically is dependent on breeze and all that. But I think Shane Warne used to say this a lot. Dip actually depends on the revs that you provide on the ball. So maybe, maybe due to injury or whatnot, he's not been able to impart the number of revs that he was earlier, and hence the dip is gone.
But you talk about great dip
Ooh.
bowlers, Bravo, Malinga, at least in this format.
Yeah.
And they, not necessarily you would think that they impart that much revs, but they still had their bearings, right? If that.
No, but I
makes
think, see, on TV you would never know. Even in the ground, you never know.
Unless
the
you have that
revs.
spin vision
Yeah,
angle.
for
right?
revs, you actually have to be the non-striker or the umpire, where you can. I think I've heard a lot of players say that when Shane Warne used to release it, you can actually hear the ball
The whiz,
fizzing
yeah.
or whizzing.
Yeah, I mean, but
Yeah,
with bowlers like Harshal, do you think it's unfair to like talk about economy rates because he's a wicket taker? So his job is to bowl those kind of like overs where he'll go for runs, but he'll pick wickets. So I mean, Bravo also same. You don't talk about economy rates with Bravo.
Yeah, 3 for
There is
38.
Yeah.
a problem with India in that they have like two bowlers of the same type. Like they're also picking Chahal for the same reason, like because he's a wicket taker and he goes for runs.
Yeah.
So eventually, if you half your side with those kind of bowlers, and if on a day where they don't pick wickets and they just go for runs, then you're really then
See-
the others will come in for a lot of leather hunting. So I think if they're probably going to go down that route, then they have to probably go for a more defensive spinner in Ashwin. If that is what the idea
Oh,
behind.
shots guy. That's surely going all the way.
Yeah.
It has.
Also,
It's
so
barely
here's something that I want to add upon on the economy rate front. See, whenever we talk about batters in T20, right, we will never not talk about their strike rates.
Like
Right. So
yeah.
similarly, I don't think we can ignore economy rates regardless of how many wickets a bowler takes, because
100%.
that is essentially what is governing the game. And I don't
Agreed.
think you can ignore economy rates even in ODIs. Maybe in test matches you can, but at the same point of time, if you look at any test bowler who's probably had more than 300 test wickets, you will eventually find out that all those test bowlers also will have an economy rate of under 3. Like the ones who go for an economy rate of over 3 will probably not have those many test wickets. So I don't know, maybe it's a correlation or not, but my feeling is that good bowlers, regardless of what the format is, they never try and buy wickets. They will always stick to controlling the runs or doing their basics, and they'll know that the wickets will come. If not at their end, then maybe at the other end, because you'll see this even in the flattest of conditions when other England bowlers are bowling and Anderson is bowling in England. Anderson will rarely ever have an economy rate of more than 2.2. Forget having an economy rate of 3 or 2.5. So I think
Unless he's bowling to left-handers.
yeah.
or Rishabh Pant.
No, left-handers. I can prove that.
Even this year, I think when India scored 400 in the first innings, they scored at a very rapid rate, and Anderson went for 2.5 and over and picked a 5
Yeah.
for.
And
that was
I think, see, a bowler's
Probably
ability to take wickets is far more beneficial in the first few overs rather than the last. First 6 rather than the last 6.
and
Because
that is
where
again
you set up the game.
that is where
So
again
I think, I
again
totally
why
agree
I-
that
like
Harshal's
Harshal-
high economy rate cannot just be hidden behind his wicket taking skills
Also
unless and
now-
until he's picking wickets in the 8th over or the 10th over or something like that.
Also,
that is
now
why
that
I think
we-
why Harshal's wickets are of use, because they mostly come in the back half of the game, right?
Yeah.
You really bowled at the back of the game.
I also have a view that strike rate in T20 specifically should be changed to runs per over for a batter, because that helps you understand a lot better. Like a strike rate of
That's what I wanted to
135
ask.
can be deceiving.
Yeah.
A strike rate of 135 can be deceiving, right? But what you need to know is that
and
a
I think
strike rate
strike rate itself can be changed to runs in per 120 balls.
No,
So that would
I
also
wouldn't
tell
be in
you
favor
that.
of that. I think they were showing some graphic during the 100, which was runs per ball or something like that, and I was like having a really tough time comprehending it. So I think we're
See,
just
I
used
would
to
really see even in ODIs and T20s, if they change it to runs per 120 runs in 120 balls and 300 balls, that will give you a clear idea that
Yeah.
if the entire team bats how a specific batter is batting, this is the total that they'll have.
Mm.
So that will be very. I think that will be very articulate.
But do you think for that the viewers also have to be at that level? I mean,
But
I'm saying, are they already at that level?
See, but
is a
it's
question.
easier to understand that because everyone knows about a projected score. That score that a team is going to put up in 20 overs. So it's easier to understand ki a batter X, the way he's batting in 120 balls, he'll score this. So that means the team would score these many runs in 20 overs. So you don't have to learn a new variable.
If you
By
want
the
to
way-
make it more uniform across both white ball formats, just replace it with runs per over for every batter.
And you never know, like that could happen in due course of time. Now, just to have a little side chat here, because New Zealand are taking on South Africa in the other warm-up game. 72 for 4 are New Zealand after 15 overs. Kane Williamson, 3 of 12.
I mean, they are playing a different format. I mean, New Zealand.
They're 65 for 5 according to Crickbuzz.
Oh, okay. Really?
So we
After
are
11.
ahead.
I don't know, honestly. Look, it's what.
65 for 5 after 11. Less than
Don't know
run.
what's happening with
Okay, so yeah,
Technical
No,
difficulty.
So technically, so I mean,
Apologies.
one thing that we can align on is New Zealand are off to a torrid start.
Yeah.
It's,
And
it's,
they're not even
94
in a bad-
it's 94 for 8 on Cricket.com.
So yeah, I mean, nothing
Ramsey
changes.
had a torrid time against India. Is 2 overs, 1 maiden, 3 runs, 2 wickets.
Yeah.
And where are they playing?
They are
At Brisbane,
playing
they're playing at the other venue, which is the
at
Allen Border.
Field in Brisbane,
Allen
Okay.
Border.
which is a
Border,
venue in
okay.
cricket.com. I mean, cricket 22.
Yeah, maybe
What cricket
maybe
are-
that's the venue that they developed to practice before a subcontinent tour. Maybe.
But
No, they-
strange, really. And there's Zimbabwe Island after this, West Indies, Scotland. You guys can catch it on cricket.com. Honestly, like, I was just reading, like, so I didn't refresh my page, but we're up to date. It was my bad. 174 for 5, by the way. India. Oh, it's
Oh.
Stark. He's bowled it on the second pitch.
That should be a no ball, but no, it pitched
No, that-
on the pitch.
It's
So-
switched on the pitch.
Oh, it's a
Can India go touching 200 with Surya there? Even though it doesn't matter.
Imagine asking this question after 5 overs. Can India get to 200?
I think India
Oh,
should. I think
geez,
India should
pitch
just
to the
rest
pitch.
Surya for the next game.
For the next over.
I don't want the law of averages to catch up against Pakistan because I think India really need to win. India need to start really well.
Yeah,
They need to start early.
If
Momentum.
they
Focus
lose
is, I think,
Pakistan,
terrible
the
for
South
the
Africa game
Indian
becomes a must-win.
No, but then what if those points are shared because all the forecasts
Yeah.
are suggesting there's going to be rain, and how will that help, or what will that do to the group? Because then India, South Africa become almost a virtual knockout, and
Both.
Pakistan, South Africa become
Yeah,
a knockout.
exactly. Both of them. become
I
knocouts.
think if that game is a washout, it will benefit South Africa because they will just have to beat either one of India
Yeah.
and Pakistan to just go through.
Which is ridiculous. And South Africa came so close. Remember they crashed out in the Super 12s group last time around, and they got some good wins
Yeah,
out of
due
their
to
belt.
run
They
rate.
won all the games. But they
No,
They
only
lost to
Australia.
Australia,
Only
yeah.
Australia.
And that was
has
also a close game.
yeah,
so they went out in net run rate.
yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Oh, he's hitting the
But then I
fence.
think
But they could have
Wow.
done better against Bangladesh and West Indies. They could have actually finished those chases off much earlier. Like against
But would you
West
is it-
Indies,
is
if
it
I'm not
hindsight?
wrong,
one thing
Is
that
it
might
hindsight?
be a
Because at that time, I think South Africa was, not
Clear
considered
favourites.
favorites, and still they went on to win 4 games.
one thing
No,
that
but
might be
see-
a yeah.
yeah, see, if you look at the group that South Africa were in with England, Australia, West Indies, and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh, that was the group of death. So when you were in a commanding position, you had to make sure that you win with a good enough margin. And I think Rassie van der Dusen's innings against West Indies was quite a slow one. They could have easily finished that chase off earlier, and they could have against Bangladesh too. And and that it may not have eventually helped them because they could have lost to Sri Lanka. They just barely managed to win that game because Rabada came and hit a 6, and then when they needed around 15 and 5 balls. Then Miller hit 2 sixes.
Miller took down Kumara.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I
I think yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just watching the game yesterday, UAE Netherlands, and the way Maxwell O'Dowd was batting, it felt like he's actually trying to chase this down quickly, because he knew that there has been an upset in the other game, and Netherlands actually have a good decent chance now to qualify. But that sort of ended up hurting them. They could have easily lost that game as well.
But he did his bit. I mean, the rest of the batsmen really collapsed. He actually went and he played some great shots as well.
No, but it was a very good spell also.
Focus for the Sri Lanka Netherlands
Junaid?
game is
Junaid, yeah.
the
Junaid
forecast for the
Siddiqui.
Sri Lanka Netherlands game is actually terrible. Like, so that day could get washed out. So if Netherlands win tomorrow against Namibia, and Namibia won
Sri
by
Lanka
half
out.
in Sri Lanka, so there is a good chance Sri Lanka miss out. Even
Because
like
even the run, even the net run rate is screwed up after the big loss.
And I don't think that they have the batting to like beat UAE by a big margin, unless they bowl first and bowl them out for 70, 80, something like that.
Bro, but that's so weird that we're talking about them, the guys who literally won the Asia Cup.
So point is they adopted the same template. उनको लगा एशिया कप इसलिए जीतते हैं क्योंकि पहला मैच में बुरी तरह हारे. तो उनको लगा कि चलो वर्ल्ड कप में भी यही ट्राई करते हैं. But I think
here's the thing. I'm not taking anything away from Sri Lanka after they won the Asia Cup. But if you look at the number of matches that Sri Lanka, India and Pakistan have played in last 1 year, India have played 40 T20 internationals and they have won 29. Pakistan have played 31 and they have won 21. Sri Lanka have played 26 T20 internationals in last 1 year and they have only won 12 out of them. And out of these 12, 5 of those wins came in the Asia Cup. So outside of the Asia Cup, in the last 1 year, Sri Lanka have been struggling in that in this format. So I think it's again goes back. I actually get that shirt on for every show that I do. I actually need to get a shirt on for these watchalongs, because I invariably end up saying that it's a fickle format, but it is a fickle format. I mean, there are so many examples of it that you keep seeing. So
12 out of 26, I think that's
shot boy.
Till the time you don't get a shirt, maybe we'll put a banner here so that it's visible to everyone.
T20 is
and you
a
can just
fickle
point
format.
it. Read that.
12 out of 26, I think that's much better than what Sri Lanka had like maybe 2-3 years back. So I think they've still improved compared to what they were back then. Because 50%, like that's almost still decent for a team like Sri Lanka. Because I think 2 to 3 years ago they were struggling to beat the likes of Zimbabwe. Now they've just lost to Namibia, so you never know. But I think the overall,
I mean, even if you look at the groups, right? We just mentioned the West Indies, Scotland, Ireland, Zimbabwe group. That's definitely like the tougher group to get out of. And maybe it's a blessing in disguise he's gone. That's the most tame, innocuous cotton bowl you'll ever see in life.
And Richardson can't
believe it. He's having a laugh. Honestly, he's having a laugh. Surya.
He's like he should have deposited it there.
But another great knock from Surya.
In Kavan Park.
33 ball 50, not to his standards, but he was. I mean, honestly. But Richardson also doing a world of good for himself. 3 for 24. Just coming back to that qualifier group, imagine the stories of Namibia and Netherlands getting out of that group. Because then what it will do is Netherlands will come to our group if they finish second.
Yeah. And think about Namibia. I mean, 2 back-to-back tournaments where they would have come out of the qualifiers and into the main tournament.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere yesterday, and I totally agree with this. I mean, just think about the state of cricket in African continent as a whole. South Africa doing well, Namibia doing well, Zimbabwe are also sort of
only
resurrected.
Time for Kenya to
come back from the ashes. The good old Thomas Adoyo days.
One more thing that I'd like to add about the potential washout against Pakistan for India. I think you might be pleased to hear this, but the last time when India won the 2007 World T20, their first match was washed out.
The signs are there from the universe. What a shot that is from Ashwin. Beyond point for 6.
This takes me to the entire Dhoni era, where we actually used to look at such examples. कि भाई ICT event जीतने के लिए एक tie होना जरूरी है. There should be at least one washout and things like that. Yeah.
And actually, this has happened like 3 times. In 2010.
Yeah, and that is where I was actually skeptical about the 2013 Champions Trophy in semis and the final. कि भाई एक भी मैच हारे नहीं है, एक भी मैच tie नहीं हुआ, एक मैच wash out नहीं हुआ.
Ashwin this time I think perishes. Yes, he's gone.
6 of 2.
6 of 2 still taken. No wonder he's a pinch hitter for Rajasthan. So India ends their first innings 186 for 7. 87 is generally not a number which sits well with Australia, but they have to chase 187 down. Sorry, Gurkirat, go on.
Yeah, I also think that when if we are looking at the batting depth point of view, uh, given the kind of batter Ashwin is and given the kind of batter Harshal Patel is, I won't. I think that Ashwin might add a lot more with the bat than what a Harshal would do,
Yeah.
because Ashwin has classic cricketing shots to play off the back foot. In Test matches, uh, a lot of times when you see Ashwin bat, and in recent memories, the first innings at Joburg, where India were dismissed for 200, Ashwin scored a very good 46, and that was primarily because he could play shots of the back foot and square off the wicket. So uh, it's logically, I don't see how India leave out Ashwin regardless of which opponent they play or wherever they play, because
I fully agree.
But I think
I agree
one of Harshal and or Ashwin has to play, because
I think Ashwin-
otherwise it's just a very long tail.
Ashwin came at number 8 today. Is that an indication that he might be ahead of Chahal in the packing order?
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah.
and then potentially they'll definitely play Shami because of
No,
obvious
but
reasons.
that's I don't think. I mean, they don't trust Chahal's batting anyway. I don't think any team trusts Chahal's batting. So
No, but if-
1 second, guys. So basically, introspect saying under par finishing. Fully agree with you. India were 138 for 4 in 15 overs. So the last 5 overs just yielding 49 runs, albeit it's a warm up game. Something to think about. We've just switched our television set right now to the Scotland West Indies game. George Munsey's still there, 35-29. And it's beautiful, beautiful Hobart, the land of Ricky Ponding that it is. Is this a Belrive Oval? Or is they playing?
yeah, it is the ability.
Okay.
no, they're playing at Belrive.
The land
it's
of
not all
Tim Payne.
Blunt's
The land of Tim
Payne.
Payne. So Richard Barrington, who's of course a good friend of Pramod, Mr.
I thought you were gonna
Pramod.
say good friend of cricket.com.
Oh, and here's a good friend of Shiki D in the Punjab
यार
Kings outfit.
मैं जब
Dean
भी
Smith.
ओडिन स्मिथ को देखता हूँ मेरे को ना वो यही याद आता है, पता नहीं क्यों.
The meme.
Dean Smith might do well in
So guys,
Australia. because
your
of his-
your mid innings thoughts, because we'll have to say bye to you for now, and we'll definitely add you back at a later stage. But
Short.
what are you looking forward to in the second innings?
Yeah, I think hopefully some runs from Glenn Maxwell. I think that's probably the only real concern for Australia heading into the World T20. I'm not too keen about Aaron Finch because I think he's clearly getting on, but I think Maxwell still has a lot to offer. And if it's a matter of one innings because he was scoring runs even like 2 to 3 months back. So he's just had like a bad stretch of 10 innings. It's not that he's washed or something. So one innings, and I think that could just be what might just springboard him into a great World Cup.
That whole middle order generally just is very scary. Maxwell, Stoinis, David, if they all come to the
Inglis.
fore, and Inglis, it's ridiculous. Especially if,
3 out of 4 with an
Yeah,
RCB connection.
I want to see
Makes sense why he said dangerous.
and Finch
I want to
also.
see a good innings from I want to see a good innings from Steve Smith, because
I was expecting that. I was expecting that.
Wow.
because,
The DC
because
represents.
if that happens, then it creates a bit of a problem for Australia, because I think
Yeah.
as of
I
now
mean-
they have decided
Yeah,
that Smith is not a part
Maybe
of their first.
I would want to ask Sanket this before I mean later at a later stage I will ask Anirudh the same question, who's also an Aussie fan.
Oh, is he?
Is there any explanation why Steve Smith still is around the T20 side? Because I mean Australia are ruthless in this selection and they will drop Steve Smith. I mean he definitely is not in their first 11, which is quite clear. But is there a reason he's still part of the squad?
Is
Do you see any merit in that?
recognized
Actually,
by
I don't agree with this whole theory that Australia are ruthless. I think that is very much a thing of the past. And I think they've shown over a
But they're
number of
still more ruthless than
Other teams.
every other
they
team.
have been like carrying players, and I think it's just the fact that they don't want to make changes, and it's not even Steve Smith. I think they did not even replace Kane Richardson, who was just a reserve player in the last year's tournament when Nathan Ellis wasn't the man in form. Although Richardson has not been doing too badly, he's had a decent 100, but I think Nathan Ellis was clearly the better option heading into this tournament based on form and the kind of performances that he had shown for Australia as well as in the T20 blast in England and the 100. But they just believe that they'll stick to the winning combination. So even if a player has not necessarily contributed to that winning combination, but just because they don't want to make too many changes, they want to keep the same setup. So the only change that they made was, I think they had to do it, was Tim David, because he had been pretty much made himself an irresistible case for himself with all his performances in the IPL and PSL and all the leagues that he's been playing. So I think that was one where their hand was forced. But other than that, I think they've been very rigid with regards to their selection in all formats for a long time now. So But yeah, I think it's at least encouraging that they've shown the willingness to drop him from the starting 11. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually has a good innings today, because he generally does well against India. Even last year, I think in the warm-up match, he scored a 50 after a collapse. And yeah, if that creates a bit of a selection conundrum, although really shouldn't, but I mean, I'm sure that that's something that Indian fans would be quite happy about. I'm not too sure about it.
Delighted about, not just
Everyone,
happy
everyone.
about, for sure.
I think if there is a player against whom a strategic drop is warranted, it's Steve Smith.
Steve Smith. As cheeky as that sounds.
और
But
विलियमसन
Williamson.
Williamson तो
Williamson
semis में आ ही नहीं रहा
Babua, Williamson, all strategic
3 of
drops.
12, 3 of 12 today for Williamson. So back to his usual stuff. Like he played a good innings in the final against Pakistan. He only performs in finals these days. Like last year in the World T20, he
Yep.
was terrible throughout, and then just suddenly came out of nowhere and scored 81 or 40 balls or something.
इस बार फाइनल खेलने को भी नहीं मिलेगा.
But one sec, Sanket, just to finish this Australia chat and let you go. They won the World Cup last year without having any form going to the tournament. They didn't have Tim David. Does this automatically make them win this competition in everyone's heads before balls being bowled in the tournament? The fact that they're playing at home, the fact that they literally tick all the boxes. We did a video of it also in Decode where they have all the perfect subtleties. Do you think that's the case where they stand head and shoulders above the rest?
No, as I said, I think the very fact that Australia won last year when no one expected them to, I think that should be more than a reason enough to guard caution this time around when they're expected to win, because generally the favorites don't win, as I think we've already spoken about that. And secondly, as I said, even on a technical level, I think there are enough holes in this side that could be exploited. Maxwell's form is obviously one. The general weakness against high pace, and obviously the bowling at the depth, which has been quite ordinary. It was good today, but in general, it's been an area of concern. Like almost the economy rate is almost as bad as India's over the last few months. So yeah, I think that I mean it's a matter of one game at the end of the day in T20 cricket. Even if you win all the matches and then you lose, have one bad day in a knockout. So I mean, it can never be too certain. But yeah, I think even in general, I don't see Australia as overwhelming favorites or anything. I think there are like 3 or 4 teams that can realistically win this tournament. Say Australia, India, South Africa, and England, and probably Pakistan at a real push. But I think they would probably need some extraordinary contributions from Babar Azam for that.
Yeah, fair calls those. Just before we say bye to you, we'll just get Gurkirat's final word, because I think Som asked in terms of what are you expecting.
Yeah, I mean from the Indian
perspective. You mentioned Shami there. You mentioned Harshal there. What's your key requirement as an Indian fan / management person?
7 years of experience.
See, you'd like to see Shami pick wickets up front, because I think that is why he's been drafted into the squad.
But then if he does, then it's the same thing like Steve Smith getting runs, right? It becomes a good headache. Or does it?
No, I mean, because at this point of time, you're not really confident about India's death bowling options anyway. And if Harshal has a bad game, then and Shami picks up wickets, then it's a very viable change that should happen in the 11. And like I said, the strategy can then change from trying to limit the damage at the death to trying to take wickets up at the front, and then the damage itself at the death will limit itself automatically because you've picked up wickets. And against a team like South Africa, which don't have a lot of batting depth, because after Stubbs at 6, you will have Parnell or Jansen at 7. So those power play wickets, even 2 of them could really peg them back in terms of their acceleration. So if Shami really plays, you'd like to see him take wickets up front, because then it gives India a bit more cover in terms of their bowling. But I think the worst possible thing that can happen today is Shami playing and not picking up wickets, and Harshal also going for runs at the death, because then it's basically like you can pick up anyone from random and everyone will go for runs.
But by the looks of things, the way they've approached this with the bat in hand, they're going with all their tried and tested blokes. Shami is right now not entirely in his blue because he has the yellow kit on, so I'm guessing he might not be having a bowl right away. Maybe the fag end of the innings.
अभी आया है थोड़ा मतलब वैसा थोड़ा होगा अभी थोड़ा
beef mutton खिलाना है, थोड़ा beer खिलाना है उसको ऑस्ट्रेलिया में. So yeah, look, at the end of the day, lots of opinions. Appreciate Gurkirat and Sanket's time in this first innings. We'll reconvene with them, of course, in the later part of the game. Have some good morning snacks to keep your energies high, Gurkirat, because we'll be pinging you shortly. Sanket, likewise, Great having both of you guys.
Pleasure.
Cheers. Right, so it's in-house again. We'll make a quick substitution here so you can get
Can we
a little
make a
bit
double substitution?
double substitution.
Sure,
In
we
fact,
are
call
watching it.
Shubin as well. Me and Anirudh, meanwhile, will keep you entertained in terms of taking all the questions.
So both telling us a little anecdote from the game. He heard Sky
On the stump mic.
On the stump mic. यार मारने का दिल नहीं कर रहा. So it's like Sky was not in the mood to hit and still
Still scored.
he scored 50 or 33. So with that, I'll just take a breather.
Yep, no worries. So basically, guys, 186 for 7. And before
Just call,
just call Shubin so Akash can get a breather as well. Thoughts? Oh, Mitchell Marsh is, of course.
What is it?
Yeah,
Oh, he's asking for gloves. I thought sandpaper.
One second, 187 in a big ground like this. Does it feel like India got 230? Literally,
Not really.
no.
It's see, you look at it at bigger ground, but
Yeah.
it's all good surface to bat. That's where we don't look at it, right? Because even the gaps will go for boundaries. It's a very
Agreed.
good surface.
And you feel that these guys are used to clearing the boundaries now. But
Yeah, of course. I
but
mean,
again, it's a warm-up match at the end of the day. It doesn't matter if
Apart from Richardson, there's no other real pacer which thrived, right? I mean, they all kind of bled
Stark.
runs.
The problem is the way Finch has been using his bowlers throughout the start of the England series. It's been just 1 over, then
Oh, yeah.
they don't bowl again for 4 overs, then 1 over, not bowling
It's
again
very
for 4
questionable.
overs. So Stark started well, then he didn't bowl again for a long time.
and then he bowled that 1 over well.
Cummins had a okay start, then again he
Yeah.
also didn't bowl.
But as an Aussie fan, what would you prefer? What would be I mean, is it like a set pattern that you want to see in the power play, or do you want them to see Maxwell maybe and play
I don't
matchups?
mind them throwing, changing it up every now and then. But again, Hazelwood should bowl.
Yeah.
Where's
he? Oh, he was
two
rested.
of the first
Yes, he's not there,
4
yes.
overs for sure. Whether it's Maxwell bowling the first over or that can be flexible because we've
But I
seen
think-
Maxwell take the new ball and be successful.
We saw him bowl the
against-
last over of
But
the
holding,
last
I
game
think
as
in
well.
Australian conditions, like bowling 2 from Hazelwood and 1 from Cummins and 1 from Stark also will be a good option.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
Stark is also there. I
Because
forgot
Cummins
Stark.
is also good option at least in Australia.
So
where the
Hazelwood, you lock
boundaries
him normally 2, Stark 2, and maybe a Zampa.
Stark
I
even
mean, a
one.
Maxwell.
Stark
Stark even
or
one,
two,
depending on whether he
yeah.
bowls well or not. Because again, like what he did to Kohli, he always has that option to just go short and
Yeah.
take
And in
the
the-
top edge of the batter. And
And
all.
in the death, he can reverse the ball as well. So if you have a left-hander, just get it stuck and
So
he'll reverse
who's
the ball.
Australia's all-face pacer? Kane Richardson?
He won't start.
Yeah. Ellis, ideally, if he's
For sure.
Yeah.
Sridhar, we'll just take your comment. Before
Except
that,
that short fine leg.
subscribe to everyone watching right now. So at the end of the day, more the merrier. We're building the cricket.com community. We're nearly hitting 18K. So tell a friend and the family too. Sridhar Deshpande saying Virat Kohli's wicket today reminded that in the World Cup 2015 versus Australia semi-final. Yeah, tame and soft. But if you were thinking of tame and soft dismissal, just take a look at what Sky did to get out. I mean, honestly, we've not seen a funnier cotton bowl with regards to that. Something else that I want to ask you guys. So Hazelwood and Zampa have been rested. So those two are definitely
locked.
part of their 11. Does this scoreline flatter India? 187
no, I don't think I see,
without those two bowling.
it's practice game. It only depends on if the batters are finding the middle of the bat. See, for example, KL Rahul. He'll
Yeah.
be confident that he found the middle of the bat. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter at what rate he's playing or what. Even Virat Kohli, when he came out, he found the middle of the bat. I mean, his innings is not prolific,
Yeah.
but he found that's pretty much what
Did
the warm-up
Rohit-
game is
did
about.
Rohit,
Didn't find it. So that's probably
something
Uh,
that,
yeah.
It doesn't matter, what Warner absolutely sucked in the 2 warm-up matches last year.
yeah.
And,
He
uh,
got
and
it
in
for
the
a duck
entire IPL.
against, I think he scored 2 ducks against New Zealand and
India.
And then he just come and he
And
was
then the
again
law of
shaky.
averages, yeah.
He was he like
had a-
Akash said, he hit a nice 4 of Rabada or not gear in that South
Yeah,
Africa
yeah,
match,
yeah.
and
the
And then he
confidence.
picked it.
then again he got out cheaply. But against Sri Lanka, he got a life. He was dropped by Kusal Pereira, I think.
Yeah.
And then after that, he just went
I
bang,
think-
bang, 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 bang after
Yeah.
that. So, and he kind of got better and better. with
Speaking of
every
Yeah.
Warner,
match.
do you think he can have a good tournament?
Definitely, I think.
I think the only way Australia can win is if Warner has a good tournament. If
Yeah.
Warner fails, I can't see Australia winning.
Or if Finch has a good
Because no one
tournament.
else has. Yeah, but no, because
But
no one.
Mitch Marsh at 3 was wonderful.
Yeah, but no one else can score
That-
At
450
yeah,
runs or
exactly.
400 runs. Or,
At a strike rate of 145, 140.
there are no run accumulators outside Warner in this side. I would have said Finch had he been in his
In-
2015-14 form.
Oh,
But it's a
So basically,
interesting-
Australia are not playing Warner, Zampa, and Hazelwood today.
And Wade.
and wait.
Oh, and Wade. So Four
and one
big
more,
ones left out.
only four changes.
Mitchell Marsh is walking out. I mean, he's already out there, rather, to open the batting with Finch, I'm guessing. We saw Finch, I know, in the last couple of series where he experimented batting at 4. Was that ever a potential option for the World Cup for them?
Maybe, but again, it was an option had Stoinis not
Cameron.
recovered from his hamstring strain or side strain or whatever he picked up, and
Or
then
Green is
would have opened. But see, Stoinis was Australia's best batter in that England series across the 3
Yes.
matches, and the way the criticism of Stoinis always has been that he starts too slow, plays at his own pace, leaves it too late. But if you see, there's been a considerable change about his approach since,
For sure.
I would say, IPL 2020 probably.
Yeah.
Last year World Cup, he was outstanding. No complaints.
But if you have
whatsoever.
your 3, 4, 5, 6s literally entertainers, it's an exciting time to be an Australian fan. Marsh, Maxwell, Stoinis, David. That's
And
Wade.
7 is Wade.
and 7 is Wade.
and 8
and
is
8 is
Cummins.
And 9 is Stark.
But it's a double-edged sword.
Anyway, Bhuvi to Mitchell Marsh, and straight away a little bit of a hint of swing. Wouldn't say turning corners, but Bhuvi obviously, I think even if there's no swing, he'll extract it somehow.
But it's also a slight double-edged sword in the sense that, if it doesn't come off, it could go really ugly.
Oh yeah.
That's why I think Warner is
Smith.
very important.
And Smith.
Smith
was important last
Smith
year.
is supposed to be a collapse stopper, but if you see, he didn't do that properly last year as well.
Yeah.
So it's just a term people use to justify his inclusion in the side.
That
So-
England game where he ideally should have
Yeah,
done
exactly.
that. He didn't do
Wokes
that.
picked 2 wickets, and then Smith also.
1 second. Are we just seeing a matchup come to the fore? Is Aaron Finch shitting bricks to not face Bhuvi in the first ball? Because I know it's a warm-up game, but he still wants to get those mental demons up. Bhuvi's made his bunny over the years in every format. And maybe he's just
okay,
like...
the last time.
And the last time we see Finch counter it is like treat him like a spinner and come down the track and take that element
he
out.
did do well in Mohali, right? Do well in Mohali against
Yeah.
Bhuvi.
Yeah.
First ball 6.
First ball.
I think if Finch can do that every match, score 22 of 11 balls, Australia will be delighted.
Yeah.
1 second,
More than
Finch's highest score on a T20 is 172. Who does that come against?
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
How can you not remember?
No, I mean,
He has 100 against England.
150.
150.
158,
158, I
158.
think. Yeah. So that's, I mean,
That
it's
was
not
a
be
ye-
surprised.
The young Finch, the
No, but
Pune Warriors Finch.
I think Finch,
Not that young. It was in
Yeah.
20.
he was 26 or 27 then, I think.
When was that?
2013?
2013, I guess.
2013.
13, 14. Yeah.
Which IPL team was Finch playing for then? Let us know in the comments below.
Pune Warriors.
2013? Oh, Pune Warriors.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll get the substitute out of the
Yes,
way right
tactical X Factor substitute.
now. Tactical substitute. And Akash
Shot.
will join us in a bit. But Shubh, welcome back.
I just want to point out a thing. So
Yes.
his 158 came in 2013 when he was playing for Pune. 172 came in 2017 when
18. No?
18,
18,
yeah,
yeah.
when he was
The
playing
tri
for-
series.
Yeah,
Pakistan,
tri-series.
Zimbabwe, and.
What he's playing for?
RCB. Nahin.
No. Rajasthan.
Chennai.
No,
Rajasthan.
He never played for Chennai.
he
Rajasthan.
never played for Chennai. In 18, he was with Punjab.
Punjab.
Yeah.
When he was bagging ducks for fun in IPL. And after that 172, he was asked by a reporter that, did you know that you could have broken Chris Gale's record of 175? And Finn's response was, I do, because I was the opposition captain in that game. Which was a very funny thing.
Oh my god. Right, so Bhuvi, taking the new ball, doing Bhuvi things, honestly. How excited are you about Bhuvi?
Excited about Bhuvi.
I mean, I know Asia Cup
Is
was a
that a
shit
trick
show.
question?
It is kind of, because at the end of the day, we're not going to not play him. Let's make no mistake about it. Like how we're going to be playing Virat, and Rohit and all these guys. Bhuvi is obviously going to be undroppable. Or do you
No,
think
he
otherwise?
can be dropped because of the death over form that he showed in Asia Cup. But he is important because it is critical for India to pick wickets up front. And Bhuvi, if he swings the ball, I think he will pick.
But he's swinging the
wickets
ball
just-
right now, but they're more conservative. You know what I'm saying?
You know
Like
that.
batsmen taking the Rashid Khan sort of thing where we just want to play him off and then milk him towards the end.
So that is the thing with Bhuvi. Actually, if he swings the ball, he will swing it both ways, and his in swingers are generally in line with the stumps, which are very hard to counter.
Correct.
I mean, who knows it better than Aaron Finch himself, because he keeps
Exactly.
getting his front pad in the
In the
line.
way, yeah.
So yeah, that is why I feel Bhuvi is very important. If see with our bowling in absence of Jasprit, the point is that everyone else will have to give their 110%, not even 100%,
Yeah.
and that is where it will. That is where India's campaign will be decided, that how far they can go, how their bowling comes up, because bowling wins you tournaments.
Yeah.
It's a cliche, but cliches exist for a reason.
So
because-
so now I know it's kind of cold in Australia, and their summer properly is like November,
Yeah.
mid towards December, with overhead conditions, and if there's a hint of swing, is Bouvier nailed on 3 overs in the power play and then 1 for the death, or how would you see it? How would you use Bouvier ideally?
If you look at the statistics numbers
Oh, good swing
for
there.
India, especially, Bhuvi has rarely bowled 3 overs in the power plays.
Yeah.
And this whole notion of Bhuvi being bad at the death has just risen recently.
Yeah.
If you look at his death numbers, historically, it's actually been pretty good.
And
Like
he was superb.
And
in
that's a
IPL.
large sample
Yeah.
size, yeah.
He was
Yeah.
superb in IPL.
And you remember that SRH's RCB match last year. You remember obviously when AB couldn't
Maybe
chase
couldn't,
what
yeah.
8-9 runs. I don't
Yeah.
remember exactly how much, but Bhuvi kind of was in the redemption arc
Exactly.
after missing out on a season with injury. And it's always with Bhuvi, it's always been injuries rather than lack of skill or
So injuries
whatever.
also came when he started. There was a phase when he started touching 140.
Yeah.
He actually put pace in his bowling, and he was bending his back, but then his back gave up after a point of time. So that is where Bhuvi was brushed aside for a while, but then he has worked on his fitness again. He's not touching 140 anymore because he knows that his body cannot take it.
Yeah.
So his strength has again gone back to just swing the
Swing.
ball, and that is where it is important for India pick wickets up front. If
Yeah.
if in any game India don't have power play wickets, I can just say that India is going to struggle in that game big time.
Yeah.
Right.
That is true.
We have
Okay.
Introspect saying Finch has an average of 33 and a strike rate of 144. Wow. His present form doesn't do justice to his batsmanship.
What is the filter on that? 33 and 140.
Overall numbers.
Overall numbers.
Overall
But
numbers.
this is not even the thing. I think there was a time when he was averaging 40 and striking at over 150. So this Finch is a declined Finch you're
Yeah.
looking at. So for a period of 5 years, Finch was easily probably among the top 3 openers in the world in
He was,
T20
he was.
ice. Not in IPL again.
And even the
T20
3
ice.
balls that he's faced right now from Arshdeep, one his like kind of swung into him. He's kind of got lucky in terms of it's gone down the leg.
So skeptical about the ball.
One
that
he's
might swing
left,
in.
and one he's poked at, and it's kind of beaten his bat. So obviously, swing is something
Ooh.
that every team will target Adam Finch with. Like Bavuma and Williamson, he's undroppable because he's a
But
captain.
I still think he can
just
make a bigger impact than Bavuma or
Bavuma,
Williamson.
Because if he fires even a 10 ball 25 from him in this Australian setup, will do the side a whole lot of good. They bat till 9.
Exactly,
Match is at 9.
exactly. So all you need is like a quick fire 20-25 from Finch.
Me and Shub were talking the other day. Probably the reason why Australia made it to the semi-final last year was because Finch played that blinder against Bangladesh. He scored like 45 of 18 or 17 balls when
And at the time, it was a
South
critical
Africa
knock.
took, they took like
14
12,
overs.
13 overs to chase down 80, and Australia did it in 5 overs.
Oh,
So-
ridiculous. But what a great start from India's bowlers, because they're literally making it turn corners, especially Arshdeep, which
I
is
think, but
great
India
to
will
see.
actually start well most of the time. It is about how they carry it because
Mhm.
the bowling attack is not that strong. India actually throughout the year they played 35 T20Is this since the last T20 World Cup, 10 more than any other team, and they spent a lot of time in in extending their batting depth, in finding proper bowlers and stuff. Everything was going all right until the Asia Cup.
Yeah,
Asia
until
Cup
the
after
Asia
he,
Cup.
like everything
It was a
went
reality
haywire.
check.
If you remember, just before Asia Cup, we played in England. We smashed England left, right, and center.
Oh, it was a great ball, but great shot as well.
And I just want to go to topics slightly related but unrelated. Obviously, the South Africa ODIs happened before this series, and did anyone feel that Deepak Chahar lost even more pace than like he was
I
the
didn't
third
see
or
it, but yeah,
the
now
third
that you mention it.
not the ODI series, T20 series. When
Yeah.
I think it was when he was getting manhandled by Riley Rosso in that one match, and it was almost like he was bowling in the low 120s, or maybe now that he's been ruled out. Was it a case of yet another player being rushed back prematurely?
He was actually,
like,
because India
what
was
is
just-
happening?
And
India
injuries
was
are
just
part and parcel
executing.
of every bowler. But like Shub mentioned with Bhuvi, I think Ravi Shastri said it on commentary during the Asia Cup, where they had Bhuvi part of the larger plans, but because of his fitness, he had to now literally single a format.
Oh,
Hardik Pandya is introduced into the attack. So
OG
just
of
the one
the
over for
Indian
Bhuvi right now. Vishal A.B. de Villiers is going on a say. With whom will Aussie go with? Stark or Kane Richardson? We were having this chat with
Stark for
Sanket.
sure.
He said that he dropped Stark entirely. and Kane Richardson, there's a recency bias today and how he's performed well against England as well. Who would you personally go with, Stark? Or...
There is no personal opinion. I know Australia will go for Stark.
They will go with
Even if he
But
concedes.
why is that? Because left arm angle and the
He
experience?
is Stark. He is
He's
Stark. He is
So-
Stark.
at his best.
He is Stark.
KR at his best.
Best, yeah.
No, I don't know.
There's
I mean,
a
if
stark
I think
difference.
logically, there's every argument to be made that Richardson should play ahead of Stark, or even Ellis should play ahead of Stark. But knowing Australia, they don't have the guts to drop Stark, even if he goes for 180 of 10 overs.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all I'm
true.
saying. So there's no point debating it unless Stark picks up an injury. He is playing because, like
They've-
what Sanket is saying, Australia have this. They love incumbency. They just want to reward incumbency as much as possible, and which is why it's a big surprise that Tim David made it into the starting 11 in the first place.
That is true. Or edged, and there is
So-
not a third man, but a sweeper on the offside. Did maybe Rohit could have just given one over to Bhuvi because of the Finch?
Yeah, I think it should have, and it is important to test how Bhuvi goes
Exactly,
with the new ball
right?
in these conditions. So yeah, it was surprising that they crushed in Hardik Pandya, but maybe they are going to opt the strategy of bowling a new bowler every over from every end. Just keep rotating them with that. We saw that with Australia as well. 3 bowlers. The first 3 overs were bowled by different
Yeah.
guys. So
And you know, if
Oh,
there's
edged again and wide and 4. Mitchell Marsh gets away with it. And even Hardik's actually kind of getting not the swing that Arshdeep is generating, but maybe a couple of degrees here or there.
And you know, if there's one thing this Indian team loves to do, it's learn new things. That's what they've been doing under Rohit and Dravid for the last 1 year. Just learning. It doesn't
they
matter
have
if
been
you
doing it since
win
MS
or-
Dhoni's time. MS Dhoni, after
Learn,
losing
I
every
think-
game, he would come in the presentation and say it's a
That's-
learning curve. And I'm
Yeah.
like, the learning curve is like this because you're not
Focus on
learning
the process and not the
Yeah,
results.
that's-
Focus
So I
on the
agree with
process.
that, but the process need to result in something at some
At
point.
some point. in
God
time.
knows what they learned by opening at Surya Kumar in that West Indies T20 A's.
Seriously, it was just like lucky
Or
draw.
punt against Western Australia, honestly. Like 9 in both those games. Hardik going short, his go-to ball, but Mitchell Marsh has got lucky and got 6. Is it? No, 1 bounce maybe.
I think it was a 6.
I think, it was 6 actually. It was 6. So
But
Pandya basically does
any-
Stoinis in his first over, which went for a lot of runs. On that note, Australia 24 for none. Keep your comments going. We're here till about 1:30. And for the watchalongs, where the main tournament starts, we're going to be getting some fantastic gets on in terms of even Dan Weston every time post-match. So lots of content. Subscribe and hit us in the comments below and ask us anything. If you think that India have the team and the bowling arsenal to give everyone a run for their money. Pandya, none for 15 in his first 4 balls. And Australia, after a
Nice ball.
quiet couple of overs, have now taken to Pandya. On that note, let's get Somesh on right now. I'll quickly go for like a little breakfast break and come back with more, but you guys can...
Avnish's third breakfast since morning. It's like not used to getting up.
Just a coffee. Honestly, just a coffee.
Hey, coffee for me too. Yeah, I think can I mean I know I see. I don't think in the main tournament they would have different bowlers, bowling different overs in the power play. They will stick with Bhuvi at least for 2 overs.
Yeah.
But potentially they might be doing this to see who's moving the ball more. So because even if let's say there is Shami and Bhuvi, if they play Shami, then you're pretty much sorted for the power play.
Yeah.
But if they play Harshal is not a power play bowler. So they're seeing if maybe is Hardik an option that they can go for in the 5th over, or maybe then they have to bring in Aksar first.
Yeah.
And if Hardik can slide in a couple of overs, you know, solves 2 problems. As
Yeah.
in, you can always, if a spinner is having a bad day or any other bowler is having a bad day, you can
Yeah.
stop
But-
them from bowling their quota of
That is why
4.
you need 6 bowling.
And one more thing is that if you can delay Harshal's entry point as much as you can with the ball, because there is no need to bring him on, as soon as possible if Hardik is bowling well.
Yeah, but I think I like Hardik bowling outside the power play because it gives him a lot more flexibility to bowl to the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's true.
see, expecting him to be a batter, a good middle order batter, a finisher, and then a power play bowler who can actually bowl despite the fielding
Too
restrictions,
much.
like too much. You know, at least he should come after the power play so that he has a field to bowl
Oh,
to.
speak of the devil.
Harshal.
Harshal and the power play, India are full experiment mode
Yeah,
with the
India
ball.
is totally experimenting. I think warm up
Fine.
तो ये at least
Yeah, I mean,
That's
जो
fine.
होने वाली थी
I-
strategy उसको try out कर सकते थे.
yeah, I think against Australia, if they play in the actual game, by this time we would see Akshar Patel bowling to Finch. If Bhuvi is not got Finch already, then definitely see Akshar coming on.
But you don't. What's the point of you won't learn much from this, do you? If Harshal, if he goes for an for 20, for example, and both overs in the power play, then like you're not really learning much.
That is my only reservation with India's approach heading into the World Cup. They have never played their full strength side even once, and I'm like, भाई एक बार अगर full strength side को खिलाओगे तभी तो पता चलेगा ना if your plans are solid enough or not. So.
Yeah, and this was a good chance, even against New Zealand, right? New Zealand are not the best side in the world. If even if you play full strength 11, the result will flatter you because it's at the end of the day it's New Zealand, and unless Finn Allen or Mark Chapman or Glenn Phillips have a mad day.
Yeah, but today they were bowled for 98, and
is it? It was saying 90 for 4.
But they are 98 all out, and Fab 4 got
Fab 4.
12 ball 3 or something like that.
Oh, Kane.
God, that's concerning.
Did the Scotland game start?
So I mean,
yeah. They lost all the momentum. They scored just 20 in the next 5 overs.
Who are the players you feel this World Cup will be the swan song?
Swan song. Finch is definitely one.
Yeah.
He even said that a fairy tale ending would be if we win the World Cup, but again, he knows realistically it's too much to hope for. Finch
Not really. Why?
Yeah.
Australia in Australia.
Swan song, as in you're asking only from ODI, sorry, from T20s,
not from T20s,
or
I mean,
just
basically, I'll just put it very simply: the players who are playing the last T20 World Cup.
Okay, Finch, Warner, potentially Stark.
Warner, I feel can make it.
It's just one more year away.
He's 36, right?
2025? No, 2024. Yeah, 2024. So,
and Warner has the fitness, he has the passion as well. Obviously, he missed a complete year because of.
I mean, I think Warner would actually want to play the next World Cup as a captain, if not anything else.
But he'll play the 2023 World Cup as captain, right? If things go right for him.
I mean,
but Australia won't keep him around long enough. He'll be 38, 39 if that's the case.
But again, if he's in form and if he's scoring runs, then why not?
Next World Cup is when? T20 World Cup?
24.
Like 2 years ago.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Is that...
Every 2 years, they'll have a T20 World Cup.
Ridiculous.
That is.
That's
but
ridiculous.
16 के बाद से हुआ था सीधा 2021 में.
So every year they have a white ball ICC event. Yeah. Next year 50 over World Cup, 2024 T20 World Cup.
Sure.
Pick up shot. 6.
This is what I'm saying. What are you learning from this? You can't judge Harshal based on this as well, right?
They are learning that Harshal. I mean, you can't use Harshal anywhere. At the moment.
Prerequisite है भाई. RCB नहीं कराती इसको power play में bowling.
You know, people are going to overreact if India lose today for sure.
But I think it's good for India because usually
they lost against Western Australia and people lost their, minds.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the last World Cup, India beat England and Australia.
Yeah, England and Australia, both.
And comfortably.
Which one? When?
Yeah,
the last T20 World Cup, they beat England and Australia comfortably in the warm-up games, but then it points to nothing. I mean, I would rather lose these games so that
yeah, that is okay. But process के साथ हार हो तो समझ आता है.
To quote Rohit, I mean, you learn from the losses, so it's good. I mean, if they win, they will not learn anything.
You'd rather lose these 2 matches and beat Pakistan than winning these 2 by a comfortable margin and
lose to Pakistan.
But that's the thing. Again, Pakistan, it's all about Shaheen's over. You never know what's going to happen. Or Naseem this time around.
The thing with India is if they have a bad start, they have never been able to recover from that, irrespective of ODIs or T20. So,
you can come with all the prep in the
India
world.
India do not really have a collapse arrestor.
If you're 4 of 2, then you're
Hardik Pandya maybe. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
if India are 10 for 2 against Pakistan, is there a case of promoting Hardik and just staying? I mean, not putting Surya in the firing line, because if Surya has gone early, then it's pretty much over.
But I can counter this by saying that Surya is the best bet for India to counter punch and hit their way out of trouble. I mean, even in the last Pakistan match in the World Cup, he hit a 6 of Shaheen. Was it Haris Rauf? I'm not sure. But
someone, I mean,
he hit a 6, he hit a 4, and he was looking really good before
he chased a wide one.
Yeah, exactly. So India need that. I think if Surya and Kohli had stayed, they would have scored at least 25-30 more, and that might have been the match. But look at the lads watching it.
Yep, the dark
from
horse.
the dark horse. Don't you think it's a bit too an overstatement? Pakistan being dark horse for the World Cup in Australia, but we never know, right?
Yeah, you're saying they're one of the favorites?
No, they're not. I don't think they are.
They don't have a good record in Australia. I mean,
Yeah, they're yet to win a
like-
T20 game actually in Australia.
Oh,
They're the kind of
T20
team that could beat India,
And
but
England actually won the first T20 in this series. Before that, even England did not win a T20.
he has Ash. See, Mitchell Marsh always does it. He can bowl full toss and he'll still play it off the back foot against the spinner.
So, a hypothetical question: if they have to slot in Cameron Green instead of one of Mitchell Stark or Marcus Stoinis, who would you pick, or would you rather stay with these two and not pick Cameron Green?
I won't pick Green.
ahead of Stoinis.
No, I won't pick.
But isn't Cameron Green a better bowler than both of them?
He's
So that makes him a better fifth bowling option.
better than Stark. I mean, he got whacked in the only game he played against England. So it's just too much. He had a good India series.
Who's a better
let
number
it be
5, Stoinis or Green?
100% Stoinis.
Stoinis. Okay,
Yeah.
I have not seen him. कुछ कोई impactful ना खेला बहुत time में. Though I know he has the potential, of course, but I don't think he has the form right
Stoinis.
now.
In the England series, he was Australia's best batter. He almost won the first match, and then before the rest of the batters screwed up, and then
Stoinis it is.
I think if Anirudh can help with or anyone with Stoinis' strike rate, actually just pull out Stoinis' record in T20 since the start of the last World Cup. I think it's very, very good. Equally, he's been exceptional. I mean, he's been extremely bad in ODIs. He's been very, very bad. He's been averaging in the between 15 and 20 and having strike rate of 80 or 75.
Yeah.
And Australia's biggest problem is that they mix up formats, and I mean it's a problem with most of the teams in the world, right? And Stoinis should not be playing ODIs, and Green should be playing ODIs. This thing definitely, but the problem is a lot of these Stoinis should be dropped calls are coming from his ODI form. That's the only problem. People are having a prejudice against Stoinis based on his ODI form, which is wrong. Which is what happened to DK, ironically, 2 years ago, right? Because he failed in the 50-over World Cup. Everyone was like, "Oh, he should never play."
But he had a very average season with KKR as well. I mean,
that is because Brendan McCullum tried to push him in the middle.
I don't think selectors have the headspace or even the option to have all these things into consideration. Right? I mean,
that
they
was
just
fair
look at
enough.
records.
Drop हुआ था, and I blame Brendan McCullum for that more than Dinesh Karthik himself. But yeah,
but you see here India in a proper experiment mode.
Yeah, कुछ ज़्यादा ही हो रहा है.
Ashwin bowling in the power play to 2 righties. I mean, Ashwin bowling to 2 righties, one, and then Ashwin bowling the power play like 2. And he started off with that leg spinner with like 5 wides, and we already know DK's keeping.
Their bowling order seems as absurd as opening with Surya in West Indies right now. Acha, Anirudh, by the way, if you have a choice between Finch and Cameron Green, then will you pick Green? Or you will continue going with Finch?
I will still go with Finch.
Okay,
I don't know.
Green doesn't make your 11.
I don't think he does. I mean, it's just that we shouldn't judge anyone based on 2 matches and against this Indian attack on those pitches.
With due.
Yeah, it's just if Green he had played about 15 T20s, all T20s before that India series, and just because he did well in those 2 matches shouldn't mean that he should be starting matches.
But he's done no harm to his IPL chances.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
And it's just, I mean, we're asking too much of him. He's had a very good start of his Test career. He's had a very good start of his T20 career. But it's like putting too much pressure on him. It's like what England kind of did with Archer, right?
Yeah.
And
that is a different scale.
Yeah,
I mean,
a
very tangential question. Which of the 10 teams can actually can make budget for buying Cameron Green, because he's definitely 8 CR plus. See, one of the options that I could think of is maybe MI will release Jofra Archer if he's not fit, because there's no point.
That will feel so stupid कि भाई तुमने 7-8 करोड़ ऑप्शन में वेट करके उसके ऊपर खर्च करे.
That will feel stupid, but
और उसके लिए तुमने Daniel Sams वगैरह को खिलाया.
But I mean, the deadline is 15th November. If by 15th November.
But there is no. They said, right, you can retain how many players you want, so nobody has to release.
How many? Yeah.
Oh, whack.
It's like bowling machine for Mitchell Marsh right now.
And this is where, I mean, typical Bhuvi, right? If the ball is not moving, it's like fodder, cannon
तभी तो
fodder.
यार 2 ओवर कराने थे up front ताकि तुम्हें पता चलता that if he is getting swing in these conditions or not.
So
But
RCB don't have a power play basher, do they?
No.
No, but I mean,
But
it's
they
not
might
about,
have
see,
dropped
no,
Faf
guys,
then.
you're going it
Faf
the
is there,
wrong
right?
way. I mean, my
Yeah.
question was, which team can
Budget
make
ke
the
paas.
budget for it? Because
Budget, yeah.
it's not just about who, every team will
Punjab?
fit
See,
him.
one team which actually needs a guy like him is KKR right now because उनके पास तो कुछ है ही नहीं. उनकी तो team
Haan,
ही
but how
उनके
will
पास.
they make the budget
So
for it?
for that they will have to drop Nitish Rana or Shivam Mavi, but they are Indian players, right?
Obviously,
So
I mean, this
maybe they
doesn't
will
make
drop-
sense.
Yeah, that is okay.
No, Hales will come back.
Hales will come
Yeah.
back, but power play basher के साथ एक
Hmm.
bowler भी मिलेगा उनको. So will they drop someone like Narayan and Ratal Mithik? Will they try to move on?
I don't think so.
भाई पर
But
किसी को तो drop
most-
करना पड़ेगा ना, because I
most
think KKR
importantly-
actually need a solid player. उनकी team उनका balance है ही नहीं. They don't have any.
Okay, so
balance
maybe
at
you're
all.
saying that I mean KKR can make budget for Cam Green by
releasing a few
releasing
players.
Andre Russell or Sunil Narayan.
हाँ.
Oh, gone.
No, not gone. Or is he?
Yeah, gone.
Oh, gone. Yeah, bailed it down. Oh, chopped down.
So most importantly, will Green put his name in the auction? Or will
Yeah,
Cricket
I mean-
Australia let Green to put his name in the auction?
Cricket Australia will, but they will just allow Green to choose, but they might sit with him and explain why he should not opt for IPL contract.
Right. Who is coming in at number 3? Steve Smith? Maxwell?
If even Australia is in the mood for experimentation, I think they'll send Smith, but they should send Maxwell. I mean, he
Oh, it's
Oh,
the
Smith.
call.
Number 49.
Like,
in
come on.
Australia. I mean, probably Rohit and Finch had a chat before the game that by हम भी experiment कर रहे हैं, तुम भी करना. Let's make it interesting. Let's make it 16 of the last 5.
This and with Finch, this is one advantage, which is he can genuinely take down any kind of spin, leg spin, off spin, like how he hit both of Ashwin. In that England match first, when he was batting at number 4, he was looking really good. He hit a 6 of Adil Rashid and he got run out in the next ball.
This is I
so
mean,
ridiculous.
Whenever we discuss England, I mean, this is one point. I mean, England's spin attack is like almost non-existent to me.
Yeah.
Because Moeen Ali clearly is a matchup bowler, and Adil Rashid. I mean, Adil Rashid has been playing T20 for 13 years. I mean, England have not been able to find a backup or a better
Tried with this
better
Nathan
white ball
Crane
spinner.
and
I think
Parkinson.
Adil Rashid, having a few good games against Kohli has really elongated his career. Otherwise,
And England have their own Shami. It's just Liam Dawson. He just makes
World
it
Cup
to
to
the
World
World Cups, never plays in bilaterals, and
He never plays in the World Cup even. He's always that bench guy. Shami is modern day Piyush Chawla actually. वो कहीं से भी अचानक से World Cup में inevitable है वो.
They really thought Parkinson. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they were a bit harsh on Parkinson. Just getting rid of him too early.
The problem with
Speed.
Parkinson is too loopy.
Yeah.
He's too slow to get the batsman out.
too loopy. I think that guy has prospects. Rehan
Ahmed. Yeah.
Too early to call.
Too early to
Yes.
call, but in under 19 World Cup he looked promising.
Yeah, but
He looked
he's
deadly.
in England's A squad for Pakistan
That
series,
is,
and actually England have selected only Jack Leach in the squad for Pakistan tests.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's just taking it too far. They needed at least one more spinner, but let's see.
Which are Will Jacks and Liam Livingston.
Where is my coffee?
There's no problem.
So Avnish brings on the
substitute.
Avnish brings on the bad news of
What's happening with match?
nothing. India in experimentation mode. So is Australia.
तो
One
ज्यादा
down.
इतना
ridiculous.
experiment
Smith.
पूरे साल नहीं करा इन्होंने.
So, yeah, I mean, all you guys watching, give us a subscribe and follow. And yeah. So, anyway, let's move on and talk about the game. We're going to get Menners on as well in another 4 overs. So, Menners from the Cricket Unfiltered podcast from Down Under will be joining us. Shaunak, watch our stream, and if he's in, just add him whenever he jumps along. But Ashwin bowling, and I was listening to the commentary. Literally, there's not that much. But Dinesh Karthik and Ashwin are fully Tamil chatting.
And yet Dinesh Karthik didn't know that Ashwin is going to bowl one down the leg.
Exactly. Which is quite ridiculous. But Ashwin, I really want him to do well. We talk about him being one of the best defensive spinners in the World Cup, let alone India.
But
Right
I mean
is right now.
that should not buy his place in the side. I mean that's not ideal.
True. Are we seeing two Test players
I mean
just
it's
go
like
at it
it's
against
like
each
we've
other?
accepted that Ashwin is not going to take wickets, and that's fine.
No, so the point is that there is an ideology that T20s is about making it harder for the opposition to score. It is just about that.
That is true.
My counter is that yes, it is important. Having that skill set is very important, but there is a time for that.
Yeah.
There are phases where you need to pick wickets. If you're not picking wickets, the opposition will latch onto you at
Yeah.
some point.
Hmm.
T20 20 overs is just a big enough time that the opposition will come over you if you are not attacking them enough. So yeah, there are phases for that, and that is why I feel Ashwin. That is where I agree with you that being defensive should not buy Ashwin a place in the.
But
11.
isn't it also because the overs that he bowls, he doesn't
Not
bowl?
really. I mean, it's the same overs that any other spinner would bowl and will pick wickets, right?
But
So-
Ashwin's predominantly
And it's
middle
like
overs, right?
in India's bowling lineup, who's your wicket taker then? Because essentially everyone is
Everyone
sort
is
of
stopping runs, and if there is no swing early on, फिर तो गए ना, फिर तो कोई wicket लेने वाला है ही नहीं.
So Australia obviously didn't play Warner, Hazelwood, Zampa, Wade. Who we not playing from our first 11, or is there no one such?
Akshar.
Akshar.
Akshar
is
batted,
playing.
but he's
अच्छा, आज
He hasn't bowled yet.
yeah. I think everyone from the first 11 is pretty much playing. If Chahal is not bowling
Exactly.
here,
Chahal is
then
my question. to you.
maybe then they just elongated the batting lineup with Archal at 8 and Ashwin at 9, which is not a bad call. But then again, it's like then the batters have to adapt.
Yeah.
They have to score those 20 runs extra above par.
and against good teams it will be tough.
But do you think that's actually the thinking of KL, Rohit, and Virat? Be like, "Bhai, Bumrah nahi hai, thoda marna hai."
हो भी सकता है because you have to do it. And I mean, KL today batted
Show
with
that,
freedom.
yeah.
There
As
was-
long as one of those three
Yeah,
take
there
the
was
onus.
slight dip in the scoring rate when Tim David came on to bowl and Agar got a couple of good overs. But apart from that, I mean, on both sides, there was a clear attempt to score as much as they can.
Yeah, I think in the power play today we were 6 overs, none for 69. So pretty much well done. I mean, with the ball in hand, we could have enjoyed a better power play because the first 2 overs were pretty good, which we saw with Shubh, Bhuvi, and Arshdeep. But then after that,
Yeah, but those are your bowlers who will bowl the overs 3 and 4 as well. So
yeah,
when it comes down to the main games,
yeah.
things will be slightly.
Do you think
different.
Bhuvi could have? Like I asked Shubh this early. Maybe bowl the 2 on the trot.
He will bowl 2 on the
He
trot.
will
This
bowl
is just
2 at least. The
yeah.
question is, will he bowl 3 on the trot?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think he should.
I think both him and Arshdeep will bowl 2 on the trot, unless and until they have Shami in the team, which is where I think Shami will essentially bowl.
There could be
3.
a case, yeah. There could be a case where he actually bowls 3 in the trot in that first game against Pakistan because of the weather. And if it's a cold MCG, then you would fancy Bhuvi.
I would totally.
But Mitch Marsh, of course, filling in for David Warner, who's been rested.
That floater वो कहीं भी खिला सकता है यार इनको.
Yep. So what is asking is the pace attack locked for the first game. It's pretty much seems so both. Rohit said at the toss that he knows what combination that they are going to go with, and I think Shami has not played a T20 for a year. He's not playing this warm-up game. Maybe the question here is he might still be like loose from the travel.
So
But-
these 3 are locked in, and then the other 3 bowling choices are Hardik, Akshar Ashwin, or Akshar Chahal.
It's between Ashwin and Chahal. Rest
Yeah.
everything is locked in pretty much.
So we'll have 6 bowling options, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would love to India have more. I mean, when you look at England, we all go gaga about their batting depth, but even they have 7 bowlers, 8
But
bowlers. Shubh?
even if you look at our big never-ending bench strength, who are the batters who can even roll their
their
arm?
Deepak Hooda.
And उसकी
But then
bowling
who-
test ही नहीं की अपन ने यार. That is the biggest.
And
shocker
who will he
for
come
me.
in for more importantly?
Yeah.
Is that the shot of...
And even players who have
that's
not
shot of
travelled.
Gabba.
I mean, who else is there who can actually? I mean, if we talk about Sanju Samson, Ishan Kishan, Shubman
पीछे
Gill,
भी नहीं है ना.
Prithvi Shaw. There's absolutely no one. Maybe Yashasvi Jaiswal when his time comes, he's
सबको
a leg
batting करनी
spinner.
है
But
बस.
Can't
Everyone
Sky
else
bowl?
also
Hasn't
bat.
Sky bowled for Mumbai and T20?
ऐसे तो
हाँ,
everyone
Sky
can
नहीं
bowl.
डाली वैसे, पर हाँ ऐसे तो सब
ऐसे तो even DK bowled in.
Shreyas Iyer, भाई.
हाँ.
That way, Rohit Sharma has a T20
Yeah.
hat-trick.
Shreyas Iyer bowled 3 dots to Shardul Thakur, I remember.
Does Rohit have 2 T20 hat-tricks or Yuvraj?
Yuvraj.
Yuvraj. Rohit has 1.
Rohit has 1.
Thanks to Adam
Mishra
Gilchrist.
has
and
3.
Fantastic.
Huh?
Mishra has 3.
Mishra.
Shreyas.
And one more, I think there was a dropped catch.
Oh,
Delhi
yeah,
Bolt
yeah,
ने छोड़
yeah.
दिया था
हाँ.
18 में.
But yeah, good old Amit Mishra. 71 for 1. Australia seemingly doing all right in this chase, so 187. Let us know in the comments below if India have missed a trick according to you. I think they
4
have.
runs.
Maybe they could have bowled Bhuvi before Finch has got set
See, I don't
early.
think India care about the result of
Yeah,
this game.
and they should not actually.
They
I
should
would
not,
rather have India
but
lose this game.
at least have
Yeah.
your process right. The process, the experimentation now to this extent, that is what is beyond me right now.
Yeah, at times when you're thinking, yeah, it's a
I
warm-up
mean, it's
game.
this phase now which will tell us a lot because they would essentially want to see Arshdeep, Bhuvi, and Harshal bowling at the death.
Yeah.
So I think the last 6 overs is where
But
we'll.
डेथ के लिए कुछ बचेगा क्या जैसे
नहीं still काफी कुछ
नहीं
है.
मतलब डेथ के लिए कुछ ऐसा ना हो कि रिक्वायर्ड टू रन रेट 7 के आसपास है फिर तो मतलब
तो
क्या
वो
ही
भी अच्छा है
करेगा?
ना. It's a challenge of its
इतना
own.
बड़ा चैलेंज भाई उसमें टेस्ट तो हो दैट बैट्समैन आर ट्राइंग टू हिट यू आउट तो तभी तो टेस्ट होगा अगर वो फिर सिंगल डबल ही निकाल रहा है आराम से पहुंच रहे हो तो फिर क्या ही रह गया.
That's ridiculous. What's happening in the other games, by the way? The cricket.com app is a perfect
Want
destination.
Scotland to win but also don't want West Indies to lose out on our Super 12 spot.
Yeah, I mean, we know, honestly, it's the point that he mentions where we're all as cricket fans thinking 100% want to see West Indies and likes of Sri Lanka after what they did in the Asia Cup in the Super 12s. But then you can't discount all the smaller nations because if you want the sport to grow, then you need your Namibias, and Netherlands.
And, you know, Ireland,
Scotland.
Zimbabwe, they are
See,
good
this
sides
is
to watch.
this
They
is
have
where
good
this
players
is
to
where I
watch.
feel Bangladesh is very lucky to be straight
For
in the Super
sure,
20.
for
Definitely.
sure.
I mean, I would
They
have.
are actually the
And no offense,
least
Bangladesh, but
and-
you know it's true.
Saqib himself has said that.
Has said
भाई,
that.
अपनी
I think-
team में बहुत दिक्कतें
I think
हैं
of
T20
the
setup में.
16, they are ranked 15th in my opinion in terms of a
They won
T20
only 4
side.
out of their 14 games since
So
the
the
last
16th
T20
is
World Cup.
UAE.
UAE.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
So you're
they have-
saying Namibia on that day can beat Bangladesh,
definitely,
right?
of course.
Like Sachin said, Naam yaad rakhna.
Naam
So 140 for 5 is what Scotland are. They still have 10 balls in the first innings. And West Indies, remember, no Pollard, no Russell, no Narayan. Young West Indies team led by Nicholas Purin. So let's see how they fare. Ashwin bowling his third over. So far, he's done well in this over. Just 3 dots to the Finch. Meister. But yeah.
This is where certain bowlers are better outside the power play because they can bowl to the field, and Ashwin and Hardik both are from that category.
Yeah, that is true.
Ashwin and
Hardik.
Harshal as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
3 of them.
Harshal's just bowled 1 over right now, right?
Chahal is on the park, so he will bowl for sure. I
He
feel.
will bowl for
What?
sure.
Harshal?
Is just bowled 1 over right now?
Yeah.
I think Bhuvi and Hardik are the ones who bowled 2, and now Ashwin is bowling 3.
And Ashwin at times, I like him more around the wicket, but I don't know whether that's automatically being negative.
I'm pretty sure Karthik ने उसको leg stump पे डालने को तो नहीं कहा होगा
Yeah.
because he was just chatting to him and Ashwin might just have thought ठीक है बाप को मत सिखा.
So strategic drops on the cards, boys.
Not in this game. I mean, save it for the big occasion. I mean, why would you want to?
And strategic drops have to be timed really well. It's not like कि हाँ कोई अगर if a guy like Finch is like 20 of 20 and if you drop him he can actually explode.
Yeah.
So not him.
No, he's
Not
not
him,
about Smith actually.
Smith. Yeah, guys like him. Yeah, then maybe.
Smith
no
for
offense
sure.
to Steve Smith.
So I mean,
again, big fan.
who are the
Yeah.
who are the cricketers for whom strategic drop is
Bavuma,
understandable at this point
Williamson,
of time?
Smith.
And also who is about to come. So I remember this game. You would remember it fondly. RCB horror memories for sure. There was this game between KKR and RCB in Chinnaswamy, and with around 4 overs to go, KKR needed more than 60. Nitish Rana got out because someone caught him in the deep. Andre Russell came in and they won with 2 balls to spare.
He scored some 49 or something,
Bhai,
right? Yeah.
बस खत्म आते ही मारना start और
It
शुरू
was
होते ही
ridiculous.
खत्म.
It was honestly
And that is
101 of 5 overs.
Yeah,
And they've chased it down.
and that is when I realized strategic drops are important. You cannot
Important.
let a guy like Andre Russell come in at
No
that
chance.
time.
Yeah.
No
So you
chance.
have to think about those things that who is going to come.
And Chahal, I think, got taken to the cleaners that day. I think everyone, but
भाई तुम्हारा bowling attack क्या था 2019 में? उमेश यादव was your death bowler, I guess.
let's not talk about the IPL. It's a World Cup that we're covering here on the Watchalong. And speaking of the IPL, just a quick reminder. I don't know if you guys saw the news earlier this week. 16th of December, we'll probably do a Watchalong for that. It'll be fun to do an IPL auction Watchalong.
Definitely.
100%.
Emotions उसमें वो हमारा daily soap है भाई.
Yeah,
उसमें होता है drama.
That is honestly something which we'll definitely touch base on. Oh, and it's gone over his head. It was Akshay Patel who had a sniff, maybe think that he could get Finch, but it carried over his head. And Finch, after his wobbly start, has now got the ball rolling. So good signs for Australia because Finch is a guy like Shub was saying, all you need from him is a fast 20-30, given the middle order that they possess.
Yeah, I mean, see, the thing is, if Finch can hit from ball 3,
ball
then
3.
Warner can take his time, because I think Australia would want Warner to bat deep because he's the only left-hander apart from Wade.
Yeah.
And there's a big
दोनों बिल्कुल end
yeah,
पे
it's like
extreme
two end of the spectrum. So they would want Warner to just take his time. I mean, not take his time like 120, but
bat as deep as he can.
140-ish, yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense for Australia because, like even Anirudh was saying, they have Cummins who can come in at 8 and 9. They bat deep as well. Right. Let's, of course, get on our guest from down under in terms of Mr. Menners from the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. And he will be joining us right now. It'll be intriguing to pick his mind about what's gone on so far in his warm-up and what he thinks about Australia and where he really ranks them. Menners, a good afternoon for you, shall we say. We're still in the morning hours here back in India, but hope everything's doing well in Sydney right now for you.
Yeah, good afternoon, guys. Thanks very much for having me on the Watchalong. Yeah, doing well, thanks. It's a rainy day in Sydney, and Australia's due to play New Zealand at the SCG on Saturday, so I'm hoping the rain clears up in time. How are you guys? I've been listening in.
I mean, we're literally doing good. I mean, it's a World Cup fever which has taken over. And I don't know what it is with the Australian forecast. I know it's a pre-summer monsoon, I'm guessing, because India, Pakistan as well is looking dodgy with the Melbourne weather. You're mentioning Sydney's weather, which could affect the opening clash. So hopefully rain stays away because it promises to be a sumptuous World Cup. We've seen it already in the qualifiers in terms of how the results have unfolded. Namibia pulling off a surprise. Scotland might pull off a surprise against West Indies, even though it's still early in that game. But right now, you're watching this Australia team going about their business. Smith, in particular, has just flicked one nonchalantly for 6, and then 92 for 1, chasing 187. What are the positives so far from an Aussie perspective, Menners?
Positives from today or just generally heading into the tournament?
Generally, I think the latter will be a better question, I guess.
Yeah, so I think Australia actually, for the first time in its history, has a pretty settled T20 side. There's been some speculation about Steve Smith's place in the 11 because Tim David has come in and pushed him out. So that's sort of a big talking point. Also, Cameron Green has made a really a big case for inclusion in the T20 side after his sterling performances on the Tour of India a few weeks ago. So apart from those little issues, actually Australia's team is as settled as I can ever remember. You've got the big 3 quicks, Cummins, Hazelwood and Stark. They're set on Adam Zampa as their spinner. And then the all-rounders, Mitch Marsh, Stoinis and Maxwell, are all pretty settled in the side. So heading into the World Cup, defending champions and being on home soil, the Australian team is in good order.
It is. I mean, we were speaking to Dan Weston. In fact, I mean, these blokes were, and there's a lot of chatter about the Australian best 11. And I want to ask you about your best 11 because people like Steve Smith, of course, are we shoehorning him in because of the reputation he brings just as a cricketer and the pedigree that he has in terms of world cricket? How do you see that in terms of that first game against New Zealand? What the big calls will the Australian team management have to take?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Steve Smith in our best 11. We got a little bit of a hint in a couple of the games against England when Australia played their best 11, and you had, Warner and Finch opening. Then you had Mitch Marsh, Glenn Maxwell, Marcus Stoinis, and Tim David as your top 6. And then you have the little general Matt Wade, who's tearing it up at the moment, also fresh from winning the IPL with Gujarat. So he's having a blinder of a year. He's your number 7. So there's just no room for Smith. And you guys know that the T20 game is built on power. And Smith just can't quite compete with the other players in terms of power. And I've said on my podcast, it's a bit like a Rolls Royce or something. Maybe we just need to park him in the garage for the T20 team and save him. But yeah, he's
I'm sure if you look at the Australian garage right now, and to use your car analogy, sure, you'd like a Rolls Royce too, because you have the Bugatti Veyrons, you have the Lamborghinis in the middle order, and the names you mentioned there. So surely is that a space for Steve Smith, or is that wishful thinking?
I think it is
Or
wishful
you-
thinking. Sean?
Or you'd rather save the Rolls Royce and make it angry for the Ashes next year.
Absolutely. And when we take on India next year as well over there. So
Yeah,
So
Um,
South Africa are touring at the back end of the year, right? So
yeah,
you
so
need a
Australia
guy like
has Australia has 2 tests against the West Indies, then 3 at home against South Africa, which
Yeah,
is going to be
yeah.
a massive grudge match because last time we went to South Africa it was the sandpaper issue. They are they are some of the worst fans in the world. And when South Africa have come here, they have beaten us 3 times in a row. Better than India that beat us twice. South Africa have beaten us in a test series 3 times in a row.
I would like to add so far, but yeah, never mind.
Well, that's true. Third time lucky for India next time. I hope not. But yeah, so look, you're right. He'll be keen to score plenty of runs. Look, Steve Smith is a very good T20 player. There's no doubt about it. But I think in T20 cricket, we're seeing that you just actually can't afford any sort of slow passages of play where you're not looking to score boundaries. And, unless you're playing on really bad wickets where the ball's, keeping low or not coming onto the bat, I'm just not sure Steve Smith has a place. And you guys would have seen Tim David in the IPL.
Yeah.
He's a monster. He's a phenomenon. He could be the best T20 player in the world in the next couple of years. So there's no way you can leave him out. I actually think Aaron Finch will be the one I'd leave out, and I'd have Smith in for him because I think Smith is a much better player. But Finch is the captain. He's going to get through this tournament, so they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
Finch is of the same mold as Bavuma and Williamson, right? We were just talking about the liabilities in cricket teams right now.
Yeah, and I think in terms of impact, Tim David is already the best T20 batter going around the world in terms of just numbers. If you look at numbers, but yeah, I mean, as an Aussie fan, would you make it slightly nervous if Steve Smith were to take Australia home today? It might pop in a doubt or two that maybe he still has that game, and let's try him against New Zealand.
Yeah. I think this practice match.
Always bold him. Sorry, you put the mockers on him, because Yuzan Chahal nonchalantly in his first over has got Steve Smith, and it was an ugly heave-ho.
No reason to be nervous anymore.
That's your fault. That's you. That's not me. Nothing to do with me, Mr. Smith. Yeah. So
I think,
and then
go ahead.
No, I think Steve Smith is a very good player, but the one player who's really disappointed me lately with runs is Glenn Maxwell. So much potential, but when does he deliver?
For the big occasions, don't you think, Manners? Like at the end of the day, you're thinking to yourself, Maxwell, the T20 player that he is, but isn't it a good thing? We saw this with Warner as well, where he got back-to-back ducks in the warm-up games of the World Cup last year, and then he went on to have a worldie. Do you think that could be the case with Maxwell, where the law of averages actually works in his favor?
And a disclaimer here: you're speaking to an RCB
fan,
so he'll defend Maxwell to the T.
Yeah. I would love Maxwell to have a great tournament, but I think if you even look at him in the IPL, actually, if you go back and look through the IPL, how many really dominant IPLs has he had? Only 2. Only 2 where he's really dominated. The other ones he's sort of been okay. So he's very inconsistent. What's keeping him in the side at the moment is while Australia's only playing one spinner in Adam Zampa, you need Maxwell's off spin. So, and he's electric in the field. But I'd love to see him have a big tournament. And then, Stoinis and David and Wade, it's, that's where Australia are really powerful.
Yeah, I think Sam Hazlett in the comments is going on to say Ben McDermott is a potential replacement for Finch. There will be, I'm guessing, wholesale changes for Australia, regardless whether win the tournament or not, Manners, according to you. The few passengers that we're mentioning them, Finch, Smith, Stark, maybe.
Yeah, I think Finch will definitely go. Is that the Sam Hazlett, former Brisbane Heat player. Maybe he still plays for the
Everyone
it-
has been talking about that because I think even we brought it up earlier, and not sure,
I think-
but even Akash as well said
yeah,
that.
Manas, I mean, a lot of cricketers are actually watching us at the moment. They would rather listen to us than the commentary.
I think he got sacked from a podcast too, Sam. I know, I'm serious. We got the chocolates. Just he can maybe dispute that, but I think he got sacked. And he actually played. You remember the story with Sam Hayes that Greg Chappell picked him in a one-day international out of nowhere. And look, Sam's a great player. Probably one Chappell didn't get right yet. Still plenty of time for Sammy. But Greg Chappell's got this great powers of observation, picking. Cameron Green, Ricky Ponting, Steve Smith, Sam Heaslett, not quite in that category yet.
MS Dhoni.
MS Dhoni, indeed. Yep, he did okay. Yeah. He did all right, Dhoni.
Yeah. Not
That's
bad,
fine,
not
that's
bad.
fine, that's
Not as good as Steve Smith, but yeah, all right.
I think Sam's absolutely chuckling away in the comments, but we appreciate it from Sam. I mean, if you are literally the player that we're all kind of insinuating, give us a thumbs up in the comments and then we can take it through. Let's get Gurkirat also, who's been waiting in the wings, and we can add more to this chat in terms of more flavor, that is. Apart from Menners and his Cricket Unfiltered podcast fans, we also have the Gurkirat Twitter king, who's joining us right now, who's finished his second bowl of cereal, I presume. We'll also make a quick substitution in-house. Akash coming on for Shubh. And as Maxwell faces Hardik Pandya, remember, Australia 98 for 2, chasing 187 in this watch-along. So wherever you're joining us, appreciate it. And there we go. Gurkirat is on board, and we have Manners as well. Gurkirat, first and foremost, how is your bowl of cereal?
Yeah, why would you say that I'd have another bowl of cereal? I mean, one's enough. Can't have
One's
two.
enough. Too much sugar for the day.
Yeah,
But
so
no
I-
Shami. No Shami so far.
See, after one ball, next every ball has some meat in it. So, I mean,
No, so see, it's not easy to cut down on 2-3 paranthas every day. You have to do it step by step. It's a process. Process is important.
That's the
yeah,
process.
see, everyone who's followed India for the last decade knows the word process now. Everything they do in their life is like
Well, of
process.
course.
Well,
along
of course,
with well, of course.
yeah. So, Menas, coming to you, there was a discussion that we had about all the teams in terms of the player which is the most indispensable. And for Australia, we feel Glenn Maxwell is the guy, despite him being not in prime form. Even in the last World Cup, he struggled. I mean, if it were any other team, he would not have been in the side itself. But I think Australia, for Australia, is indispensable because they don't really have a better spin hitter and also someone who can bowl off spin. So he's a good matchup bowler as well. I mean, do you agree or do you feel no?
So basically, tactical MVP.
No, disagree. Yeah. Sorry, disagree. I don't.
Why is that?
Well, I think we've seen actually Australia have won without Maxwell, and he had a pretty quiet T20 World Cup last year. Yeah. So, no, absolutely not our most important player.
So who is then?
Okay, well, I could see this coming. I'll give you two names. I think David Warner at the top of the order. We saw him in the last T20 World Cup get Australia off to good starts, and I think that's really important for this batting order, especially when his partner is Aaron Finch, who is in, patchy form. So you need Warner to really come out of the gate strong. And then I think Matthew Wade, we saw him against Pakistan, smash them out of the tournament. You guys must have been jumping out of your seats when he was doing that in the last T20 World Cup. So
we were.
So I'd go Wade and Warner as my two favorites. And most important.
Is that because of the left-hand advantage that they possess? Something that Somesh just said before you came on board, like the fact that left-handers are generally gold dust in T20s, but Warner.
Yeah, because I mean it's like top and tail. Rest everyone is a righty, and they need these two. And Warner, actually, I have Warner as my pick for the leading run getter in this edition as well. So I agree. What about someone like Adam Zampa? Because even in the pace dip, for example, Australia can replace any of Stoinis, Marsh, Finch with a Cam Green in the reserves, and any of the pacers can be replaced by Nathan Ellis, who we feel is very unlucky to miss out. But there is no replacement for Adam Zampa. I mean, there is Mitchell Swepton, but there is a certain drop in quality.
No, so we have Ashton Agar, the left-arm orthodox spinner, who's in the squad. He's been very successful in international T20 cricket. There was a while there he was... Can you ask your guest to turn his mic off, please? This is very distracting. Who's this with the background noise? I'm
Good.
joking. I'm
Good
joking.
answer.
I'm just joking.
This
You
way
did
is
as well.
cricket
Good.
unfiltered.
That's why it's cricket unfiltered. It's a banter, honestly.
Yeah,
But yeah, go on.
absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, I think Ashton Agar is a really good alternative to Zampa if he gets injured. So
But
that's my
like for
man.
like, I think is what Somesh meant in terms of being a real wrist
Well,
spinner.
he still, I mean, he
Definitely.
still turns the ball away from right-handers, Agar.
Right.
So it's still.
But is he as threatening as someone like Zampa? Because last year we saw Zampa just came and took the tournament away. I mean, Warner got the player of the tournament, but I think Zampa should have been the real winner there.
Catch that. Oh, it's 4.
I think Zampa's better. I think Zampa's better, but there's
Yeah.
not a huge drop off. Who do you think is going to win this match? This practice match?
Honestly, it's too close to call right now.
I mean, the team that cares more than the other team would win. I think, as of now, I don't see either of them care.
As Indian fans, the two things we want to see ironed out ASAP is death bowling and fielding, and hopefully in the next 8 overs we can see that come to the fore. Unless Maxwell has other ideas, or is that? Oh, surely.
But Menace, don't you think that Australia's best batting is yet to come? I mean, they have still not had their best batters.
Yeah,
that's right. But Australia choked a couple of times against England in the chase, and or once in particular. And I just wonder, you know what T20 cricket is like. When you get on a roll, it can be both good and bad. You know, when you start to lose a couple of chases, all of a sudden you can get the wobble. So I actually wouldn't mind Australia seeing Australia just, finish this off, win the game after losing to England. But it's been a pretty tough game to watch because I don't get why they're playing a warm-up game when India and Australia have been playing non-stop cricket for the last 2 months. And now all of a sudden they're just playing a warm-up game. And the big controversy here is that, no spectators are allowed in there. We just see Glenn Maxwell get hit in the face off the back of his bat.
In the year, I think it is.
This
reverse
this
sweep.
This reminds me of what AB de Villiers used to say. He used to bat with a helmet even against spinners because he used to play such shots. So I think Maxwell should take a leaf out of ABD. I mean, every batter ever born to play cricket should take as many leaves out of ABD Villiers'
I mean,
book.
Mark Boucher, after the infamous incident, he said, "I'll definitely wear a helmet."
So I mean, while we have a pause and play, I would like to, Gurkeerat maybe even chip in. We've seen Ashwin bowl and Chahal bowl these 9 balls, and clearly Chahal has made Australians far more uncomfortable than what Ashwin did. So do you still feel just as a batting advantage, India should stick with Ashwin? Because I mean, Ashwin wasn't even going for wickets. It was clear bowling in the wicket for the longer leg side boundary and just giving singles every ball.
Yeah, I mean, and he was bowling, and I don't know why Ashwin was thrown the ball actually against Finch as well, because Finch actually does better against Ashwin. If you look back at the 2016 game between India and Australia as well, that in that game also Finch had taken toll of Ashwin. So not
the
sure.
2016 game.
Yeah,
6 years ago. You think Finch is the player he was then? Jeez.
No, he's not the same player. But what I'm trying to say is that Finch has had the upper hand against Ashwin otherwise as well. But my larger point is that before I'll still wait another game before I take a call as to who my first spinner would be. But I'm genuinely surprised that Shami's not gotten a bowl today, because if Shami is not bowling today, then I don't see him starting against Pakistan on Sunday.
But I think he's still jet lagged from the flight.
Yeah, I mean, slightly.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's not like I spoke to him early this morning, but
it's good to see Moeen Ali just chilling with the Indian players in the dugout. I think England are taking on Pakistan after this.
Yeah. But I think if India are playing any team outside the subcontinent, I would rather have a wrist spinner because for obvious reasons.
Oh, Maxwell goes big and gets 1 bounce 4.
Big show.
So they're targeting Chahal in the sense, this over at least. Hardik Vora, meanwhile, in the comments below saying, do you think we're not too far away from the ICC making helmet mandatory for every batter? I think that should have already happened by now in terms of the safety of the sport, how fast the sport has progressed. Whether you're taking on Chahal or you're taking on Stark, you should wear a helmet, shouldn't you? So.
Absolutely. I think it should be mandatory. And as well, because, throws coming in from the outfield and stuff, we've seen how important, looking after your head is. And actually, when I was playing cricket, the times you might get hit, not just batting, but it is, a sloppy return from the outfield. So definitely should be. And it's very odd when you see, a first-class cricketer or a top-level cricketer batting without a helmet now.
Yeah, I think we saw that come to the fore, right, with Ishan Kishan's freak injury in the IPL, where there was a throw from the deep, and then he got one in the eye. And even though he was kind of keeping at that point in time with the pace, so you understand why he was wearing a cap. But like
I think it should be mandate for the
terrible
umpires as well.
fielding from Virat. Come on, Kohli, smarten up. We call that the Harbour Bridge in Sydney because you jump over the ball and you look like the Harbour Bridge and the ball goes under. So
we call that the India Gate, honestly.
Manners, Kohli is not a good fielder anyway. So let's give him that.
I think that's a little dip in the Twitter following, but we'll take it with a pinch of salt.
Pinch of salt, sugar, and tequila.
Manners, how much has Arshdeep impressed you from an Aussie lens, right? Because I'm sure you don't see much of him apart from the IPL or whenever India plays the odd T20. Do you think he's a good weapon to have in the bowling armory, given the fact that there's no Bumrah?
Well, it's a good question because I was just about to ask you. I'm not exactly sure what India's going to go for their frontline attack in this World Cup. Do you think it'll be Shami and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Chahal, and then who will they chuck in there as well? Like will
Arshdeep and Bhuvi in terms of the general consensus here, not just here, but the public sense at large are thinking these three. And it's worked out well for them because with Bumrah in the mix, one of them had to miss up, but now we're thinking three of them have to start. And I know Shami is like a spanner amongst the works, but like Gurkirat mentioned, surprised to see not Shami bowling today, but also if he did bowl, you would definitely have a say.
Yeah, I think just to summarize what Avnish is saying, the five logged in are pretty much Bhuvi, Arshdeep, Harshal, Aksar, and Hardik.
Yeah,
it'll be just a toss up between Ashwin and Chahal, and I think that will depend on the opposition.
Well, I think that's a good attack. Yeah, and Ashdeep is impressive. I've seen bits and pieces from the IPL. I think he adds good variety to the Indian attack. Obviously, the left arm. I think I'd go with Chahal over Ravi in this tournament, at least to start. I think leg spin has shown to be slightly more effective in T20 in Australia. If you look at the Big Bash success of Rashid Khan, I'd probably go with Chahal to start.
Yeah, but I think Rashid Khan is an anomaly. We should not compare anyone with him.
That's true. Yeah, finger spin though, finger spin in Australia. I'm just trying to think in the Big Bash, Stephen O'Keefe does really well for the Sixers, his left arm tweaker. I think Chahal would have more chance of being effective, especially, starting at the MCG. Yeah, Chahal would be my pick, definitely for India.
Now, this could be a cause for concern here because Arshdeep has come back to bowl his second over. He still has another two more. And Finch has got 10 off this over already. So India, before this over started, were essentially defending 10, which is 70 of 7. So it'll be interesting to see this phase because right now we talk about death bowling and execution. India failed to do that in the Asia Cup and hence they ended up where they had to end up. But in the warm-ups, at least against Australia and New Zealand, you'd want to see something come to the fore here. And it'll be interesting because Prateek came in the comments saying, will Rohit make changes in 11 versus Pakistan according to these two matches, or will it be fixed? You can't really tell. Dare I say there's a last-minute injury. India need to be well-equipped. So in New Zealand, I think Shami will definitely get a game.
Hopefully, the jet lag is over.
Who else do we have in terms of our bowling results to get a game?
Gurkirat has a point, I guess.
Yeah, Gurkirat, go on.
The other bowling option that India have left out of the ones that are there today is probably Deepak Hooda. But I suppose if we are banking on Deepak Hooda to do the job with the ball, then that means that a lot of things have really gone wrong for India. But yeah, I think Aaron Finch doing well today would really augur well for Australia because he was someone who was out of form and he's batted well today. So yeah, I think regardless of the result, if Finch comes back to form today and like how Agar bowled today, Australia might just come out with more positives than India because for India, the two batters who scored runs are the same batters who've been scoring runs in the last few games consistently.
Menas, you agree with that? We're thinking Warner is anyway going to do the bulk of the batting, but Aaron Finch, I know he's played a kind of, what's the best word to describe this now? Taking his time and then kind of now making it count. What would your ideal demand from Aaron Finch be in this World Cup? A quick fire 30, or would you like an innings like this where he takes it till the 14th, 15th over and then you guys go kamikaze cricket?
No, so I think this match, everything we've just got to take in this practice match very lightly, because it looks so. I mean, the intensity in this game is very low. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. So I think that I wouldn't be looking too much into Finch's runs here, but I'd be really curious how he'll do when the bowlers are really charging in and swinging back into his pad. But generally, I think Finch's best bet is to just go out there and start swinging. If anything, Warner's more your classical kind of, not anchor, but we've seen him in the IPL. He's very good at timing his innings and batting for long periods, and he doesn't tend to get bogged down. I think Finch's best option is to just go out and start swinging. He knows if it doesn't come off, we've got a really long batting order. The worst thing we can want is Finch, scratching around to 20 off 25, and then he gets out and we're in a hole and the middle order has to catch up. So, yeah, I'd like to see him just be aggressive.
Yep. I think I would like to add on to something that Menas said. I mean, in modern T20, we often say that there is no space for an anchor, but there is still space for a David Warner like an anchor who's basically like 10, a strike rate of at least 10 to 15 more than your typical anchors.
Yeah. And has a gear where he can just smash sixes out of nowhere.
Yeah, so Australia would rather benefit from Finch attacking earlier so that Warner could take his time. And he's the only lefty in the top 6.
It's surprising that Akshar hasn't bowled today at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's what even Prateek's saying in the comments, right? Is there a slight possibility of Ashwin?
I don't think so. I think this only tells us that Akshar is locked in no matter what, and
it's just a notation.
Yeah, and they know that he will deliver.
Just going back to Menas' car analogy, we've painted Steve Smith as a Rolls Royce, we've painted Tim David as a Bugatti Veyron. Where is Warner? I mean, what is Warner in terms of the car? Because even Somesh mentioned that he's not just the anchor but the aggressor at times. So
Tesla, what is the toppest Tesla model?
Is it a Tesla? Is it a Porsche 911? Menas?
I would think Warner's like a sort of maybe like a tank or something. He's got the armor. He can do it. Because he can play in any format. He's got the big gun at the front. He's liable to go off any time. So I'd say he's a bit of a tank, actually.
Yeah, fair comparison. That I wish India had a couple of tanks in their
or a good drone to take the tank out.
I think if there's anyone who comes close to a drone in Suryakumar Yadav, the fact that he's been carrying us.
And he can fly.
I'm wondering what
sky's the limit for the drone.
I wonder what you guys think. I sort of been looking at all the teams in this World Cup, and there's actually not a lot between the teams. I really think it is going to come down to, we saw it a bit in the last World Cup, but who's in form, who wins the toss in some occasions, and just who wins those pressure moments. I think on paper, the gap between say the first and the 8th team is very close. Even some of the teams. I mean, okay, Bangladesh. Sorry, maybe not. So maybe the first 7 in Bangladesh. We'll put them in a different.
So we have ranked Bangladesh 15th in among the all 16 teams. They're actually
yes. I agree with that. Yeah. Who was 16th?
UAE. And UAE fans also might be like, you know what? We could actually give Bangladesh a run for his money. But just reminding you about predictions, because we all had this exercise before the tournament started about predictions. I want to ask you 4 things. Your World Cup winners and why, your dark horses and potentially who could win the tournament on the outside, and your highest run getter and your highest wicket taker. It'll be interesting to hear from you and your choices.
Well, it's very good timing, because straight after this we're recording a Cricket Unfiltered podcast on YouTube, so I had to do my predictions. So I've got them here. So what were the questions? The winners,
your dark horses, your leading run getter, and your leading wicket taker, please. And just when you
Okay.
ponder over that, Chahal has dropped an absolute, not a dolly, but a regulation
No,
cotton
And
bowl.
we'll give you time to think. Meanwhile, just coming back to your question, I think the best part of this tournament is there is no perfect team. I mean, if we go back to some of the older World Cups like 2003, 2007,
Gets that.
Australia were
Gets that.
clearly the better side.
Oh,
And even leading up to the 2019 50 over World Cup, England were the better side. But I mean, that's an advantage with T20 cricket. I mean, it's not necessary that the better team wins.
Yeah.
it's a fickle format.
Like Gurkeet keeps saying, it's
Yes.
a fickle format. But even without that, even without the intricacies of the format, no team is perfect. Every team has some or the other weakness. So which is a good thing, which makes it a pretty open tournament.
Absolutely.
He's gone again. He's gone again.
And he's
dropped another one.
And again, he gets 4.
Or a shot.
Wow, so Chahal not enjoying the end to that over because he dropped Maxwell. And then, of course, how often do we say insult to injury?
Is Maxwell the one who plays Chahal the best? Because we've seen it countless times.
But then remember that time where he was just literally dangling the carrot outside with that loopy one, and then he was always kind of hitting in the V and getting out in that series.
Yeah, but even then, I think Maxwell is the one who plays Chahal the best.
Yeah. He plays
But
I think,
generally,
most of the spinners.
most of the spinners he plays them really well.
No, not
Rashid?
Jadeja and
Yeah.
other slow left-arm bowlers.
Jadeja
Just a
and
little
Akshar
update. Just a little update. Kyle Myers has been dismissed. Scotland have got their first wicket, and it was actually a very good catch by Muncy.
And what are they chasing, Gurkirat?
161.
161.
So they had 3 overs, 20 for one up.
It could have actually been 170, 175. It had not been for Alzari Joseph's good bowling. I thought he bowled really well.
Could be
Good on
another
you
thriller.
to be able to watch both games simultaneously.
I've got both
Yeah,
games
So
going.
then let's come back to your predictions then.
Yes. All right. So, look, I don't really have a dark horse. I actually don't think any surprise. I don't think we'll see a Namibia win the T20 World Cup. I don't think Sri Lanka. I don't think we'll see a smaller nation win the T20 World Cup. You know, I'll like for my say semi-finalists, I've got Pakistan, South Africa, New Zealand, England.
Whoa,
And then,
whoa, hold the
and then I've got
that was sort of expected, I guess. Yeah.
And then I've got a winner, either New Zealand or Pakistan.
New Zealand and Pakistan, so he's not going for the Aussie.
Yeah.
So
And
these
then
two teams
leading-
are, I mean,
And it's good that you say that because Somesh on our podcast in the preview that we did saying he's going to put his neck on the chopping block if New Zealand go past the group stage, which is, of course, having Australia, England, and Afghanistan in it. You think New Zealand can actually go all the way, which is kind of strange.
Absolutely. I think they thrashed you guys in the Test Championship final. They were in the World Cup final. They were in the T20 World Cup final. I mean, how could the cricketing world just keep forgetting about the Black Caps?
yeah, but
I mean,
I'm pretty sure.
what more
you
do they
seen-
have to do? These poor
Yeah,
people from New Zealand, always forgotten about.
True. And I think you would have Kane Williamson as your leading run getter as well. I mean, it sort of seems obvious, right? He's
No,
way better
I've
than
got
anyone in
I've
the
got
Black
Mohammed
squad.
Rizwan. I've got Mohammed
Oh.
Rizwan as the leading run scorer.
So basically, the Lahore Williamson,
Gone.
honestly.
And then the leading wicket taker, Kagiso Rabada.
Okay, fair shot. Now, you mentioned New Zealand and South Africa in some way. They're taking on each other in this World Cup warm-up game. And honestly, South Africa's bowlers have come to the fore and New Zealand have been decimated. Based on that, are you sure you want to rejig your predictions? Menas, are you sticking with the New Zealand Pakistan?
Absolutely. I put nothing into these practice games. I mean, these aren't even T20 figures. Like, can you imagine these cricketers? They play all year. Everyone complains about the schedule. Never stops. IPL, Test, back into more T20, another league, and then there's World Cup, and then they go, oh, look, we're going to play a warm-up game, even though you've been playing for the non-stop. We're going to play a warm-up game so the ICC can make a bit of money and we can sell the TV rights. And also, they don't go to your stats, so you could get it for a duck or 100. It's not going to affect anything. Who cares? I mean, the New Zealand batters were probably thinking about, they're probably watching the game down in Hobart between Scotland and the West Indies more than their own game.
True. I think
That is it.
No, but
either that or the scorecard is missing a one somewhere in the 98 before
Okay,
the 98.
can you just respond to Sam Heaslett? New Zealand lost to Australia 3-0 a few months ago. Sam, this is why you got sacked off your podcast. That was 50 over cricket. It's a T20 World Cup. Jesus. Is he even in the Queensland squad anymore? They just said, Sammy, off you go. Off you go.
Sammy, I mean, honestly, you can rebuttal in the comments below, and we'd like to see that unfold.
So
Meanwhile,
it's made me
Bhuvneshwar
angry
Kumar
'cause-
has got rid of Glenn Maxwell, and he's pulled this over back somehow. And India still are defending, 42 from 26.
Yeah.
Stoinis is the new man. And this is where it really gets in the meat of the Australian batting lineup, right? There's still no David, but he's not needed at this stage
Okay,
right now.
let me ask you, Gurkirat, before I ask this to Manners. If there is one player from the Australia team who you can swap with the current Indian team, who would that be and why?
He's stumped.
Tim David.
Got him.
Yeah, I'd probably,
Nah,
I'd probably get in Tim David because I think India are a little. Yeah, India's batting is probably only top 6 and nothing more after the top 6. So yeah, I'd probably like to get in Tim David.
Tim David instead of whom?
Virat.
Of course, I mean that's the most logical answer actually.
I mean, KL's also a good shot, to be fair.
Yeah, even Rohit, any of the top 3.
I think you should take
Yeah.
Hazelwood.
At this point of time, I'd probably probably say Rohit maybe because KL I think will have a good tournament and he'll not be batting like how he's batted for Punjab or Lucknow.
I know he's playing
And
football.
Virat also I think is getting back into good groove. I'm only worried a little about Rohit also because he's just taken that all-out attack approach. So yeah, I think Tim David for Rohit would probably be a nice swap.
And Manners, vice versa for you, if you had to take an
Yeah.
Indian player, surely there would be one of us. You'd like that in the Aussie 11.
Absolutely. Probably. I mean, I'm a big Hardik Pandya fan, but I'd probably take. God, really tough. Australia's got such a good team. Who do you fit in? None.
You
We don't
take
want any.
Kohli and-
Actually, we don't want any. We don't want any. It's okay. No, we don't want any. I don't want any players. Just don't. Every other. I would when we go to India, I would have said that, but this we're good. We're good.
Yeah, maybe-
you can
maybe
have
you
Smith.
can-
I mean, you
you-
can have
maybe you
Smith, but we don't want him back.
Take Ashwin. Honestly, you don't have a bunch of
that is
monkeys.
what I was gonna say. I mean, you can maybe take Kohli and put him on the bench and make Steve
Okay.
Smith as a reserve.
That's okay. Good. Kohli's such good mates with all of the Aussie
Yeah.
team now. You know they love. So why not?
Interesting to see Ashwin bowl the death
Yeah.
overs.
No, but
the first of
I
which.
mean, a question to you, Menas. I mean, last year Australia did not go as favorites. Nobody expected anything from them. So, do you think that ultimately resulted in them winning, and they could not? I mean, they cannot do it this year because they are
And
firm
this
favorites.
is precisely why he's expecting something from New Zealand.
Yeah,
So that
I famously said before the last World Cup that Australia could not win it, and they won it. I don't think Australia going under as sort of underdogs in the last tournament had any effect because I think the other teams really respect them. You know, when you go out to play Australia, you know you're going to get a good game. You know it's going to be 110%. Sure, they're not unbeatable, but it's never going to be easy, especially in a big tournament. But I think, you know, one thing now in this, I think the gap has closed a bit between the teams since the last tournament. And I think maybe expectation at home, there will be a lot of pressure from Australia. You know, everyone's predicting they make the World Cup final, but you know, in some of these T20 games, if you just have a bad 2 or 3 overs, that can be the difference. And Australia could certainly do that. You know, you don't always get your chases right. So you can take nothing for granted, but they come in a lot more confident than last year. That's for sure.
Is that the general consensus of the Australian public right now? The media heading into this World Cup? I mean, what is the paparazzi and the headlines and the tabloids
what
saying?
does your survey says?
Well,
Oh, yes,
Austra-
The cricket unfiltered survey.
Look, you know, so if I take a finger on the pulse, everyone's, you know, very confident in this Australian side of putting up a good performance. You know, we've got a very proud record at home in the 50 over World Cup in 2015 of winning at home. But for me, I just don't think it makes a difference. Honestly, I don't think it makes one bit of difference. I think, we're going to come up against some really good sides in the group stage. And, I can see it's not even getting out of the group stages. So, yeah. The public's very confident, but I'm not so much.
But when was the last time a favorite actually won the T20 World Cup? You look back since 2007, no one really has gone into the tournament starting favorites and then went on to win the goddamn competition. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, I mean, West Indies at that point in time, I mean, India was still, Sri Lanka, yeah. But
Not
Sri Lanka,
many.
were they
Okay, I mean, just the last question before we let you guys go. Menas, have you seen that movie No Country for Old Men?
Yes, I mean, not for a long time.
Oh, okay.
With
you
Clint
happen to
Eastwood?
remember-
With Clint Eastwood?
Not that one.
No.
No, not Clint Eastwood.
The other one.
Xavier Bardem,
Oh, No Country. Yeah, okay, yep.
Josh Brolin. You remember that scene where Xavier Bardem goes to a store and asks the store owner, "What is the most you've won on a coin toss?"
Not really.
Yeah,
No
but
idea.
if that was Aaron Finch, he can say a T20 World Cup.
Absolutely. That's right. That last World Cup. He was Sammy Easler. You've lost, buddy. You lost. He's chirping away in the comments.
Sammy's getting
Cool.
belted. honestly.
With that, I think, guys. I mean, it was.
Fun having you all. Mena is making his debut. Hopefully, we threw you some looseness outside off stump, which you converted into full tosses and belted us back with banter, but most appreciated. And you guys can catch Menas on the Cricket Unfiltered podcast. They're probably doing a World Cup tribute later on today. So catch him on Twitter, catch him on Instagram, dare I say, Menas. But likewise with Gurkirat as well. Thank you guys for, of course, shedding light and insight on this first Watchalong. More to come, of course. We'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Thanks to everyone who watched. And we'll catch up during the World Cup.
100%. Hopefully, we can lock you in for the Australia-New Zealand game and the Australia-England game, which will be fun. But needless to say, it was great to have you.
Yep. So my question here is, what have we learned so far from this game?
That warm-up are overrated.
Was overrated. And honestly, I still think, oh, is there a glimmer?
More than a glimmer. It has been this way for a long while.
Yeah.
That is true.
And Australia's best batters.
Best
It
batters
becomes-
yet to come.
I mean, जब
Yeah,
तक
that's
जब तक Tim David नहीं आएगा ये बोलते रहेंगे Australia and
No. After that only, Pat Cummins. Best batter.
Oh
No,
my
but
God.
29 of, I
Setting
think
it at 16 is
See, this is where, I mean,
they have lost these kind of games, so expect
Where
them
did India lose this game?
I mean, they've not yet lost it.
No, but where did they lose it?
to- the batting, I think. In
Not
the end
really, I
overs.
mean,
Last 5
No,
overs, just 49
after
runs.
being, what, 60,
Six.
But
70.
see, after the power play, it's not easy. These are difficult grounds.
Exactly,
I mean,
but
the shot that DK hit, there was 6 everywhere.
So do you think maybe Kohli and
I
Surya
don't
could have
think
played
it's
the...
like they were experimenting.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
overbowled Ashwin.
And that Hardik dismissal came against a run of play.
See, ये सब तो हो गया.
Yeah, that's
Obviously,
true.
you can never have a perfect
He is
game.
going to
It's
play
not-
like that only, no?
True,
It's
true.
going to come against.
But at the time, because you don't normally see
what
DK
this-
walking in
what
the
this
13th, 14th
dismissal
overs.
tells me is, I mean, see, India's death bowling might not be as big a concern because right now, see what Hardeep did.
Yeah.
Basically bowled into the wicket,
Back of length.
back of length, and it was caught.
Mm.
In India, these balls go for 6.
Yeah.
So that is the advantage that India might have. That even, I mean, the death bowlers will have multiple options and not just to
Look
go
at
for
his
those wide
average.
Yorkers.
Average 38.
Oh my God,
almost
that's a
38
massive
and 160.
bachelor of
technically,
I mean, half those
197.
runs came for Singapore. More than
That's
half.
all.
On impact,
197.
he is currently the best T20 batter.
For the 630s and 550s, honestly.
Probably,
He
I
looked like
think
a
you'd
20-year-old.
Where was the best 92?
I think that's Singapore, right? Yeah.
Oh my God.
That makes more
What,
sense.
Singapore
Yeah.
against UAE.
So yeah,
Nepal.
it's good that you mentioned that
Nepal.
because his numbers for Singapore must have like been really good, and then Australia is
No,
just.
Australia is also really good.
But Australia, how many games did he play? 5,
He's-
6?
No, he's played the entire India series and then he's played the entire England
You know,
series.
Tim David is a
already
kind of a
6 there.
player that 3
Yeah,
years
and
down the
then he's
line,
played before that.
you would say, oh, we had him in RCB and we let him go.
Exactly.
They had most of the players like that.
David,
No, but
Stoinis,
this used
Moeen
to be
Ali,
something with the Delhi Daredevil syndrome. That
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had ABD, we
Yeah.
had
Russell.
We had
Warner,
Russell.
Warner, Russell,
but now I think
We had Pete
the
Pradeep
syn-
Sang one.
the syndrome
Pradeep Sangwan.
is
That is a joke.
That is a joke. So 2 more overs. Who's bowling? Rajdeep, 1 more obviously after this one.
I
and
think
then
Bhuvi.
Bhuvi and Arshdeep to finish off.
Yeah.
Oh, Bhuvi
Oh,
in
that's
the
why.
19th
That's why
over.
he didn't give him
so
the,
yesterday on the
in the Twitter space, right?
space we did. Someone asked, "What should India do over the 19th
19th
over?"
Just forget that it's the 19th.
Yeah, just like
Or
it,
India
then.
should be like, we check the horoscope. We should not. Oh, there's a shot and a half. 6.
Oh, what a carry. Does carry goes
Carries
way over.
easy
But why no spectators allowed? I mean, kya?
for the good. They don't want to watch this garbage.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
No, I think these kind of
I think
wickets
this is the
will
only
favour
thing
Finch,
that is not to be done in Australian conditions. It's like
which is bowl to Finch.
ball in the slot. I
Okay.
mean, you can ball everywhere. This is proper slot. I mean, this is the same mistake that Dale Steyn did to Grant Elliott,
Grant
right?
Elliott. But
If
that
he
is
could have
not in
done-
Australia. That
That
was in
would-
New Zealand.
And any ball would have gone out of
Yeah.
the park.
Ah.
In Eden Park.
Because that is a thing, right? New Zealand played all their games in New Zealand and then they came to the final like MCG and got screwed.
So
So,
20
I mean, that-
miracle.
In that
Needed
World Cup,
miracle.
I felt that the final should have been in New Zealand. They should have done it in a way that which team has
But New
has
Zealand would
more
have-
points
Okay.
and decide the venue.
They
between
Yeah,
did
them.
but then
deep
there's always
three.
going to be a cricket
Yeah.
bias towards MCG and Lords.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
MCG
of-
has, look at the capacity as well. They
Yeah.
would want to maximize on that. They would not be like, oh, we'll just play in a 20,
But they
30,000
could have
capacity.
brought the boundary ropes in.
Yeah,
But if
they could have.
any place in New Zealand could have hosted the final, where? Auckland,
Eden Park, that's the thing. Yeah.
the best, right?
See, we are not even finalized.
Arshdeep is now going for the Yorkers, what Pradeep Kandari say. He's trying. I know at times, like Somi said, the back of the length ball is more tempting here. I know Hardik has that as his go-to weapon generally, whether he's playing the subcontinent or not.
No, I think the straighter boundary is not as.
But Arshdeep, even
One-sided,
if
yeah.
we've seen so many of his pitch maps, especially in this phase, and it's all over the place, and that's not necessarily a bad.
Yeah, and
That's
he can
more
bowl anywhere,
surprise, yeah,
so
more
yeah.
of a surprise element than
Yeah.
being.
and bowling
Predictable.
Yorkers to somebody like
Ball.
oh,
There was a Yorker there,
and
but
that's a four.
unlucky. Yeah, he'll get 4.
Yeah, see, that's the downside of Yorkers.
16 of 12. So India, it'll still be a game within a game for Bhuvi and Arshdeep to defend this. And that's why I guess warm-ups exist. Is just
No,
like
but the issue
iron
is
out these
this will
wrinkles.
get blown out of proportion that people like India are, I mean, definitely not going to play
Yeah.
well. This is a warm-up. We should take it as a warm-up. We should not be like, oh, Australia,
See, but-
100% favorites.
But in a country with so many people,
You
I
can't- yeah,
things
somebody
will,
has- yeah.
things will. I mean, with so much free time,
Yeah,
there
that
has
is
to be a
true.
discussion.
This is the new World Cup ad. And it's Virat starting the bus, which probably won't make any Australian
Vijay,
road.
Rath.
it should have been tuk instead of bus.
Tuk-tuks indeed. Oh,
Harshal
saliva on the
Patel.
ball.
Vijay, Rath. I mean, it reminds me of something.
So we're all wrong. Harshal's actually bowling. And might be Arshdeep to close out.
with his new look hair.
So is
Looks
it
good?
Yeah.
is it for
Fake hair.
Yeah.
Fake hair.
is it to make Bhuvi feel, I mean, look much better than he is? We're like, oh, look at him. He went for 16. Surely Bhuvneshwar is better. That will be the case when it comes to the World Cup.
Oh, imagine if Arshdeep, Harshal just has like an over which goes for 3 runs and a wicket here.
Okay, I don't know
I know
why,
it's
but
RCB.
why Aaron Finch is not retired?
You mean out or retire?
This-
Retire.
Oh,
Okay,
game.
okay. That's a good question.
Yeah, the long pause was worrying.
No, either way, it's
Oh, talk about the dips and
Dip.
talk about variations.
Okay.
And he's retired.
That is insane.
Yeah,
That is honestly
Okay, the ball of the game.
ball of the century.
match losing knock from Aaron Finch.
Did it get more turn than Shane Warne?
9 over 76. But that will do him a world of good, you would say. Oh, it was
Played
literally
it too soon.
it's literally like a child facing Bumrah for the first time. Yeah,
We
you
hope
know,
that doesn't happen.
I just want to get bat on ball, but then no, you hit, I miss types. Is
What-
that a
what
hiccup?
is-
What is with Australian batters? I mean, after every ball that they face, they do something. Oh, this was slow. Oh, this bounced. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, what is this
They-
happened?
This is the
They've learned it from the Steve Smith
exactly this is the
manual.
influence of Smith in the dressing room. They have to do it. Otherwise, he'll be like, okay, where is it?
Steve
You're
Smith
not
is his
serious. You're not.
no, but Steve Smith generally is a batsman. I was thinking back in the day, Jayasuriya had like all these idiosyncrasies where he touched this pad, that
Yeah,
pad,
yeah.
and then all that. And Smith in that Ashes series is like this, and then he would pat his bat thrice, and then
You remember DK had that. After every ball, he used to just go
Yeah.
towards his left, sit down, and then come back.
I think even Dhoni, right?
Yeah,
After every ball,
Dhoni.
he used to do the. Yeah.
Dhoni, jeez,
Would Smith be the equivalent of Nadal in cricket?
yeah, fully. When Nadal, especially when he's receiving a serve,
Yeah, it just goes.
puta.
Wow.
Good point.
Josh Inglis coming out to bat. 16 of 11. Harshal's got rid of course, Finch
And got rid of himself
got
also.
rid of himself as well. Josh Inglis is another BBL exploit.
He's not. He's actually performed well
Outside.
outside Australia. Then
So
he,
he
What-
was
he,
his
he plays
PSL?
spin well. That's
he
why.
plays spin well. He plays pace well. He has all the shots.
Do you think Harshal will be starting against Park? I think he will.
After this, definitely he will.
Look at the ball.
Not just because of this one dipping Yorker, but generally he was.
Oh.
Great delivery. Run out chance. Oh, what a hit!
Man.
That is why you need fucking Virat Kohli. Get in there, boys. What a fucking piece of work that is. Normally you don't see
Gone,
Virat
David.
in the inner ring during the
Wow.
fucking death overs, but honestly, sorry for the swearing.
Hold on to
Sorry
your
for the
horses,
swearing.
man.
Yeah. Honestly, sorry. Just got like, how often do you see like a
So
brilliant
2
piece of
wickets
fielding
has
like that?
come true. That prediction has come true. But
Team hat trick next. Oh, pick up, throw you beauty
Oh.
without one stump team.
so India are not missing Jadeja.
Yeah, and see you, Tim David. See you, all you Tim David fans. Menners, if you're still watching, egg in your face, sir. Egg on your face. So Tim David gone 16 of 10. This is why we like T20 cricket. Warm up, no warm up, cold up, whatever you want to call it.
This one over has been more exciting than the entire game.
So now Agar
Oh,
comes
look
out of
at-
bat.
No, I think
Cummins.
yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
Cummins away.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, fair.
Cummins is
There
their
he is.
best pace hitter.
See, he's the new balance.
Joint fastest IPL 50 or second?
I think joint.
Joint fastest.
KL Rahul is there, right? Yeah.
Who did that come against?
Of course.
I wanted
of
staunch MI
course.
fan to just yaad rakhna naam and all that. Like Sachin
याद है भाई,
Tendulkar.
याद है.
चलो कोई तो fielding अच्छी कर रहा है. Yes,
कोई तो कर
Prateek,
रहा
I
है.
completely agree with you.
And we got Avnish to read an entire sentence.
But वो
in
fielding
Hindi.
हमेशा से अच्छी कर रहा है.
Yeah, Chiku
You
bhai.
read that report
Team
yesterday?
hat trick, is it? Oh,
Well played.
dot ball, no. Actually, what am I
What
saying?
is-
Dot ball.
yeah, exactly.
One
NCA
run.
put out that list, no? He's not been at NCA because of medical
Yeah,
reasons.
Dinesh
for a
Karthik is
year.
Yeah.
livid, by the way, with the throw. I don't know if you saw that. 15 of 9. So Harshal has brought it down again to something that we could potentially defend. What a piece of work, honestly. Right-handed Jadeja, that.
I still think Jadeja is miles ahead.
I don't know why Adrian Holder went up.
Yeah.
Like, was it like blatantly
he's-
obvious?
No, it's like third umpire. You also do some work. I
How
know you've
important
had
was
nothing.
that 6 of 2 from Ashwin now to just keep the
Yeah.
game alive? It was
We'll
pretty
get
ridiculous.
a similar innings from Mitchell Stark.
Yeah.
First ball 6, and he wins the
I
match.
hope it doesn't come out to
Come
7.
on, get him out. Soft dismissal. Josh Inglis, come on. Go home, sir. Oh, how was that? Oh.
I hope it doesn't come
Was that
down to 7 needed of the last over. I'm
And then
tired
Arshdeep
of
bowling.
7 in the last over.
And Arshdeep
No, that
bowling.
was just the Asia Cup team. That was just the Asia Cup team. 14 of 8, though. And what I said earlier when the over started, what if Harshal gives you a great over? And he has. And
Yeah.
his former RCB skipper.
So I think India have found a bowler who can bowl the 19th over well.
In Australian conditions.
Yeah. 14 of 8. So can he finish off what he started really well here?
Now I think he'll
Big
bowl
deliveries. Oh, great delivery.
It's
That.
another dipping.
Will they run 2?
Yeah, I think 2 is quite
They will
possible.
take on Akshar and they will prosper.
Oh,
Even though he gets his back stuck in there. So 12 of 7. So surely Bhuvi or Arshdeep final over? If you're Rohit.
Bhuvi?
Bhuvi?
okay.
Akash? Bhuvi?
I mean, yeah. Either way, I think they're gonna get trolled, so doesn't matter. Oh, look at Rohit.
Rohit, I
Look at
think,
the
is
new
trying to
hairstyle.
grow longer hair for the 2007
To
vibes.
hide. Oh, okay. I thought to hide.
But I think one of them is done, no? Or no?
What's happening in the other games?
Other games.
There's
Yeah.
no the New Zealand South Africa warm up.
100 for 1.
100 for 1, they chased it down with ease.
Okay, here's the thing. India can actually give the last over to Chahal. Think about it. I mean, but English can hit him.
Yeah,
Cummins
yes.
won't.
Akshar, don't bowl the whole match, bowl the last over. Oh, how was that? There's no reviews. Wow, DRS is on holiday during the warm ups, dude.
हाँ भाई ठीक है.
Like how VAR was on holiday for fucking goddamn football last night, but that's a chat for another day. So great over. What just how many came
5
off that?
runs?
5 off that? Well done.
West Indies 58 for 2. So it's
West Indies
struggle.
58 for two choosing chasing
103
162.
in 76.
And who's batting now?
This is where
This is
cricket.com's
app is the fastest, honestly. And I'm
So
not being
what? It's
sarcastic.
Shami.
Oh, guys, clip this.
If
If you're watching, clip this. Mohammad Shami. I literally said Akshay might bowl it because he hasn't bowled the entire match, but no, Rohit Sharma
you're right.
playing
It
his
was somebody who
cards
didn't
close
bowl
to his
at all.
chest.
भाई क्या है भाई ये मतलब
This is India's ace of spade in the death.
Ace of spades.
it's like
Is a joker card.
कि
It
भाई
can work, not
सब
work.
सोचते रह जाएंगे कि अब अगले मैच में करेंगे क्या
Honestly.
And then Bhuvi will bowl that.
oh
And look at the pressure from Mohammad Shami right now. Even though
There's
this,
no
I
pressure.
just feel this management likes this कि
so, but now, okay, but
sparking
now
of
if Shami
something कि
defends it,
आग जला के
But-
छोड़ दो लड़ो Twitter पे, लड़ो,
but now if
Twitter
Shami
पे,
defends it, so then what happens?
Nothing happens.
Nothing
He just
happens.
He
plays.
doesn't start against Pakistan.
India win the warm up this happens
Chalo Shami bhai, chalo Shami bhai. Hadde par hue bhai. Honestly,
Can you
right. So
believe it?
Shami. In fact, let's get all the boys in right now. We can make it a 5-man panel. If you guys can stand for the last over, honestly, it doesn't really matter. But just stand symmetrically so we can, for the aesthetics of it. So Shami into bowl, defending Levin, and Cummins
that's
has
a
gone
4.
mid-wicket and got 4, is it?
Oh!
Okay, has done
where
extremely
is-
well, but they've got 2. Or will they come up 3? No, 2.
No.
So 9 to 5. So Shami starts off with the full toss.
And Australia's best
Oh,
finisher.
where was Shami? Oh my God.
मतलब इंडिया से आया सीधा लास्ट ओवर ऑफ द
Yeah.
मैच
Was he told this basically before the game started?
अभी जेट लैग नींद पूरी अब हुई है सो रहा था वो
No, I think he was eating biryani. All wine.
Oh
And then
my
they're like,
God.
okay, it's done. Finally.
Let us know in the comments if India actually had a plan like this for Shami or is this
But who
completely
will
off
know
the
it?
cuff?
But who will know it? Nobody will know
It
it.
encourages everyone
this
to
is
get
not a plan.
interactive with
This is
us.
absence of a plan
9 to 5. Shami into the attack. Good Yorker that.
Oh.
But will they scamper for 2? English wants to come back. And he will fancy it big time.
you know it's like teams substituting their goalkeeper before
7 or 4.
Yeah,
penalty
penalty shootout.
shootout.
Tim Krul.
I think this ball is going to go for 6.
Dude, so
Okay.
normally 11
Over
to 12
mid-wicket.
is kind of 60% favors
65%.
for the bowlers, right? But
Batters.
for the
Batters.
batters.
Yeah.
Okay, so that becomes 85. So that becomes 85 with a bigger
He's talking
boundary.
about
What
2014.
T20 are you watching?
So with a bigger boundary, it becomes 85. Because like now they can just fucking get 2s all the time. That's
yeah, but
ridiculous.
even smaller boundaries even easier to win.
Just hit
I
six,
don't
no?
know, man.
But I think he'll, as he predicted, might be a 6 or a 4.
7 to 4. I think
I
it's a
think it's a
wicket.
6 or a 4.
Oh, catch that! Long gone and misses! Oh, what a catch that is! What a catch from Virat Kohli! And he's won it! He's surely won it. That run out and this, what a catch, guys!
Suddenly this match is on
Woo!
suddenly
Woo!
पता नहीं कोई
Get
match में
in,
match
man!
में
Get in! We are warmed up in a warm up.
It looked like 6 for 80% of that. And then it just
Virat
went like.
Kohli! Woo!
यार,
Brilliant, dude. Cummins honestly thought, yeah, it's 6, baby. No chance.
Oh,
Stand and
That's-
take that.
that's proper Karen Pollard.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
brilliant.
yeah.
That is brilliant. That is honestly brilliant.
Look at
Tim
Tim
David
David.
knows it. Finchy knows
David
it.
खा गया,
Warner
Cummins
knows
भी खा
it.
गया।
Aga's already walking out with a smile. Wow. So Mohammad Shami is in the starting 11.
भाई ये
No,
Is it a good
let's not
thing or
get
a bad
carried
thing?
away.
it's a bad thing
It's a
यार,
bad
ये-
thing, yeah.
ये-
No, it's a good thing for opposition. That's what he meant.
ये
But
साजिश है
imagine,
भाई।
imagine
But विराट भाई
Shami.
ये मेन मैच के लिए कुछ बचा के रखोगे
भाई।
तो अभी कर लोगे
रन आउट मार दिया एक हाथ से
Oh, we did a piece with Arch Sridhar about fielding clinics and all of that. You guys can check it out. He spoke about how Virat Kohli is evolved as a fielder, but there was no doubt about his athletic ability in the boundaries, at least. But I mean, that's honestly match winning.
Right,
चल रहा
all
है?
the talks.
Right, so Shami to Ega. Oh,
Oh,
swing and
my.
miss. They want to run. He'll be run out here, surely.
Oh.
Yes, so
Even
there's
see
no
Shami's
run.
Even Shami is a
7
better
of
fielder.
2. Australia have cocked it up. Manners, we wish we can get you back on to, of course, wipe the egg off your face.
ये
But-
warm up मैच है पता है
Wa-
ना
Yeah, exactly.
भाई energy
Guys,
no
warm up,
points are gonna
no
be
warm up,
carried over from here.
Exactly, but still, it just does us a world of good. It does. Imagine Shami missed from there.
No,
That'll
but
be
the thing
funny.
for Australia is like
Woo.
third chase in a row that they have.
Watched.
Yeah.
So against New
And
Zealand,
all-
he's winning the toss and he's opting
And
to
all
bowl first
were
again.
from extremely comfortable winning.
Yeah,
positions.
exactly.
But it's fine. As an Aussie fan, you guys.
Look at it. The broadcaster just said that English was run out.
Broadcasters
So
will
2-2 wicket.
Everyone is the pinch of
Except
salt.
Avnish,
sugar and
nobody gives
tequila.
a F for both
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
no one. Honestly, I'm just excited with this last 2 overs. Harshal pulling it back, Shami bowling it from randomly.
He also
He-
doesn't care.
see,
He's a
Virat
RCB agent.
sensational run out.
What are the odds?
He's excited whenever a RCB
RCB
player does that.
exactly.
100%. And Harshal and
What are
Virat,
the odds
dude.
that
If
See,
Maxwell would have been
No,
Virat
Mitchell
going for the
Stark.
scoop?
Stark.
English going for the scoop?
Come on, come on, Shami.
Yeah, he
Make
can.
it a hat trick of some sort. Oh, what a ball that is. This is our death bowler. Death bowler, Mohammad Shami. Thank you so much for creating a good problem for us. Wow, honestly. Bro, just think about it right now. What is this done? Like,
जीत के भी हार गए.
Listen, Shami is inevitable. ये कुदरत का करिश्मा है. It's like कि Shami खेलेगा भाई अब somehow.
wow.
But who goes out?
Who goes out? Who goes out?
Ashwin में से कोई एक
So right now we all decide that Shami's in. You penciled him in.
No.
Why? You have. You
What I
have.
feel is-
Shami has
I
always
would
bowled these kind of
I would
overs.
want him to bowl 4 overs, even if it's against New Zealand. Which
Yeah,
is a
yeah,
shit
for
team.
sure. And that will happen.
No, the
Shit
question
team.
is at this.
Finalist last year.
No, the question is at this
I
point,
get
does our opinion matter? Because the management is going to be like, I mean, you guys go to hell.
So-
We are going to pick a
so
team.
Anyway-
Oh, but imagine.
See, anyway, India are going to have 6 bowlers.
Yeah.
So they can actually have
Wait, one
Shami
second.
only bowling the 20th.
If there's a 6 here, is it a bloody super over?
I don't know. I mean,
No,
do
no,
they
no.
have a-
Warm-ups.
Yeah, let's
No.
not go there.
Please don't tell me.
Yeah.
What if it's a short ball, top at 6
What if it's a
behind the
Malinga
keeper?
4 ball 4?
Mazak chal raha hai. And then all the Shami talk will just die out and be like, no, not like Shami, not like Shami. Come on, Shami, just finish it. 3 for 4 in your final over. Oh, yes! Yes! Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Australia all out for 180. Who would have ever saw that
Look at this
coming?
spell.
Oh, my God. I need a
That's it.
glass of
Shami-
water.
Shami is like
Wow.
तुम सालों पूरे साल भर से खेल रहे थे कुछ नहीं करे देखो पहला
Brilliant. Brilliant.
That's it.
What?
I think Shami is playing the first match. Rohit said,
Wow.
I know what
You
I'm
know,
going to
guys,
do.
that Shah Rukh Khan dialogue from Om Shanti Om. अगर किसी चीज को सच्चे दिल से चाहा तो पूरी कायनात.
Yeah.
So Shami actually wanted
sure.
that World Cup spot और पूरी कायनात ने
Bro,
कर
there's
दिया भाई
something with the ICC and Shami that literally
No,
like
but funnily enough,
Chawla,
in the
why?
last
there's something with ICC and Dhawan
Yeah, yeah.
उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं है
No, funnily enough, last time when the World Cup was in Australia, Shami is the like highest wicket taker. So who knows?
and
Who
India actually bowled
knows?
out every team
Yeah.
before the semi-final.
So-
and
knows?
Shami bhai, must hai bhai.
But I think Virat has won the match with a
Yeah,
run out
yeah,
and a
run out
catch.
and the
the
catch,
catch.
And it's not often that you say that. At least these guys
What?
say that
That
because
Virat wins the match.
no, I say like with these guys peltering Kohli normally, but look,
Not for his fielding.
Yeah.
Yeah. For his batting,
fielding
you
also
should.
you're like, I see Kohli the fielder. Shami showing how it's
Oh.
done. Prateek Kandari, yes, showing how it's done.
But look at
what
that,
a
look
watch
at that
along as
emoji
well.
after that. That's what is.
The telling emoji.
No.
Oh, so basically, who
He
did
came, he
Rohit?
saw, he conquered.
So who
Yeah.
did Rohit basically say F off to? Bhuvi and Arshdeep basically saying I will trust
Nothing.
Shami.
They play the next warm-up match.
Wow.
Then Rohit has already decided his 11. It
I
doesn't
just
matter
feel
what's
bad for
gonna
myself.
happen.
Actually, he had already
Because
decided
Next
it.
in the coming seconds, Shubh is going to be like write a piece on Shami, and I am on news, so I'm little worried.
Prateek goes on to say, I feel Shami is auditioning for Harshal Patel role of bowling in the death. In the next match as well, I feel he will bowl in the death. But like Somi said, like if he can bowl his quota 4 overs, it'll be great there.
Shami is like that meme. Barges into the match,
Yeah,
bowls the
Ma-
20th over defense.
I think
4
my
runs,
man of the
Okay, guys,
match,
I'll leave.
leaves
So,
without elaboration.
out of syllabus.
my man of the match is Ravi Ashwin for his 6
the
of
man
2
of the
because
match
he won by
totally,
6 runs, honestly.
No, player of the match.
Rahul, I guess.
Yeah, player of the
Game?
warm up.
We can give Shami. We can give Shami
Player of the warm up.
warmed up. Would it be warmed up player of the warm up?
Oh, but we've had tremendous fun watching this right now in terms of all the chat and the banter. So
And
most
we
welcome.
have a stat for Shami.
There's no stats in this game, but we've pulled it out honestly of the rabbit out of the hat, the cliche that I am always using.
Is this the best one over spell ever?
Oh,
Oh, I thought you were going to
oh,
say.
wickets. But yeah, India doing the job by 6 runs. Thanks so much for watching this cricket.com watch along. Really appreciate it. There's more to come. Of course, join us on Wednesday where India take on New Zealand. Is that a 9:30 game or is that a 1:30 game?
It's a 1:30.
Yeah,
It's a
all India
1:30
games
game,
are-
so we can afford to have that couple of hours rest in the morning before we come pumped after lunch
Look at that
to, of
spell.
course,
4 dot
take your
balls, 3
questions.
wickets.
But
4
tell
runs.
us in the comments before we wind up who really was a standout. Was it Shami? Was it Virat Kohli with his fielding? Was it Suryakumar yet again dazzling another 50?
Finch.
Or Finch?
Finch.
A match losing 76.
Oh, it's not a match losing. Finchy.
But thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Subscribe if you
Look
haven't
at that
already.
scorecard. 171 for 5, 171
Yeah.
for 6, 180.
And
Wow.
3 for 4 for Shami, honestly, doing himself a world of good. Like I said, it's a goodbye from us, Akash, Somesh, me, and all the other guys that, of course, took part in this watch-along. Wednesday, 1:30, join us again. Until then, there's fantastic content coming throughout the rest of the week. It's a goodbye from us, and, yeah, we're warmed up after this warm-up.
Wow. Done, guys. Place.
Cheers. Oops.